After the cold and beautiful female CEO became blind, I walked around in front of her shirtless every day. And sometimes even without anything the woman sat on the sofa calmly and silently. But the tips of her ears were always slightly red, and sometimes she had inexplicable nosebleed. Until later, she pushed me into a corner and said, "Husband, I really like you too much. Just because I became a top second-generation rich man in a book. But in the end I became a stepping stone for the protagonist. In order to change the ending of a dog-licking man with a broken family, I decisively chose the blind villain Link Inqyu to join forces for warmth. In the face of my persistent courtship, the female president who only wanted revenge had to agree to be my wife and satisfy my different little habits in order to make me stop bothering her. After receiving the original owner's memory, I was speechless for a while. But fortunately, when I entered the book, I also awakened the universe pure love system. As long as I do pure love things, I can exchange for various items that allow me to protect myself. After sorting out my thoughts, I immediately had an idea. Among the villains in this book, I can only be regarded as a rookie. The real boss is a blind woman at the end of the book. She killed all the people and only the protagonist was left. And some information about Link Inqyu and the Ling family flooded into my mind. The Ling family was very powerful back then, and together with the Gu family I belonged to, they were both top families in Zhangha. It was only because of a mysterious incident 5 years ago that the Ling family was almost wiped out. Of this hatred for genocide, Ling Inqyu became a cold-blooded villain seeking revenge. Thinking of this, the corners of my mouth slightly raise. As long as I hold on to the thigh of the final villain now, I can survive to the end at the very least, and I can also complete the Pure Love System mission. Chapter 201. The action begins and the formation is activated. Langlinger did not leave after closing the door, but put her ear against the door. She closed her eyes and listened carefully. But after just a dozen seconds, she couldn't listen anymore. Her cheeks turned red and she moved away from the room trembling. She looked at the door in shock. What a bold couple. Time passes. A few hours passed in a flash. With a click, the door was slowly pushed open. Bang! Guyan grabbed the wall and walked out trembling. Hiss. He breathed in deep gulps of fresh air, and thick smoke and steam emanated from his body that was visible to the naked eye. His whole face was full of youthful color, and his neck and arms were covered with kiss marks and tooth marks. It's hard to imagine what just happened in there. Langlinger heard the noise and ran over to see what had happened to Guyan. Her cheeks suddenly turned red again, and her tone was very shameful. You bastard Gu, what were you and my sister doing just now? Guyan straightened his old waist, glanced at Langlinger, then tapped her shoulder and said, "What are you thinking? Little brat, we were just having some friendly interactions." He touched the painful teeth marks on his arm, thinking of Link Inqyu's appearance before with lingering fear. TSK, I didn't expect Inqyu to be so bold. Of course. They didn't do anything. Perhaps Link Inqyu didn't have that kind of knowledge in his mind. So he just kept gnawing at him. It seems like he wants to make up for the gap of the past 10 days. After finishing, Link Inqyu seemed to be finally satisfied and fell into a deep sleep. Guyan then came out and felt the other person's body temperature before leaving. They found that the temperature had dropped from the high temperature back to its original cool temperature. Now Guyan felt relieved. And because of this complementation, the restlessness in his heart disappeared. It can be said that he has entered the state of a saint. In addition, because the time this time was relatively long, his cultivation also broke through, and he is now a mid-stage innate warrior. Hearing this, Langlinger looked at Guyan with some suspicion, and she moved forward and sniffed. Then, a look of disbelief appeared on his face. This smells like a lie. Guyan's mouth twitched, and he exchanged a smartphone from the system store. As he spoke, he took it out of his pocket and handed it to Langlinger. Believe it or not, it's up to you. By the way, this is for your sister. Langlinger took the phone and saw that it was just an ordinary phone. She was a little confused. Brother-in-law, what are you doing? Guyan seemed to have thought of the scene in the room just now. So he coughed and said, your sister told me that she wants to learn network products. Please help her get a VX for this phone because this phone is special. Everything can be operated through voice. Anyway, Inqyu is very smart, so you can just briefly explain it to your sister when the time comes. Langlinger said, oh, then looked at Guyan who was walking downstairs, and shouted in confusion, where are you going, you bastard? Do it. The latter left to back you. I have something to do. I will be back after these days. What, you scumbag? You just walked away after you fucked my sister. Damn little devil. Brother-in-law, wait. Brother-in-law, I was wrong. Guyan immediately ran back. And while Langlinger was looking frightened, he stretched out his fist and punched her hard on the head several times. Wrong? Sorry, brother-in-law, I want to pick on you. A weakling. Brother-in-law. Night. This is the best time to act. Inside Presidential Suite No. 1. The fake Guyan turned into a pool of black water with a plop and disappeared on the spot. Lao Gao watched the scene in silence. Then, buzz! Guyan's figure slowly emerged from the darkness. As he walked, black water began to appear around him. Lao Gao, prepare for action. Gurgle. But the surge of black water. He once again became the Guyan Night King limited edition form. He clenched his fists, because he was also practicing, with the addition of the ability of his claws. Therefore, Guyan's strength has reached the peak of the early Grandmaster stage. Lao Gao had been waiting for a long time as the black water covered him. He also turned into a man in a black robe. Young master. Guyan nodded silently and pointed towards the bed. Buzz. In an instant, the images of Guyan and Lao Gao appeared on it. The aura is exactly the same, no one can tell the difference. After all, I am the best at disguise. Immediately following, Guyan snapped his fingers and whispered, "Come out, my servants." A moment. Buzz buzz buzz. The demonic sect and a dozen or so members of the Black Flame organization from Zhanghe High School appeared here in an instant. Master, they are all built from claw cells. And what Guyan has to do is also very simple. That's it. Activate Nightmare Sacrifice Array. This is the magic circle that the Black Flame organization is most proficient in using. All the people trapped in the dream can be killed in the dream and their bodies can be sacrificed, leaving only their souls trapped in the magic circle. If used in conjunction with psychedelic bugs, it can even allow the victim to die without any pain. Because of the mental tension day and night for so many days, many sect members in Zhanghe have actually been at a critical point. Taking action now will minimize the risk. In addition to the combat meeting held earlier, everyone understood that the target of the person targeted by the dagger might be the soul of this group of hot-blooded warriors. Therefore, the members of each sect actually live about the same distance from each other. It is just enough to cover the sacrificial formation, which will naturally affect some ordinary people as well. But, Guyan's purpose was not to sacrifice ordinary people. After all, he was the one who opened the formation, and his purpose was only to deal with that group of warriors. And he only has 3 goals. First, let the warriors get the aura of Yi that he pretended to be. Or rather the aura that Claw deliberately leaked, so that everyone knows he is Yi. Second, if something like this happens here, Shaolin and Deng Feng, the male protagonists, will definitely rush over. Shaolin can't do it himself, but it can make the relationship between him and Shen Wan warmer. As for Deng Feng He, the third is a plan that Guyan had set up a long time ago. And that was Mei Zhu. It was time to close the net on this rebel in the original novel. In addition, he received the information conveyed by Yu Xingzu in his mind. Yu assigned a task to this new member of the organization, which was to cooperate with the warrior department to catch the fakie. And the person who brought her was Mei Zhu. As expected of our Yu, she is the one who cooperates with me. Her husband. Thinking of this, Guyan's body was entangled in black liquid. Rush! In an instant, everyone present was enveloped and disappeared in an instant. The action officially begins. Chapter 202, The Emergence of Liang Qinyu's Personality. Night. Warrior Department. Inside a huge surveillance room, dozens of people monitor abnormal data at all times. As times change, the warrior department has also undergone changes, and they will not stick to the old ways like before. Instead, it will use a series of high-tech equipment. Not only are there surveillance camera images in every street and alley, but there are also monitors in the warrior department that are specifically used to detect abnormal fluctuations. As long as there is a fluctuation of true qi, it can be detected immediately. Just at this moment, buzz buzz buzz, a red alert of abnormal data suddenly sounded. As the person in charge of Zhanghe, Bi Jun naturally stays here all the time to detect abnormal situations. The White Army immediately shouted, "Check the abnormal area quickly." Hearing this, each experienced person began to operate the instrument. But only for a moment. A heavy expression immediately appeared on everyone's face. Report, an abnormality has occurred in Area 1. Area 22 also has abnormal reactions. So is Area 18. How come so many anomalies appear at the same time? Bi Jun's face changed drastically and he hurried to the main monitoring desk. He looked at the contents of the screen and his heart sank. The abnormal areas in the picture are marked in red. And at this moment this abnormal area formed a circle. Based on his experience, he immediately confirmed that this was a huge magic array. The magic circle is not big, but by coincidence it covers all the known Zhanghe sects and forces. This is. Bang! Bi Jun gritted his teeth and slammed his fist on the table. Saying, "Night action." He immediately issued an order. Notify all the major sects immediately. All warriors are dispatched to the abnormal area. We prepare for the worst. After he finished speaking, He looked at the surveillance screen. There are tens of thousands of innocent people in this area. If that group of lunatics were to do anything to them, the number of casualties would reach a terrifying number. The other side. Xiaolin from Chunshan community suddenly opened his eyes. As if he sensed something. His face suddenly became extremely ugly. Is this a great sacrificial formation? Or is it the Black Flame organization's nightmare sacrifice formation? It's these crazy people again? Xiaolin quickly stood up, walked to the window and looked at the distant sky. With the strength of a master, he immediately sensed the evil aura dozens of kilometers away. Sacrifice array. Not good. Xiaolin chuckled. Wanner said she wanted to sleep in the company tonight. So she didn't come back. And what a coincidence, the area covered by that formation just happened to be Shen Weiner's company. Xiaolin immediately set off, leaping over the tall building like a tiger and rushing forward. Wanner, wait for me. The other side. The stronghold of Xuanwu men is located in an old and dilapidated neighborhood. At Biaolian actually held hands with me. Dang Feng, who was having a sweet dream, was suddenly awakened by a voice. Dang Feng, stop sleeping. An evil aura has appeared. As my successor, why don't you hurry up and save people? You are actually affected by this formation, you really disappoint me. Dang Feng opened his eyes dazed lie and looked around to see the source of the sound. Stop looking, I'm on your head. Dang Feng was stunned. When he looked up, he saw a green, hairy turtle lying on his head. You're a monster? Dang Feng exclaimed immediately. What the hell is a monster? I am Xuanwu. The green-haired turtle cursed. Took a deep breath, and said solemnly, listen carefully. You are my descendant, and your area happens to be covered by a sacrificial formation. If those evil guys were to do anything to ordinary people, then everything would be over. It is your mission to protect the world. Deng Feng was a little confused, but at least he understood that they were in danger. Where are my masters? The green-haired turtle said. They have already gone. They probably didn't take you with them because they thought your cultivation was too low. Anyway, I can sense the presence of your girlfriend too. If you don't go, she might be in danger. Upon hearing this, Deng Feng panicked. Biaolian? No, Master Turtle, take me to find Biaolian. Grandpa Turtle was somewhat satisfied. Very good. Only someone who cares about others like this is worthy of being my successor. So let's keep going east. Good. Deng Feng's eyes showed both worry and excitement. If he showed his handsome side in front of Biaolian, wouldn't she love him even more? Ling family. Long after Guyan left, Ling Linger quietly entered the esports room and took a look at her elder sister. I found that the other person was asleep with a happy smile on his face. She couldn't help swallowing. Sister, what on earth did you do with your brother-in-law? She looked at the somewhat messy esports room and sighed helplessly. Forget it, let's take my sister back to her room first. After all, you'll catch a cold if you sleep in this place. Then, Ling Linger walked forward, stretched out her hand and was about to carry Ling Qiyu on her back. The latter suddenly made some movement. Next second, under Ling Linger's somewhat surprised gaze, Ling Qiyu suddenly stood up. And then a cold and calm voice murmured from her lips. Falling asleep, haha, just right. Ling Qiyu murmured for a while, and opened her eyes and turned her gaze to the somewhat surprised Ling Linger. She said calmly, Sister, Lu has Guyan left? Younger sister. Ling Linger was stunned, but still nodded. Well, brother-in-law. The words haven't finished yet. Ling Qiyu calmly interrupted and said, okay. After that, she stood up, exuding a cold and emotional aura that kept people away from her. I'm going out for a while, and I won't be back tonight. Also, go dye your yellow hair and bring it back. Oh, but it's so late now. Ling Linger replied subconsciously. But suddenly, a thought appeared in Ling Linger's mind. Sister, can you see me? As soon as this thought came to her mind, Ling Linger looked suddenly at Ling Qiyu. The other person was looking at her calmly, with a cold and ruthless aura on him. This feeling is. Ling Linger suddenly felt cold all over and looked at Ling Qiyu in this state with some disbelief. Flick. A bad premonition arose in my heart. Why does my sister in this state look so similar to the scene back then? Ling Linger's eyes gradually became somewhat frightened, and she couldn't help but clench her hands together. No way, impossible, it's been so many years. No, don't become like that. Step. Ling Qiyu seemed to have thought of something. When she passed by Ling Linger, she glanced at Ling Linger, who had a strange expression on her face, and thought for a moment. He still reached out and rubbed the other person's head, and said inferently, you are safe now. Go to bed early. After saying that, she walked out the door. The pressure in the room dissipated instantly. With a plop, Ling Linger slowly slid to the ground with a look of horror on her face. No, that's not right. This strange tone. Not my sister. But that year. Only the blood of the person you love most can be effective. And you, a weak person, are the key to saving me. Choose. Watch me die or donate your blood. Relax, I will ask you for the complete blood in 5 years. A lot of unpleasant and terrifying memories emerged in Ling Linger's mind. That strange existence occupied his sister's bleeding body and kept speaking cold words, using his sister's face. Ling Linger's breathing became slightly heavier. Clearly, it was with great difficulty that my sister gradually regained her heart. Ming Ming and his brother-in-law were just about to start. As a result, did the existence from that year appear again? Why do you say in safe why? Ling Linger muttered to herself. Sudden, what did she think of? The one I love the most. The one I love the most. The one I love the most. Who is my sister's favorite person now? Gu Yan. She is going to find Gu Yan now? Ling Linger suddenly felt cold all over. No. She quickly turned on her cell phone and wanted to call Gu Yan. But a feeling of sleepiness came over her and Ling Linger's consciousness gradually faded. He fell to the ground with a thud. Brother-in-law. Run, that person is not my sister. At this time, Gu Yan was being missed by many people. Sitting on the edge of a building in the special posture of the Night King, Lao Gao stood behind him, among other things. There are 3 more figures, one of which is the Demon Claw. The other 2 are 2 petite figures dressed in black with their faces covered. Gu Yan's perception was extremely strong when he felt the crucial breath starting to rush towards him. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. The order was issued. Let's go. Next second. Yes. Brush. The 3 members of Demon Claw disappeared here. Master. Although Shitu and Xiaobie are geniuses and have become first-class warriors after a short period of training, it is still a bit early to let them participate in this operation. Lao Cao's voice was a little hoarse after being disguised. At least Lao Gao didn't like it. Gu Yan shook his head and chuckled. No, it's already late. I don't have much time. I can only understand the true meaning of becoming stronger through battle. Believe in them, Lao Gao, they have the talent. And you and I only need to deal with the last step. As he spoke, he looked up at the blood-red night sky. This is the impact of the Nightmare Sacrifice Array. Okay, let's start. The night. First action. Chapter 203 Guyan version actions of the night organization. Under the cover of the sacrificial array, the city streets were covered in a strange blood-red color. Those who failed to react in time all fell into a deep sleep due to the influence of the Nightmare Sacrificial Array. An urgent notice from the White Army of the Warrior Department. Plus the strange weather. This made all the sects react. Night, action. Tap. On a street corner, a group of sect members in uniform were running in one direction with tired looks. Behind them there were 2 or 3 companions with smiles on their faces, who had obviously fallen into a deep sleep due to the influence of the magic circle. Brother, what should we do? All the new disciples have fainted. If we don't find the person who set up the magic circle, we will probably be trapped here and die. The disciple holding a sword was running while looking worriedly at his senior brother who was standing tall and upright in front of him. The former's face became solemn when he heard this. As the eldest senior brother, he often came into contact with people from the Black Flame organization in the ancient martial arts world, so he naturally knew the purpose and origin of this magic circle. He clenched the sword in his hand, his voice filled with uncontrollable anger, and replied as he ran, "A bunch of beasts, there are at least hundreds of thousands of creatures in the range of this magic circle. Their intention must be to sacrifice us and these innocent people to the Night King. Xiao Wang, carry the fainted brothers and sisters on your backs. We will go meet up with other sects first." Before he finished speaking, the eldest brother's face suddenly changed. He quickly stopped all his companions and shouted, "Stop." Next second. Boom. A black blaze suddenly stabbed a few meters in front of the crowd. Immediately following, a sinister voice sounded from the darkness. Ahichi, as expected of Liu Jianxing, the senior brother of the Tianjian sect. His perception ability is indeed outstanding. As the words fell, Mo Qianyun's figure walked out from the darkness and picked up the sharp blade on the ground. He looked at Liu Jianxing and the others with bloodthirsty eyes. They are all a group of hot-blooded warriors, very suitable as nutrients for my cultivation. Demonic cloud. When Liu Jianxing saw this man, his expression suddenly became extremely ugly. He held the sword horizontally in front of him and cursed with gritted teeth. It turns out that what Master Gu analyzed was true. You, the heavenly demon sect, have really been bewitched by that dagger. The other disciples also drew their swords and looked at Mo Qianyun with vigilance. Brother, he is alone, let's go. After hearing this, Mo Qianyun laughed and said, so what if the analysis is correct? You will all die here today. After that bang, he exerted force with his feet and rushed towards Liu Jianxing like a sharp arrow. Everyone prepare to attack. Anyone with communication equipment, call for support immediately. Liu Jianxing's eyes narrowed. and he shouted at his companions while circulating his true energy. Rub, sizzle. Mo Qinyun's sharp blade collided with Liu Jianxing, and the latter's face looked extremely ugly. Mo Qinyun used to be as powerful as him, but the opponent has become stronger. Sure enough, he is practicing evil magic. Your crime is unforgivable. Liu Jianxing roared, and his whole body emanated sword energy. Sword intention. Senior brother Liu actually comprehended the sword intention. This time Mo Qinyun is definitely dead. Come on, brother. Everyone cheered. Mo Qinyun was knocked back far away by this domineering sword intent. He looked at Liu Jianxing and licked his lips. Hunting is more interesting this way. Liu Jianxing frowned. His eyes flickering, he snorted coldly and swung his sword casually, accompanied by a surging sword energy. Evil demon. Do you think you are worthy of defeating us? Brothers and sisters, follow me, slay the demons and monsters. Yes. The other side of the street. Aha! A sect disciple, covered in blood, was running breathlessly while holding onto the wall. His eyes filled with fear. Seems to be hiding from something. All dead, all dead. Are those two kids monsters? A man muttered to himself, just a few minutes ago. Because of staying up all night on guard for a long time. Everyone in their sect was mentally exhausted. Most of the people closed their eyes and suddenly fell asleep. Including him. But suddenly he was awakened by the smell of blood and screams. When he opened his eyes and came to his senses, he realized that everyone was there except him. They were all killed by two petite black-robed figures that suddenly appeared. He immediately closed his eyes and pretended to be dead, hiding among the corpses after the two black-robed figures left. He grabbed the communication device in his hand and called for support, and received the information to move in this direction. When he saw the bright light at the corner of the street, he was very surprised. It's almost there, it's almost there, it's almost there. As long as we get to that place. He quickened his pace with great anticipation, rushed to the corner of the street, and shouted almost like a roar. Help, quick, stop them. The words haven't finished yet. A gust of cold wind suddenly blew, and the lights on the street swayed. Puff! As a ray of knife-like flashed through the bloody night. Crash! A head of the man who was speaking shot up into the sky. Blood rained all over the walls and the ground. With a plop, a man's head rolled to the ground with an excited expression, and half of his body collapsed to the ground. Snap! A blood-stained right boot moved in front of the man's head, lifted up and then stepped down hard. Ew! The head could never be restored. Then, the owner of the boots looked coldly at the two petite figures who were shivering with their heads down, and said in a cold voice, Shida shall be a, you must remember to uproot the grass. As the killing weapon of an adult, you only need to remember two things. First of all, loyalty to the adults. A second thing is to make sure all targets are wiped out and not to leave any unnecessary trouble for you. My lord. There won't be a next time, remember? Chitu and Xiaobiye, who were wearing evil ghost masks, lowered their heads and responded with trembling voices. I'm sorry, Master Claw. I'm sorry. Xiaobiye is too complacent. Upon hearing this, Demon Claw simply nodded. Just remember, this is your first mission, and it was the adults who designated you to participate. Don't let the adults down. As he spoke, the demon stretched out his hand. Crash! Then silk threads wrapped around his arm, and directly transformed into a black long sword. He said calmly, after all, we all have the power bestowed by the adults. You are special and have infinite possibilities to become stronger. Shitu and Xiaobiye heard that Gu Yan had designated them to participate in the spell. They were so excited that they could hardly express it in words. They all nodded and said, Yes, Master Mo Xiao, we will definitely not let that master down. Xiaobiye, there's a group of bad guys over there, let's go and kill them. Okay, brother. After saying that, brush, the two little ones ran quickly in a direction not far away. The Demon Claw watched this scene quietly and passed the message to Gu Yan. And not long after the transmission, the light laugh was heard. I was wondering why I could smell an evil stench. So it's here. Hearing this, the masked demon looked over there. Just see. An old man with a sage-like appearance was walking towards them from a distance with his hands behind his back. He had a loud voice and his eyes were full of disdain for the devil's claws. This person is none other than Jiyu Otianyun from Xiaoyao Mountain. As one of the only three masters in the combat meeting at that time, he naturally had his own pride. As the saying goes, wild beasts always travel alone, only cattle and sheep travel in herds. Therefore Jiyu Otianyun did not choose to huddle together for warmth, but immediately locked onto several auras the moment the magic circle appeared. After repeated confirmation, he chose the strongest story among them, which was the Devil's Claw. Buzz. A flowing cloud true key, as soft and lingering as clouds, wrapped around Jiyu Otianyun's whole body. and his white beard and hair began to gradually rise with the airflow. Jiu Ochin Yun Yun looked at the demon claw with a sharp gaze, and walked towards it with his hands behind his back, taking 2 or 3 steps leisurely. Admit it, you are the mastermind of this magic circle, right? You are a bunch of scoundrels. If you cut off your limbs, I can spare your life. After all, we still need to learn information about the Night King from you. As he was speaking, his expression froze, because he found that the devil's claws in front of him had disappeared at some point. Moreover, he felt that his sight was getting lower and lower. Next second, thump, crash, the head hit the ground and the blood spilled on the ground. Jiu Ochin Yun's head fell to the ground with a dazed expression on his face. A devil's claw had arrived at the opponent's side at some point, and the black and red sword in his right hand, which was made up of claw cells, was stained with blood that had not yet dried. He flicked it lightly. Snap! Blood spurted out, and the devil's claw swept across the 2 halves of the body that fell to the ground. He said in a cold voice, "Trash, you are not worthy to see the master I am waiting for." That's right, the upgrade of the claw is to increase the upper limit of each person being controlled. That is to say, the claws of the Gu family's death warriors, which had long been gifted by Gu Yan, had their cells transformed, their claws upgraded, and they had practiced themselves over time. The demon claw has already advanced to the early stage of Grand Master, and his strength is not comparable to that of an ordinary master. Claw cells are so scary. Chapter 200 for Shaoling's thoughts. Because they had not slept for a long time, the warriors from the major sects in the city were already exhausted. But with the emergence of the Nightmare Sacrifice Array, they were forced to once again drag their tired bodies to fight against the enemies hidden in the dark. However, most warriors underestimated the strength of these members of the Night Organization who were bewitched by the dagger. Help, elder! A young man from a noble family was lying on the ground crying with snot and tears. He stretched out his hand and asked for help from the elder in the distance, who had a look of shock and grief in his eyes. Behind him, the forged members of the demonic sect approached step by step. There was a ferocity flashing in their eyes like that of wild beasts. As the formation appeared, these lunatics launched a desperate attack on the warriors from the major sects. In the stormy night, it became the nightmare of every sect warrior. As the sword flashed, the young men from the noble families who came to ask for help were killed. The elder of the Shi family was grief-stricken. He shouted at the leader of the Tian Mo sect. "Mo Yan, you are not a human, you have fallen to the point of colluding with Yi. Mo Yan is none other than Mo Chin Yun's protector. Mo Lao." Hearing this, he snorted coldly. This world is a world where the strong prey on the weak. Survival of the fittest, old man, survival of the fittest. It is no longer possible to improve our cultivation through ordinary training. Only that master's power can allow us to break through again and gain longer life. And you all will all become nourishment for that adult. And you will also become stepping stones for us to become stronger. After Mo Yan finished speaking, he rushed towards the elders of the family with a ferocious look on his face. "Go to hell. Remember to stand in line in your next life." The elder of the family collapsed in despair. He had already used up all his physical strength. Otherwise he would not have watched his young master being killed and remained indifferent. However, the next second, snort. "You evil heretic. Stop being so rampant." A cold snort was heard, and then a figure stood in front of the elder of the family. He clenched his fist and swung it towards the attacking magic rock. Bang! The 2 fists collided, creating a huge energy wave through friction. Snap, snap! The ground began to break apart as a result of the earthquake, and a spider web gradually formed between the 2 of them. The sky was filled with dust. Mo Yan retracted his fist in pain, quickly retreated backwards, and then shouted into the dust. "Who is it?" The elder of the family also wanted to know. So he raised his head. I saw. Standing in front of him was Mr. Gao. And the Gu family boy? "You." The elder of the family shouted out with surprise in his eyes. That's right, the people standing in front of the elders of the Shi family were the cloned bodies of Gu Yan and Lao Bu's claw cells. Of course, all consciousness belongs to Gu Yan. It can be understood that Gu Yan, who was far away, remotely controlled his own and Lao Cao's puppet bodies through the claws as a medium. Next second, Uyan nodded to the elder of the family and took out the communication device pager. "Yes, it's us. We received your support signal. But unfortunately," when Guyan looked at the corpses on the ground, his expression became extremely angry and regretful. "If we had come earlier." The elder of the Shi family hurriedly shook his head in thanks. No, young Master Gu, you don't have to blame yourself. I am Zhang Yiqi, the elder of the Zhang family. The most urgent task now is to deal with Mo Yan, the Tian Mo sect who is in collusion with the Yi organization." Gu Yan still blamed himself. On the surface he took a deep breath, and his eyes gradually became firm. Then he looked at Mo Yan, who had a gloomy face, and roared, "Evil demon, you deserve to die." Lao Gao, kill this evildoer. Okay, master. The puppet Lao Gao also pretended to be unable to suppress his anger and rushed towards the demon rock. The latter seemed to be enraged, with demonic energy bursting out of his body. Want to kill me? With you? You came just in time. Kill both of you. I can also get some power to improve my cultivation. Boom! Lao Gao and Mo Yan collided with each other. After only a brief exchange of blows, puppet Lao Gao pretended to be shocked and said, "You have reached the Grand Master level? Are you really practicing evil magic?" Zhang Yiqi, an elder of the Zhang family, was also shocked when he heard this and shouted, "Old Gao, the heavenly demon sect is related to the night. They are using their souls to cultivate. It is also possible that the Night King directly gave them the power. Mr. Gao, quickly end this. We can't let the other party become stronger again." "Okay, thanks for the reminder." After saying that, Lao Gao continued to fight with Mo Yan. And it is on another tallest building far away from here. The real body Night King Limited Edition Guyan is using claws to control the puppet Guyan and the puppet Lao Gao. How controlling puppets is really interesting. No wonder there is a martial arts branch called puppeteer in the western country. Guyan laughed and asked, "Haha, Lao Gao, how about playing with your puppet clone together? It's really difficult to fight back and forth without getting hurt." "No, master also, how long do we need to wait before we take action?" Hearing this, Guyan looked at Lao Gao and smiled mysteriously. "Wait until the protagonist explodes." Another new term. Lao Gao was silent. At this time, Guyan seemed to have noticed something. So he suddenly looked down at the building, but unfortunately he found nothing. "Is this an illusion?" Guyan laughed and shook his head. He was kidding. How could he think King Qiyu was looking at him just now? It was obvious that the other party was already lying at home and fell asleep. However, what Guyan didn't know was, at the bottom of his building, a cold figure slowly walked out of the shadows, and she looked up at someone in the building who almost discovered her. There was a hint of indifference in his eyes buzz. A dagger appeared from her white palm. She clenched her hand, and a burst of black energy emanated from the dagger. After carefully considering it for a moment, Shaoling gave up the idea in his mind. Instead, he muttered to himself, "No, although taking the heart blood now can remove the seal of the other me, but the cauldron has not been drained clean yet. If I continue to improve my perception to a critical point and then remove the seal, then my other self and I will become even stronger. Well, we can't let Lu Ding die yet." Thinking of this, Shaoling retracted the dagger, and a hint of thought appeared in his cold eyes. "When the other me is awake during the day, I cannot occupy the body. But when she falls asleep she can come out by herself. I didn't come out before because the other me hardly slept during the day and was studying and upgrading 24 hours a day. But now the other me is sleeping longer and longer, wasting too much time sleeping, and my efficiency is really low. I had no choice but to look up modern materials myself to learn knowledge and understand the world. Besides, Lu Ding can practice with another me during the day. But this time at night cannot be wasted. What I didn't expect was that the fakie was actually created by this furnace. If the other person knew about this, it would probably affect the relationship between us. This way, the furnace cannot be squeezed, so I can't say anything for the time being. But as long as she squeezes the cauldron clean, she can tell him everything. It won't be too late to take the other person's heart blood then. There is another me that I didn't intend to appear. But it's such a waste to leave the nighttime empty. So why not let me take over and do something more meaningful and efficient? Well, I have almost finished learning another one of my love tutorials these days. And I have also collected a lot of information on the internet. It's time to take action, just wait for the right moment. There was an inexplicable meaning in Shaoling's eyes. The figure turned into a black shadow and disappeared from here. Chapter 205. We can infiltrate the warrior department. I must protect Ba Yan. After fighting for hundreds of rounds, Mo Yan was knocked away by Lao Zhao's punch and fell to the ground. The former covered his chest, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood, and roared with a ferocious expression, "Mr. Gao of the Gu family is indeed worthy of his reputation. This time, my magic rock's kills are inferior to others. But do you think you can kill me like this? When I meet up with my companions, all of you in the formation will die." After saying that, in front of Guyan and others, Mo Yan's body was filled with demonic energy and he disappeared without a trace in front of everyone in an instant. Lao Gao immediately stopped in his tracks in annoyance. "DSK, I didn't expect this to be another martial arts move I haven't seen before." He apologized to Guyan. "Sorry, master, I let him run away." Guyan shook his head, clenched his fists, took a deep breath, suppressed his anger and said, "It doesn't matter, they were bewitched by the dagger and must have gained some of its power. We have too little intelligence at the moment, so it's normal for this to happen. The priority is..." Guyan looked at Zhang Yiqi, the weak-looking elder of the Zhang family. and said, Elder Zhang, we need to confirm the specific location of each sect member as soon as possible. There are also casualties. We all come together to deal with the current situation. Zhang Yiqi nodded, and he weakly cupped his hands and said, Master Gu, in fact, when we were escaping, we had already received a signal for help from the Tianjian sect in the east. It is said that they also encountered people from the Heavenly Demon sect. I think we can rush over there. Gu Yan nodded. Okay. Then go east. And these corpses of your family disciples. Zhang Yiqi smiled bitterly and shook his head. When everyone came here, they had already prepared themselves mentally. After this is over, I will properly deal with the bodies of the young master and others. Then explain to the head of the family. Gu Yan stopped talking, but his expression became extremely sad. It seemed like a rebuke to the people of the demonic sect who were bewitched by the dagger. Zhang Yiqi took a deep breath, suppressed the pain in his heart, and said, There is no time to lose, Mr. Gu, Mr. Gao, let's rush over as soon as possible. Good. The other side. Phew. Two figures walked along the street. One of the tall figures raised his hand and pierced through a black-robed object that was rushing towards them. The black-robed object that was pierced let out a scream, and turned into black smoke and disappeared into the world. The Yaoyan, who was following the tall figure, complained. So boring. These existence obviously have nothing to do with ye. Okay? I don't know if that fake Night King has ever met our Lord Night King. Do you know that our master won't even look at this insect-like existence? It's ridiculous that he even gave it the name of Night. Murong Si didn't say anything, just nodded lightly. Then, he suddenly stopped and looked ahead. The Yaoyan also stopped and looked over there. What's wrong? Just see. There was a boy running away. Tumbling and crawling. Master Turtle, this is not what we agreed on. Why am I so weak? Oh, someone save me. Ang Feng shouted in a crying voice. Followed by three men in black robes. Yaoyan's eyes twitched. And she and Murong Si looked at each other. Who is this? Murong Si nodded, then thought for a moment and made an attacking gesture. Just right, kill them and complete the mission. Hey! Stop, stop, stop. Are you stupid? Have you forgotten the mission our master gave us? Didn't the master tell us to temporarily help the warrior department? The Yaoyan quickly grabbed the other person and said angrily. Go and save that Deng Feng. He is the heir of Xuan Wu's sect and a man of destiny. If we use him properly, we can infiltrate the warrior department. Murong Si. The other side. Deng Feng is arguing with Mr. Turtle. A ladder lay on Deng Feng's head, looking a little embarrassed. No, I forgot for a moment that you haven't even stepped into the first-class warrior. It's too early to enter this battlefield now. Deng Feng wanted to cry but had no tears. Didn't you say that I was a man of destiny and had nothing to fear? Master Turtle, how long have I been practicing? My master said that I am a genius among geniuses. I will definitely become stronger if you give me time. So what do we do now? Hurry up and lend me some strength. Grandpa Turtle was somewhat helpless when he heard this. No, I do have the power, but you don't meet the conditions for borrowing it. What conditions? This condition is hey, Xiao Fengzi. Look. What the hell is Xiao Fengzi? Deng Feng suppressed his complaining mood and looked into the distance. He saw a figure running towards him. Brush. The opponent was extremely fast. In just a breath, he passed through his body and came behind him. Boom. As soon as he heard the roar in his ears, Deng Feng could no longer feel the murderous intent from before. He stopped and turned back in confusion. He saw that the figure that came to rescue him had completely killed all those who were chasing him. So strong. Deng Feng was shocked. Grandpa Turtle was also full of praise. So strong, this person's cultivation is at least at the innate level. At least, Master Turtle, can't you see through people's strength? Alas, there is nothing I can do. The incident back then caused my Xuan Wu energy to dissipate too much, and my strength is no longer as good as before. And just at this moment, a crying voice suddenly came from behind Deng Feng. Brother Deng Feng. This familiar voice immediately made Deng Feng's body tremble, and he turned his head quickly to look. Just see. The Yaoyan ran over with red eyes and threw herself into Deng Feng's arms. The latter was excited and embarrassed with the beauty in his arms. He didn't know where to put his hands and feet. Lian? Lian? Why are you here? Are you in any danger? Deng Feng suppressed the surprise in his heart, swallowed and asked. Of course, he would not say that he was just running here to follow the other person's position. Idiot, I really asked that. The Yaoyan secretly mocked herself in her heart. But on the surface she sobbed and choked. Lian. Lian was sleeping well at home, but suddenly a group of men in black broke into my house and woke me up. My parents were killed. Lian was so scared that she ran away. But the group of men in black kept chasing her. To the back. The Yaoyan winked at Murong Si who was walking towards her, then pointed at him and said, in the back, It was this good uncle who saved Lian, brother Deng Feng. Lian has no family anymore. Lian, you are the only one left, brother Deng Feng. When Deng Feng listened to Lian's words, he suddenly felt a sense of responsibility. He took a deep breath, hugged Lian, and said in a sonorous and powerful voice, Lian, don't worry, from now on, I am your family. Yes, thank you, brother Deng Feng. Lian said with a touched look on her face. Afterwards, Deng Feng let go of Lian and thanked Mu Rongxi. Thank you, brother, you not only saved my girlfriend but also saved me. You are our benefactor. Mu Rongxi retracted the bones for hidden behind his back, and nodded calmly under Lian's threatening gaze. Yes. Grandpa Turtle was very satisfied. Xiao Fengzi, you are indeed my successor. You have a good character of repaying kindness. You will definitely repay others when you grow up. Deng Feng responded in his heart. Okay, Master Turtle. He discovered that he was the only one who could see the turtle above his head, which made him feel more and more that he was the destined person and the protagonist in the world of novels. If you don't believe me, just look, he has got the beauty again. It was once again the encounter with a new partner that saved the day in a critical moment. If this isn't the treatment of a protagonist, then what is? That's right. Deng Feng looked at Lian and took a deep breath. Myself, you must protect Lian. Chapter 206. You are a congenital Purian body. I must protect Wanner. The president's office in Shen's pharmaceutical company. A dim light was on, and Shen Wanner was writing a plan with a tired look on her face. Not long ago, she brought her company, which was on the verge of bankruptcy, back to life with the prescription Shaolin gave her. Because of the magical effect of the prescription, she was able to win back some partners on her own. Even with Shaolin's help, she got to know some Western pharmaceutical companies. In time, her company will surely go global. Well, it's so late. Shen Wanner stretched after finishing writing the plan. I looked at the time and it was already past 10 o'clock at night. Although I have already told Shaolin that I will probably sleep in the company tonight, but it was actually still early after 10 o'clock. And the plan was being completed much faster than she had imagined. There's no harm in going back. Thinking of this, Shen Wanner turned off the computer and stood up. But suddenly, snap, the office door was slowly pushed open. A figure walked in. Shen Wanner was stunned, obviously not expecting that there would still be someone there at this time. So she subconsciously looked up at the other person. But at that moment, her pupils shrank. His expression gradually turned into one of panic. Then a man in a black robe walked in. With the help of the light, Shen Wanner could clearly see that the other person was holding a black and red bloody knife in his hand. Who are you? Shen Wanner was horrified and immediately shouted in panic. The black-robed man laughed heavily as he walked. I didn't expect that he really has a congenital Purian constitution. I really found a treasure. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I won't let a perfect furnace like you die. Shen Wanner didn't understand what the innate Purian body was. She only knew that the person in front of her was definitely not a good person. Don't come over here, I'm warning you. Security! Where is the security? Shen Wanner screamed and backed away. Seeing the man in black robe getting closer and closer, Shen Wanner immediately picked up the things on the table and threw them at him. Rub rub rub. However, all this was in vain. The man in black robe casually used his long knife to cut the object thrown at him, laughing and mocking. Don't resist except for you. No one here has the ability to move. They will all die after that. And you are the luckier one. After all, your physique is a congenital Purian physique, which is the most suitable physique for dual cultivation to become a furnace cauldron. Shen Wanner had already retreated to the corner at this time, and the man in black robe also walked up to her. Even though she was not a warrior, she could still feel the evil aura coming from the other party. Okay, now just follow me obediently. The man in black robe laughed sinisterly and then extended his hand towards Shen Wanner. The latter's body began to tremble with fear, and she leaned against the wall in despair. Help, someone please save me. Why did this happen to me? Next second, bang! Don't touch her. As the sound of breaking windows appeared, a roar filled with murderous intensity sounded through the room. Shen Wanner's originally desperate eyes immediately lit up with a bright light as the voice appeared, and she looked towards the window. A figure she didn't expect appeared there. Exactly. Shaolin! Shen Wanner shouted excitedly. It was him? She no longer wanted to think about why Shaolin could suddenly break in through the window from dozens of floors high. She only knew that at this moment, the only one who could save her was Shaolin. So she immediately shouted, Shaolin, save me. It seemed as if Shaolin's blood surged after hearing Shen Wanner's cry for help. Roar! A golden dragon suddenly flew out from Shaolin's hand towards the man in black robe. See this move? The black-robed man subconsciously blocked. But sizzle! The powerful force made the man in black robe unable to fight back and was blasted far away and hit heavily against the wall. Puff! The man in black robe coughed up blood, and his lower body was completely blown away. As if he was afraid that Shen Wan'er couldn't hear him. He weakly and shockedly shouted at Shaolin, "What? This is actually the technique of the Dragon King Palace. You are Shaolin, the young master of the Dragon King Palace. I didn't expect that there would be such a person in this small John Ha. I am screwed. But it doesn't matter, that adult will definitely kill all of you. That woman with a congenital Purian body will definitely be the object of everyone's covetousness. Shaolin, even if it's you can't protect her forever before she breaks through her innate Purian body." After delivering the key information, the man in black robe breathed his last. Shen Wan'er's brain was already buzzing at this time. What just happened? Golden Dragon? This is the real world, isn't it? What is going on? She held Shaolin's hand tightly, her voice trembling. "Saitso Sui Yaolin. What on earth is going on? Who is this man in black robe? Who are you? What's the situation with that golden dragon? What is a congenital Purian body? Is it because of my congenital Purian body that I was targeted by this person? What does all this mean? Shaolin, what happened to the world we live in?" Shaolin looked at Shen Wan'er, who looked panicked and frightened. He was very conflicted, but the man in black robe is right. Shen Wan'er will be targeted by more and more people in the future. I must protect her, therefore, some things must be revealed. Then, Shaolin hugged Shen Wan'er tightly and said seriously, "Wan'er, actually." The other side, Liu Jianxing, a disciple of Tianjian sect, was kneeling on the ground in despair at this moment, with a broken sword lying quietly at his feet. He covered his chest with his hands, and there was blood at the corners of his mouth. "Actually, even my sword power can't defeat Mo Tianyan, who has joined the evil path." Liu Jianxing looked at his disciples dying all over the ground and laughed miserably. He was defeated. It was a complete defeat. "Liu Jianxing, do you feel my power right now? This is the power that the adult has bestowed upon me. If you join me, you can be like me. Now, I'll give you a chance. If you beg for mercy, I'll let you go and introduce you to that lord." Mo Tianyan held a black sword and walked towards Liu Jianxing jokingly. However, hearing this, Liu Jianxing did not beg for mercy, but the expression on his face became more determined. He shouted at Mo Tianyan, "The righteous path will last forever. You evil demons will all be wiped out." The latter seemed to be irritated by what he said, grinning and laughing. "Okay, then you just stick to your heart. Then, go to hell." Mo Tianyan clenched the sword and swung it fiercely towards Liu Jianxing. The latter slowly closed his eyes. That's it, he started practicing sword at the age of 4. Became a direct disciple of the leader of the Tianjian sect at the age of 10. And became an innate swordsman at the age of 20. Now at the age of 28, he has comprehended the sword spirit. And his efforts have supported him till now. Actually, it's just to find my missing brother. But now, not only did he not find his brother, but he was about to die. But it doesn't matter. I died for the sake of slaying demons and eliminating evil. So, I have no regrets in dying. However, before Liu Jianxing could realize it, next second, boom, puff, a violent breath rushed over. What followed was Mo Tianyan's scream. Liu Jianxing immediately opened his eyes and looked. Just see. A figure blocked his way. It was Master Gu? Gu Yan? Liu Jianxing shouted in disbelief. Gu Yan did not turn his head, but stared at Mo Tianyan, who was knocked away with an angry look. He threw a bottle of healing medicine to Liu Jianxing. This is the third grade recovery medicine of the Gu family. After taking it, you can slowly recover your true energy. I'll explain the situation later, let me finish dealing with the enemy in front of me first. Upon hearing this, Liu Jianxing quickly took the healing medicine and said, "Okay, Gu Yan, be careful. Mo Tianyan's strength is no longer what it used to be. He has at least reached the peak of the innate realm." "No." Gu Yan nodded, then looked warily at Mo Tianyan, who stood up again in front of him. The battle is about to begin. Chapter 207, Gu Yan's full performance. "I didn't expect it to be you again. When I was at Gu's house before, you treated me very well." Mo Tianyan clenched the sword in his hand. A cold light flashed in his eyes, a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth, and the aura emanating from his body became stronger and stronger, as if an enraged beast was about to launch a fatal attack. Seeing this scene, Gu Yan's eyes focused, he moved towards the ground, and the surge of true energy sucked over an iron sword that had fallen to the ground. He said in a deep voice, "When I was at Gu's house, I felt that something was wrong with you. It seems that my perception was correct. So what if you knew? If you had asked the expert beside you to kill us, maybe there wouldn't be so many problems now. What a pity." Mo Tianyan licked his sword and smiled at Gu Yan fiercely. You are so stupid that you didn't bring the expert with you. Are you trying to kill yourself? The words fell. Rub. Mo Tianyan rushed towards Gu Yan like a sharp arrow. Liu Jianxing was sweating profusely when he saw this. He immediately shouted, Gu Yan, be careful. No ordinary sword can stop his evil sword. The words fell. I only heard ding. The surging momentum rises to the sky here. The dust filled the sky and blocked Liu Jianxing's vision. He squinted his eyes and tried to look over there. This one glance made him freeze in place. Just see. Gu Yan tightly grasped the ordinary long sword and held it across his chest, easily blocking Mo Tianyan's attack. Looking closely, Gu Yan's sword was actually pulsating with pink waves. This made it impossible for Mo Tianyan's sword to pierce Gu Yan's sword. What? This is the sword spirit taking shape. Mo Tianyan looked at the long sword that blocked his sword and roared in shock. He looked at Gu Yan in disbelief. Your swordsmanship attainments are so high. Liu Jianxing was also stunned before coming to Zhang He. He had already heard of Gu Yan, a man who was unable to practice. It's a pity for the other party he is unable to practice in a big family and his future will definitely be miserable. And now take a look. The other party has been hiding himself all this time? He even cultivated to a level that was even stronger than him. How can I be considered a genius? Facing Mo Tianyan's shock, Gu Yan just said softly, killing you is enough. As soon as these words came out, it seemed to anger Mo Tianyan, and he kept swinging his sword. Die, die, ding 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 ding. The sword and the momentum intersected, and the stinging airflow that hit people continued to gather here. Brush, brush, brush. Liu Jianxing used his arms to block his eyes. The turbulent airflow blew his body, but the situation in front of him made him unable to help but stare closely. The figures of the two men kept flashing in the fierce confrontation, and the sword energy collided with each other in the air, making harsh metal collision and explosion sounds. Gu Yan's swordsmanship was extremely sharp, and each sword carried destructive power, forcing Mo Tianyan to defend with all his might. Mo Tianyan displayed a strength consistent with what Liu Jianxing said. His attacks came like a violent storm, and each move contained endless murderous intent. Liu Jianxing watched the battlefield nervously, feeling uneasy. He could see how powerful Gu Yan was, but facing an opponent like Mo Tianyan who possessed abilities granted by Yi, even Gu Yan could be in danger if he wasn't careful. Time passed by minute, and the battle entered a white-hot stage. The surrounding land was covered with sword marks and countless buildings were destroyed. Some of them revealed a portion of ordinary people who were fast asleep. If it weren't for the function of the nightmare sacrifice array, it would have caused panic long ago. Damn it, you're so strong. Why are you still standing on the side of these guys? They have slaughtered the Leng family. Shouldn't you be on our side? Mo Tianyan looked at the long sword that was gradually breaking, and immediately retracted his strength and retreated to a distance, then roared at Gu Yan. It seemed that he didn't understand Gu Yan's actions. Liu Jianxing also became very nervous. He looked at Gu Yan, worried that he might be persuaded by the other party. After all, the Leng family and the Yi family did have some connection back then, and now the Leng family has an alliance with Gu Yan. I wonder if Gu Yan will. However, hearing this, Gu Yan's expression did not change at all. He shouted, shut up, sacrificing so many ordinary people to the Night King is the most beastly thing to do. Do you think I will stand on your side just because you say a few words? The Leng family is no longer the same as before. My lover has nothing to do with Yi. Don't mix your dirty bunch with my lover. Mo Tianyan's face turned extremely ugly upon hearing this, and a strong demonic energy emanated from his body. Okay, since you insist on going against us, and your Gu family and the Leng family will also be included in the list of people to be hunted by night, I'm going to kill you right now. Boom. As Mo Tianyan finished his last sentence, a huge wave of demonic energy surged towards Gu Yan. To the right. Did he hit it wrong on purpose? Liu Jianxing widened his eyes. However, as he looked to the side, he was startled and shouted in panic. Gu Yan, his target is ordinary people. Gu Yan's pupils shrank when he heard that. When he saw that the target of the shockwave was the residential building nearby, he made a decision, took a step forward, and ran towards the shockwave without hesitation. Boom! The shockwave hit Gu Yan directly. A bright sky exploded. Gu Yan! Liu Jianxing cried out in grief, his eyes becoming red. Rush! The shockwave dissipated quickly. The dust dissipated. Gu Yan? What made Liu Jianxing happy was, in the dust, Gu Yan tightly grasped the sword in his hand, his forehead covered with sweat. While Mo Tianyan knelt on one knee on the ground, his face pale and his breath weak, Gu Yan stood up with difficulty, breathing heavily, and stabbed the sword into the ground. His body was already in tatters. He stared at the pale and shocked Mo Tianyan in front of him and sneered. Evil cannot prevail over good. You lost to Mo Tianyan. After using this move, you should have no extra energy. right? Mo Chen-yun was a little panicked. No, impossible. How could this happen? Why aren't you dead yet? Seeing this, Liu Jianxing rushed forward and helped Gu Yan up, his eyes full of admiration. Gu Yan, I'm so glad you're okay. Gu Yan took a deep breath and said weakly. Don't say anything, come on, finish off the enemy. I am exhausted too. When Liu Jianxing heard this, he immediately realized that Gu Yan was now at the end of his strength. And he had also recovered some of his true energy. Good. As he spoke, he looked at Mo Tianyun, who had a panicked look on his face, and took 2 steps forward. He used his finger as a sword and took out a small coin-sized object that looked like a lantern. An angry voice came out of Liu Jianxing's mouth. Mo Tianyun. Evil cannot prevail over good in your next life. Remember to be a good person. After saying that, he circulated his true energy and slashed towards Mo Tianyun's neck. Phew! Seeing Mo Tianyun's horrified expression, the latter slashed with his sword and chopped off the former's head. A breath of air penetrated into the small lantern. Buzz! The lantern emitted a bright light. Mo Chen-yun's body also turned into black smoke and dissipated. Liu Jianxing took a deep breath and said, sure enough. The dagger bewitched it and turned it into an evil creature. After he finished all this, he hurried to Gu Yan and asked worriedly. Gu Yan, are you okay? Where's that expert bodyguard you have? Gu Yan also pretended to be weak at this time, letting Liu Jianxing support him. And sighed, hey, I was originally planning to come here with Lao Gao and the elders of the Zhang family. But suddenly, there were waves of terrifying key fluctuations coming from the east. After discussion, we decided that direction needed more support. So let Lao Gao and Lao Zhang go ahead, and I will come to support you. But, Gu Yan smiled helplessly, I still think too highly of my own abilities. No. Gu Yan, you are so strong. I have never seen a genius like you in my life. If you were in our Tianjian sect, all the resources of the sect would definitely be tilted towards you. Liu Jianxing felt somewhat excited about surviving a disaster. No, I don't want to join any warrior forces, I just want to live a peaceful life with my love. Okay Liu Jianxing, let's go and join the main force. Gu Yan waved his hand weakly and said. Good. Consciousness returns. Top of the building, Gu Yan Night King Limited Edition's windbreaker was whistling in the cold wind. And he was sensing everything in the formation. When I sensed that everyone was being driven towards one direction, the corners of Gu Yan's mouth curled up slightly. Great. All the actors are here. Get ready, Lao Gao, it's your turn to appear on stage. Hearing this, the limited edition version of the black-robed man, Lao Gao said hoarsely, okay, young master. The words fell. Rush. Lao Cao's figure also disappeared here. Chapter 208. Sect members gathered together. The center of the formation. Because Gu Yan did it on purpose. So all forces rushed towards the center of the formation. Each sect helped and supported each other and rushed here dragging their tired bodies. The White Army had already led a group of official warriors in white uniforms to the place where the evil aura was the strongest. Liu Jianxing supported Gu Yan's body and walked over with difficulty. From a distance, he saw the scene in the center of the formation. What's this? Liu Jianxing stopped, looked up and looked at the scene in shock. Just see. On a residential building in the center of the formation, there was a beating blood-red heart. Boom boom boom. Every time the heart beat, Liu Jianxing seemed to hear the wails of living creatures in his ears. The surviving members of the major sects all stood in place, looking up in shock at the still beating blood-red heart on the residential building. Sword Star. Master. At this time, 2 calls were heard and Liu Jianxing looked sideways. I saw Lao Gao and the elders of the Zhang family running over. Lao Gao quickly took Gu Yan from Liu Jianxing's hands and supported him. Master, are you okay? After taking the medicine, Gu Yan sighed and said, I was careless after being bewitched by the dagger. Mo Chen-yun's strength is far beyond what it used to be. But at least the breath of the night was obtained. After hearing this, Mr. Zhang's expression showed a hint of joy, as if he had finally heard some good news. Gu Yan looked up at the blood-red heart on the residential building and said solemnly, Lao Gao, what's the situation now? Hearing this, a tired voice came from the distance. Let me explain. Bai Jun walked over with a tired look on his face. He looked at Gu Yan and Liu Jianxing, sighed, and explained. The situation is not optimistic now. According to the investigation team, this heart is most likely a medium-switched organism, and the LUDs in this residential building are most likely the nutrients for this heart. They try to attack the heart, but everyone's attack would be absorbed by it the moment it touched the heart. Whether it's true ki or sword energy, it will all be absorbed and turned into nutrients. And if the heart senses danger, it will launch a terrifying self-defense attack. As he spoke, Biao Jun glanced at some official members in the center of the formation who were covering their injured parts with distorted faces in pain. At their wounds, there were several tiny, thread-like creatures that kept wriggling. If the treatment team hadn't been here, the injured warriors would probably not have been able to see the rising sun at all. Liu Jianxing's expression was extremely ugly. Damn it. Only he could create such an evil thing. They must want to collect everyone's souls into their heart, and then let the Night King devour them. Wu Yan was silent for a while. Then he slowly asked, how many people do we have now? Hearing this, Bai Jun's face looked somewhat sad. He clenched his fists, looked at the dozen people present, and lamented, these are all we have, but there may be more on their way. All the major sects have been attacked by Yi's members to varying degrees. We must prepare for the worst. And just at this moment, everything is here. I didn't expect you were still alive. Mr. Gu. A leisurely and teasing voice came from not far away. Everyone turned their heads and saw Shangguan Maiyin, who looked spotless, and Ning Qian, whose cheeks were stained with blood, walking towards them. Miss Ning and Shangguan Maiyin. I didn't expect you guys to wake up. Wu Yan joked with a pale face. Ning Qian's expression looked a little unnatural. She naturally didn't want to say that she had had a sweet dream due to the influence of the formation. Shangguan Maiyin was waiting for Gu Yan to leave so that she could report the situation to Ling Qingqiu. So she also pretended to be asleep. When he saw Gu Yan covered in bruises, he almost laughed out loud. Hey, looks like I ran into that group of fake Yi. It really deserves it. Poor man, miserable man, hehehe. On the surface, Shangguan Maiyin looked at the heart on the residential building with a hint of surprise in her eyes. What is this? The core of the formation. Such a strong evil smell. Is this the capital for disguising as Yi? It is also necessary to report this matter to the owner. Ning Qian also looked at the heart, with a hint of disgust in her eyes. She frowned and said, what a disgusting smell. This smell is very evil. It feels exactly like the smell of the night my master described. As she spoke, Ning Qian drew out her sword and said, if we destroy the heart, we can break the formation. Right? Wait, this heart is very special. If you use attacks like True Ki, it will only make the heart stronger. And if you attack rashly, your heart will also activate its self-defense mode. The White Army stopped him. Ning Qian stopped moving after hearing this, frowned and asked, what should we do now? Should we just wait like this? No, we have another solution. Of course it's just a guess. Bai Jun slowly stated the strategy that they had discussed before. Every object has its weaknesses. This huge heart is no exception. It is obviously abnormal for it to absorb so much true energy. Or rather, we don't believe that it can absorb endlessly. So, having said that, everyone present understood. Wu Yan pondered for a moment and then continued. So we want this heart to continuously absorb true energy until it reaches the critical point? Seeing that Gu Yan understood what he meant, Bai Jun nodded and said, yes, that's what I mean. By the way, besides us, there is another mysterious existence that is extremely powerful. You should have some impression of Gu Yan. He was the one at the previous banquet. As he spoke, Bai Jun pointed at Mu Rongxi, who was standing in the corner not far away. The Aoyan and Deng Feng were also standing there, communicating with the people from Xuanwu Gate. Gu Yan and others looked in the direction he was looking. When I saw Mu Rongxi with a calm face and Bai Yan with a frightened and delicate face, Shangguan Maiyin slowly put a question mark. No, you guys have to follow the same path as me, right? Damn it. No, I must get into the warrior department earlier than Bai Yan and the others. See this scene? Gu Yan nodded, with a hint of inexplicable meaning in his eyes. Okay, we don't know if there are other enemies. At once. Let's make it quick and decisive. Chapter 209 Puppet Gu Yan and Puppet Lao Gao exit. The center of the formation. Boom boom boom. The blood-red heart of the evil creature was still beating, and the deafening sound made everyone's face look very solemn. Downstairs of residential building, several members of the investigation team in white uniforms raised their instruments and shouted to the White Army. Sir, the instrument detected that the key capacity of this evil object is roughly equivalent to that of 3 masters. Hearing this, the Bai Army and a group of warriors looked delighted. A warrior asked, what does this mean? Does it mean that we only need to send more than 3 Grandmaster warriors, true key to this evil weapon to break this formation? Bai Jun shook his head when he heard this. Not necessarily. The value detected only gives us a rough idea. If the absorption exceeds this value, the heart may explode, or some other unexpected situation may occur. All in all, we have to take a gamble. As soon as these words came out, another warrior asked hesitantly, can't we wait here for support from outside? We have never seen such evil creatures. Wouldn't it be too dangerous to act rashly? Besides, can we really do it with just a few of us? Bai Jun took a deep breath, with a hint of determination in his eyes. We also want to wait for support from outside, but in fact you have also seen it. He is going to sacrifice everyone in the formation. The longer it takes, the more danger the people will face. So we have to stop this. As soon as these words came out, everyone fell silent. Gu Yan nodded in agreement. Aren't we here to protect the people and the world? I'm the first one to join if we don't block here. What will happen to the people behind us? It's not a question of whether we can do it or not. But we must do it. Upon hearing this, everyone looked at Gu Yan with a hint of surprise in their eyes. Immediately afterwards, everyone seemed to be encouraged by Gu Yan's words. Well said, I agree with what Gu Yan said. Liu Jianxing also stood next to Gu Yan and said, okay, I agree, we're going to die anyway, why not give it a try? Right, I agree too. Young Master Gu is so courageous. He is truly a young hero of our time. Gu Yan's words ignited the fighting spirit of each person, and they all put aside the fear in their hearts. Far away, Ang Feng's expression looked a little ugly and he was at a loss. He clenched his fists and looked at Gu Yan in disbelief. Why is Gu Yan also a warrior? And the status is also very high. Why is this so? Grandpa Turtle lay on Ding Feng's head and praised. Xiao Fengzi, this guy named Gu Yan is indeed a character. But you don't need to be discouraged. After all, you are my successor. As a man of destiny, people like Gu Yan will become your stepping stones. These ordinary geniuses will only be the threshold to meet you in the future. What does a flash in the pan genius care about? You are destined to take a different path from them. Hearing this, Deng Feng's mood immediately improved a lot. He even seemed to have gained some enlightenment, and when he looked at Gu Yan, there was a hint of calmness in his eyes. Yes, Mr. Turtle is right. Gu Yan and I are people on the different paths. The other party is just an ordinary genius. But so what if he is a genius? I am a man of destiny, carrying the energy of Xuan Wu. From now on, Gu Yan will be left further and further behind by me. Master Turtle, you're right, I shouldn't fight with someone who will be trampled under my feet. Deng Feng's expression became calmer. He figured it out. The White Army sighed. Because time is tight. So after briefly sorting out the current situation, he then said to the dozen warriors gathered here, there are a total of 13 innate warriors who are able to move. Including me, there are 3 grandmasters present. In order to deal with certain emergencies, everyone needs to retain more than half of their true energy. Warriors with lower cultivation levels than Xiantian should step aside. Is that a problem? After finishing speaking, Bai Zheng looked at everyone. No problem. Understood. After getting a positive answer, the White Army took a deep breath and said, okay, then the battle begins. The words fell. Everyone quickly followed instructions and came to the designated location. As they approached to check out the heart attached to the residential building, everyone's breathing quick and slightly. I saw densely packed lines with clear textures on the surface of the heart. If you look closely, you can see the texture is creeping. It must be the tiny tentacles that attacked the warrior before. At this time, because no one had the intention to attack, the tentacles were very quiet. Okay, everyone start transferring your true energy. Bai Jun stretched out his hand, and a strand of true energy slowly flowed into his heart. Everyone looked over and noticed that the heart had not activated its self-defense. A look of relief appeared on their faces. It seemed that the heart would not attack them if there was no intention to attack. So everyone began to transmit true energy. Murong Cei looked at the heart, recalling Biao Yan's instructions to him, and then he stretched out his hand and started to transport it. But there was one thing that made him feel very strange. That is, he glanced sideways at Gu Yan not far away, not knowing why. At this moment, his heart was extremely calm, as if the other party was not the real Gu Yan. Weird. Time passes by every second. Boom, boom. The heart kept beating. And it seemed like it was about to explode, because it could not withstand the supply of true energy. Quick, try harder, the evil creature seems to be dying. A warrior shouted with some joy. Liu Jianxing also encouraged Gu Yan, who looked a little pale, and said, Gu Yan, it seems like you're almost there. Hang in there a little longer. Gu Yan nodded, okay. However, at this moment, surges of evil aura suddenly came from all directions. At the same time, an angry voice resounded throughout the sky. Stop. Do you want to destroy our tribute to the Lord? As the sound passed by, terrifying black energy waves attacked everyone. Oh, no, it's night. Everyone get out of the way first. Feeling those powerful attacks, the White Army shouted hurriedly. However, it was still a step too slow. BNGBANGBANG. Several warriors who failed to react were blasted into pieces by the powerful shock wave. Bush. Puppet Gu Yan was dragged by Yu Jianxing to avoid the fatal attack. Everyone stopped transmitting their true energy and jumped to a safe place. Boom. As violent impacts hit the ground, clouds of dust and stone chips were raised. Crash. Everyone used their true ki to protect themselves to resist the remaining power of these attacks. Attention everyone, night is coming. The White Army roared. Deng Feng, who was standing not far away, also hurriedly pulled the frightened Biayan aside and said, Biayan, don't let go of my hand. Okay, brother Deng Feng. The Aelian nodded. Kokathis lie on the surface, but she was a little confused in her heart. Why does this situation seem so weird and unnatural? Changguan Mayayan had the same idea. Qian Ningqian stepped aside and looked at the figures covered by sand and dust in front of the evil creature with puzzled eyes. She didn't know why, but she always felt an inexplicable strange feeling in her heart. Next second, the dust slowly dissipated. Bei Jun and others looked over vigilantly. Just see. The black-robed figures stood in the lead, with a layer of black light flowing on their bodies. True Ki protects the body, a true energy that protects the master's safety at all times. This is the proof of a master. In addition, there were more than a dozen black-robed figures standing behind them, 2 of whom were extremely petite. Buzz buzz buzz. The searchlight in Liu Jianxing's hand kept sending out alarms. The searchlight is on. It's the same aura as the one that was bewitched by the dagger. Liu Jianxing shouted in shock. As soon as these words came out, everyone understood immediately. Is this the mastermind behind this incident? People from the Bei Jun, Xuan Wumen and other major sects looked solemn. Bei Jun took a deep breath and spoke slowly, his tone full of anger. Are you the culprits who caused all these events? Grandmasters, is this your confidence? The leader, Lao Gao and Mokla, did not speak. Instead, a black-robed figure took off his hood and walked out from the crowd, shocking everyone. The demonic rock of the heavenly demon sect. So the demon sect is really related to Yi? The leader of Xuan Wu sect roared in shock. During the battle to eliminate demons, they naturally knew people from Qian Mo sect. Bei Jun's expression also turned extremely ugly. Mo Yan, aren't you afraid of going to hell after you die by doing this? However, upon hearing this, Mo Yan only laughed grimly. Haha, so what if I go to hell? It's still much better than stopping at the innate stage of cultivation. White Army, give up. Not only you, but all the living beings in this formation. They must all die. It must all be presented to our Lord Night King. But you have been able to hold on until now. It seems that you are also geniuses among warriors, and what we adults like most is genius. If you are willing to submit to our master now, then... The words haven't finished yet. Puppet Guyan interrupted angrily. Bah, your actions are outrageous to both humans and gods. We can't possibly associate with evil people like you. Hear this. Everyone's fighting spirit was ignited. They all looked at Mo Yan and other members of the Night Organization and said angrily. That's right, young Master Gu is right. Some of our companions were killed or injured. We will never let go of this vengeance. You didn't win that time. You won't win this time either. Hearing these words, Mo Yan's face became extremely ugly, his cheeks twitched, and he was about to say something. The black-robed Lao Gao interrupted with a hoarse voice. Hey, demon rock. Since they don't know what's good for them, then we'll kill them all and present them to our Lord Night King. Following the order given by the black-robed Lao Gao. Brush, brush, brush. Each of the black-robed men was emitting surging demonic energy. The White Army looked extremely grim, as the enemy was coming at them aggressively, but their condition is very bad, and it would be good if they can exert half of their normal strength. But what made the White Army feel a little comforted was that they had 3 masters on their side. He looked at the group of black-robed men who were standing in front of the evil creature. Combined with their panicked roars just now, Bei Jun judged that the other party should be protecting the heart. It seems that their thoughts and ideas just now were correct. If we continue to let the evil things absorb it, we will definitely be able to break this formation. They have 3 grandmasters, while the other side has only 2. Therefore, as long as the 3 of them work together, they can eliminate 2 or even 1 of the other masters. It's possible, as long as they can hold on and destroy the heart. Once support arrives, they will win. Thinking of this, Bei Jun circulated his true energy, his eyes became firm, and he shouted loudly, everyone, prepare for battle. The words haven't finished yet. The White Army's breathing stagnated. Just see. The black-robed Lao Gao who was standing in front of him suddenly took a step forward. Buzz. He was extremely fast in the blink of an eye. He passed through the Ba army and Wurong Si and teleported in front of Gu Yan. With a hoarse voice, he stretched out his hand towards the puppet Gu Yan and laughed sarcastically. Aha, we have already investigated you, Master Gu Yan. If I kill you, the Gu family will be in chaos. So you will die here first. Boom. Lao Cao's right hand formed into a claw and directly grabbed the puppet Gu Yan's face. The latter just stood there in a daze as if he hadn't reacted. Master. The puppet Lao Gao's eyes were bloodshot and he rushed towards the other party with a roar. In a flash. Bang! The attack of the black-robed Lao Yao hit the back of the puppet Lao Gao. A powerful aura penetrated the opponent and hit Gu Yan. Puff. Ugh. Puppet Lao Gao holding Puppet Gu Yan was knocked far away by this powerful attack. The two men screamed and then fainted. People left the stage. Fast. Bai Jun finally reacted and looked at Gu Yan and Lao Gao, who were knocked away. Gu Yan! Gu Yan! Liu Jianxing also shouted in shock. Before he could react, Gu Yan beside him was knocked away by the enemy. Lao Gao retracted his hand, as if he was afraid that the crowd couldn't hear or feel it clearly. The voice was extremely exasperated and annoyed. Damn it. Really loyal. If it wasn't for you, the Grand Master, blocking this move, I'm afraid your young master would really be dead. But unfortunately, now you have one less Grand Master on your side. Now it's fair to both sides. Hearing this, Bai Jun immediately sensed Gu Yan and Lao Gao being knocked away. And he breathed a sigh of relief when he found that they were still alive. Then, endless anger surged in his chest. You deserve to die. After that boom, silvery white true energy emanated from Bai Jun's body, and even his eyes gradually turned silver. Lao Gao laughed. Silver key, so it's a magic warrior who specializes in fighting monsters. But what a shame. Do you think you can stop our plan just by doing this? The formation is almost complete. You will all die. Everyone, attack. The words fell. A dozen men in black robes also rushed towards the crowd. Be careful, don't get distracted. Zhang family elder Zhang Yiqi's loud shout immediately attracted everyone's attention. And they began to concentrate on facing the black-robed man who suddenly appeared. Chapter 210 Everyone's Beliefs. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Liu Jianxing came back to his senses, holding the sword in his hand, and began to resist the attack of the man in black robe. Ding ding ding. The people in black robes were like demonic shadows in the darkness. Rapidly approaching them, each of them exuded an evil aura that made people feel depressed and uneasy. Everyone had a sharp weapon in his hand, and they started fighting with the righteous warriors. The flashes of swords and sabers continued to flicker in this bloody night. In addition, the White Army, his whole body was bathed in silver white true energy, and he turned into a flickering silver shadow. He clenched the long sword in his hand and said to Murong-Si beside him, Murong-Si, just as I guessed just now, my heart is about to collapse. Let's kill the two opponents as soon as possible. Hurry up. Murong-Si heard this and nodded calmly. Yes. Hey. Lao Gao looked at the two people standing in front of him and laughed. Why, are you so confident that you can handle us? That's great. Let me enjoy the thrill of fighting. Boom. After saying that, his whole body was filled with demonic energy and he rushed towards the two of them. A demon's claws rushed towards the two without saying a word. The NGBA where figures collided with each other. And a powerful aura continued to wash the surrounding space. Crash. The hurricane howled, disrupted the fighting rhythm of the rest of the people. So strong. Is this a battle between grandmasters? Don't be distracted. Deal with these black-robed men first. As soon as the battle began, Lao Zhao discovered the tactics of Bai Jun and Murong-Si. The two wanted to deal with him first and then deal with the claws. This was exactly what he wanted. After all, he was the one who was going to leave. Of course, it was already very difficult for him to deal with two masters alone. Even though it was wrapped by the claws, the strength did not actually increase much. After all, the current upper limit of the claws was the peak of the early Grand Master level. But it doesn't matter. His mission is not to defeat the Ba army and Murong-Si. It's just to create the illusion of appearing at night. BANG. GLA, LAL. The battle entered a white-hot stage, with both sides fighting back and forth, swords flying everywhere. And the scene was extremely intense. After fighting for hundreds of rounds, the White Army found Lao Zhao's weakness. The silver true energy was icy cold. And the moment it came into contact with Lao Gao's eerie and terrifying demonic energy, it instantly froze the opponent's true energy. Make the other party suffer. Rush. Lao Gao stepped aside, looked at his frozen wrist and shouted at Bai Jun in disbelief. It's actually the Silver Key Perpetual Freeze Realm. A perpetual freeze realm that can freeze all ki. Impossible. How old are you to have cultivated to this level? Bai Jun did not stop, but grasped the long sword and stabbed at Lao Gao fiercely. No point in talking anymore. This is the technique created to deal with you evil demons. As soon as the words fell, boom. The powerful silver true energy blasted towards Lao Gao, and even the air seemed to be frozen. Lao Gao was about to run away, but found that his feet were frozen by ice. At this time, the White Army also immediately shouted, Murong-Si. Attack. Next second. Rub. Pure white bone spurs continuously shot out from Murong-Si's fingertips. The secret art of the white bone. You are actually the descendant of the White Bone clan? Lao Zhao was horrified when he saw this and shouted. No. He looked at the equally wounded demon claw beside him. Help. Boom. The voice stopped abruptly. As the bone spur penetrates. The black robe Lao Gao was instantly pierced to death. Without any breath left. With the death of Lao Gao in black robe. Most of the black robe men on Li Jianxing's side were also dealt with. The devil's claws covered the injured part and retreated to the heart. The petite black robed figures also appeared breathlessly beside the demon's claws. Grown-ups. Sir, we have failed. Shitu and Xiaobi bowed their heads and apologized. To be honest, I knew this was part of the plan. But when they saw Gu Yan's fake body being knocked away, their hearts were still tightened. Snap, snap. Di Jun and others came to the three people of Demon Claw. The former shouted angrily, "Evil cannot prevail over good. You can never be our opponent. Surrender." The other warriors also condemned each other. Hearing this, Demon Claw covered his injured part and slowly stood up. His gloomy voice reached everyone's ears. "Stupid guys. Night's resurgence is inevitable. And that sir will once again cover the sky with darkness." As he spoke, the devil's claws slowly approached his heart. He took a deep breath, and a dark light emanated from his body. "All of you will die in the future, and I will become one with the Night King. Wake up, heart of the evil." As the words fell, buff, puff, buff, the heart suddenly became restless, and tentacles suddenly emerged from the heart and wrapped around the devil's claws. Shitu and Xiaobi. Everyone be careful. The White Army didn't know what the other side had done. But it had a very bad feeling. In just a few breaths, the Demon Claw and others were completely absorbed. Immediately following, a scene appeared that made everyone present turn pale. Gaj. Just see. A bloody mouth gradually grew in the middle of the heart, full of tiny, sharp teeth. Rub rub rub. Tentacles quickly rushed towards the people present. First came the injured warrior lying on the ground. Ugh. Help. As screams were heard, the tentacles retracted, leaving behind only a pile of dried corpses. Looking at the heart with its bloody mouth wide open, the aura has been enhanced. And as if it was trying to reminisce or something, its heart stopped beating. This thing wants to eat true ki? I'm not moving now, is it because I need to digest? Bai Jun understood immediately, and he shouted, "It's just as I guessed at the beginning. This heart is the key to the formation. Because we have already transferred the true ki at the beginning. A heart needs some time to digest the true ki. We can't let it consume the ki bit by bit. Instead, we must inject a large amount of ki into it all at once." As soon as these words came out, most of the warriors hurriedly shouted, "Are you crazy, Bai Jun? Will this method work? The heart is alive and wants to eat us. Without our true energy, we really won't be able to fight back. This is the only way. What will happen to the people if we don't destroy the formation? We will all die here. I don't care, I'm going to die anyway. You want to be angry, right? Eat it all, monster." Following the decisive action of one warrior after another, people stood up one after another. The true energy was transmitted towards the heart. The White Army also gritted their teeth and tried their best to transport. "Come on, for the world, for my family, to protect the people I want to protect." Everyone yelled with flushed faces, continuously channeling their true energy into their hearts. The effect was very significant. The heart began to scream, as if there was too much true energy that could not be digested in time. It began to gradually become dark, twisted and twitched. Time passes slowly. Plop plop plop. One by one, they fell to the ground due to exhaustion, and they looked towards their hearts nervously and weakly. Thump. Bai Jun and Murong Ci also fell to the ground because their true energy was exhausted. What's going on? Why hasn't the heart exploded yet? How much can it eat? Everyone shouted in shock and panic. Bai Jun looked at the heart in disbelief. How could it be? The heart was several times bigger than before, and the cry was even more miserable than before. But why didn't it explode? Not enough ki. The ki supply is still not enough. Just a little bit. He felt it was really just a little bit. Because I just fought with the night members for a while. I consumed some of my true energy. So it's not enough. Hateful. Damn it. A White Army punched the ground unwillingly. At this time, the bloody heart had swelled to a terrifying size. Even the skin became transparent because of absorbing too much true energy. Everyone knows that the other party has reached the critical point. But there is no more true energy. The evil creature also became irritable and uncomfortable, as if it had consumed too much true energy. Rub rub rub. Dense and brutal tentacles continued to emerge. Blast in all directions. Puff puff. The exhausted warriors became lambs to be slaughtered. "This is Deng Feng." He looked pale and uneasy, and quickly asked Grandpa Turtle. "Grandpa Turtle, what should I do? What's going on?" Grandpa Turtle also looked extremely unhappy. "Oh no, Xiao Fengzi, the energy is not enough," and the evil creature went berserk. "It's a pity that you are too weak now, and your energy is dispensable. No, I'll make an opening for you in the formation. Let's run away. As long as the Green Mountains remain, there will be no shortage of firewood. Ang Feng was a little conflicted after hearing this. No, I want to take Bialian with me. It's already this time and you're still thinking about women? No, I have to protect Bialian. At this time, I don't know if the tentacles did it on purpose or what, but they happened to attack Deng Feng. See this scene. Bialian seemed to have thought of something. She hurriedly pushed away Deng Feng, who was arguing with Mr. Turtle, and shouted, "Brother Deng Feng, be careful." Puff. The sound stopped abruptly. A tentacle pierced through Bialian's body, and the powerful force directly pierced the opponent into the air and then slammed him heavily to the ground. Snap! Warm blood splashed on Deng Feng's face. Deng Feng, who was pushed to the ground, suddenly made an unclear sound. What's going on? What's wrong? He looked tremblingly at Bialian, whose chest was pierced by the tentacles. There was a relieved smile on the other person's face after seeing that Deng Feng was fine. Bialian said with a weak breath, "It's so good. Brother Deng Feng, are you okay?" This way Yao Lian will feel relieved. The breath gradually disappeared, and the light in Bialian's eyes also disappeared. A moment. Buzz. Deng Feng's mind went blank and the voice in his ears suddenly disappeared. Blah, blah. Deng Feng's eyes shrank into needlepoints. His breathing became extremely rapid, and his heart seemed to be about to jump out of his chest. White Lotus. Yaoyan is dead? In front of me. Why? How? Why is this happening? Why? Plop, plop. Why? Because you are too weak. You can't guard anything. You can't protect anything. You can only watch people die one after another in front of you. Deng Feng, you can do anything. An unknown bewitching voice kept echoing in Deng Feng's ears. Deng Feng's body began to tremble. Yes, I am too weak. Because he was too weak, he could not participate in a battle of this level. Because he was too weak, Bialian died. It's all because I'm too weak. But even so, unforgivable. Unforgivable. I can't forgive. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Deng Feng raised his head and looked at the evil creature with a bloody mouth in the distance. His whole body burst into emerald green light. I can't forgive you. You damn evil demon. Roar. A huge shadow of Xuanwu appeared on Deng Feng. A powerful sacred aura impacted this face. Boom. Deng Feng's hair turned green, and his brain was flooded with hatred and anger. At this moment, he instantly possessed the strength of a grand master. Buzz. You deserve to die. Deng Feng arrived in front of the evil demon in the blink of an eye, clenched his fists and fiercely attacked the evil demon. Roar. As if sensing the threat, the evil creature's heart screamed and released its tentacles to resist. The Bai army and others who were ready to wait for death were suddenly shocked. Xuanwu Shadow. This is the energy of Xuanwu. Why do we have another person with destiny here? The members of Xuanwu sect shouted in surprise. Deng Feng can use Xuanwu Qi. The other warriors were also excited. He was the man of destiny. They shouted and screamed wildly, instilling all their beliefs into Deng Feng. The descendant of Xuanwu. This time, there is salvation. Go ahead, Destiny Boy. Charge, Deng Feng, bring us our faith. Blast that evil demon. Deng Feng, come on. Don't lose. Kid, go ahead. Everyone screamed at the top of their lungs, and Deng Feng's belief also reached its peak. That's right. Respond to everyone's beliefs, Deng Feng. Use this power to protect everyone. Destroy the evil in front of you. Grandpa Turtle also shouted excitedly to Deng Feng in his mind. Little Fengzi, come on, I didn't expect you to really use it. I really didn't make a mistake about you. Shout, expect. Co-lover, family. All kinds of beliefs come together. Deng Feng looked at the evil demon with unprecedented confidence in his heart. It works. Just like what Gu Yan said. It's not a question of if I can do it. It's now, I have to do it. He gritted his teeth and swung hard when he saw the tentacle shield being destroyed, revealing the heart itself. Deng Feng took a deep breath, released all his strength, and yelled, "Go to hell, evil." However, it's like pressing the pause button on the world. Deng Feng's movements and voices all came to an abrupt halt. The strong airflow blew away all the dust, revealing the current scene. Then, it seemed as if to declare his arrival. Buzz. Boom. A creepy pressure suddenly descended upon this place. A strange aura that was so powerful, but it made everyone's scalp tingle constantly impacted people's hearts. Plop, plop. All they could hear was each other's breathing and heartbeats. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Everyone stared blankly at the scene in front of them, as if they could not believe their eyes. Their minds were blank, leaving only fear and despair. Deng Feng is a man of destiny. He was promoted to a Grand Master in a short period of time and was obviously only one step away from turning the tide. But now why is it like this? Why is it different from what they imagined? This is the only thought on everyone's mind. Everyone looked on in horror and stunned expression. No, no way. Are there any more enemies? Everyone murmured to themselves. As if they had not expected things to turn out like this. Especially when they saw that the heart was not destroyed. Everyone was filled with endless despair. Their breathing became increasingly difficult. As if they had temporarily lost the ability to breathe because they could not accept this cruel reality. Just see. A existence that suddenly appeared and made people unable to raise any resistance. Dressed in strange black clothes. Then he grabbed the neck of the explosive Deng Feng with one hand. The latter had his mouth wide open because his throat was pinched. And his eyes were empty. Obviously he was unconscious. Immediately following, under the stiff expressions of the crowd, Guyan pinched Deng Feng's neck and lifted him up. Boom! The whistling sound of demonic energy cut through the space. The creepy demonic energy instantly enveloped the black tortoise shadow behind Deng Feng. No! All I heard was Grandpa Turtle wailing. The shadow of Xuanwu was completely swallowed up. Immediately following, Guyan threw away Deng Feng, who he had deliberately left with a breath, just like throwing away garbage. He turned around and looked at the people with desperate expressions. Slowly speaking, "Sorry, everyone," a voice filled with arrogance appeared. As if coming from the abyss. "I'm sorry to disappoint you." Boom! Roar! As the words fell, a dark evil shadow of Xuanwu emitting black energy appeared behind Guyan. Xuanwu Qi, swallowed successfully. There was a roar in everyone's ears. And everyone felt the despair of the moment. Chapter 211. What do you take life for? Are you kidding me? Why is this happening? There are still enemies. Is Deng Feng dead? What should we do now? If this is the case, then what are all the efforts we have made before? Everyone knelt on the ground with despair in their eyes. And their voices were full of despair. Bi Jun no longer had any energy left at this time. And he looked at the black figure in disbelief. The other party's every move was filled with arrogance. And just standing there made it impossible for people to muster any desire to resist. Who is it who has such an oppressive power? At this time, the leader of Xuanwu's eyes widened, and he shouted in panic. "A Night King! It's the Night King! This image is exactly the same as before. We are done. The Night King is really resurrected." Especially when seeing the dark version of evil Xuanwu behind Guyan. He became even more incoherent, holding his head and shouting in panic. The Black Tortoise's energy has actually been absorbed by the Night King. The Man of Destiny has been destroyed, and the world is going to be in chaos. It's over, the prophecy has come true. We will all puff. The words haven't finished yet. Just like a compressed can that suddenly turn flat. A noisy Xuanwu sect master was instantly crushed into a meat patty by an unknown force. Everyone's eyes widened immediately and their breathing stopped for a moment. Dead? How did he die? At this time, just like squeezing a bug to death. Guyan said coldly, "You talk too much. There are too many people." As soon as these words came out, everyone looked up and saw Guyan slowly raising his hand. Roar! The evil Xuanwu behind him immediately roared angrily. Boom! Pillars of dark fire fell from the sky. Pa. Puff puff. In just a breath, countless warriors were crushed into charred brown meat patties. Feelings of panic, collapse and despair continued to spread. The fact that they have managed to hold on until now is enough to prove that they are geniuses in the ancient martial arts world. But even if you are a genius, they also sense the powerlessness of the moment. Without their true energy, they became lambs to be slaughtered. Bang, bang, bang! In less than a moment, the field suddenly became much emptier. It seemed like a small thing. Guyan withdrew his hand, glanced calmly at the remaining people present, and said slowly, "Now all the trash had been cleared out. But I also lost a lot of manpower. So as a reward for your persistence until now, I give you a choice. First, death. Second, submit to me." Buzz. Liu Jianxing watched the people around him die one after another. And his mind had already gone blank. His body had long been stained with the blood of others. Dead? All dead? He was killed so easily. And what the other party said? He looked at Guyan blankly. Even now it had come to this. And the other party still thought that they would submit to him? Shangguan Maiyin put away her mentality of watching the show. She pretended to be exhausted and sat on the ground, looking at Guyan in black with serious eyes. Very strong. Super strong. And for some reason, Shangguan Maiyin had a weird feeling. If he didn't know that his master was the Night King, I'm afraid she really thinks that the being standing over there is the Night King. Whether it is the oppressive force, temperament, image or even means, he is exactly the same as the Night King. This matter must be told to the master. Fake Yi, it's not a false appearance created by the demon sect, but there really is such an organization. Although they really didn't want to have an internal voice call with the other two teammates, they obviously had to think of a way to resolve the current situation. So she said in her mind, Murong Ci, can you tell the strength of this person? I can't tell, but there is one thing I can confirm. What? This person, just from the way he stands. He's extremely strong. What does Ba Alyan think? Don't make any noise, I'm pretending to be a corpse now. Okay? It's useless to ask these two people. Changwan Maiyan calmed her mind and fell into deep thought. Following her master's request, they wanted to infiltrate the righteous side. And from now on, they have actually successfully infiltrated the inside. But the best effect will be achieved after everything is over. Therefore, what we need to do now is to help Ba Jun, the person in charge of John Ha, get out of the current situation. What to do? If he showed his hidden strength, how could he explain his weakness just now? It would only increase suspicion. However, next second, in the corner of Shangguan Maiyan's eye, she saw a figure propping up a sword on the ground. She was stunned, then looked over. Just see. Ning Qian stood up. Her body covered in blood, but her eyes were filled with anger. This 16-year-old girl experienced the cruelty of the night for the first time. She raised her sword and pointed it at Gu Yan, shouting, "Are you kidding me? You must be joking. Why can you say that so easily? Loss of manpower, reward, submission to you? What on earth are you? What do you think of so many lives?" As soon as these words came out, the air was quiet for a moment. Shangguan Maiyan glanced at Ning Qian and admired her in her heart. As expected of a disciple of Long Wang Mountain, it is right to hate evil. But one must also know the situation. The person in front of you is definitely a cold-blooded and heartless person. There is a high probability that he will get angry and kill you with one palm after what he said to you. What a pity actually, as my sister, I still like you very much. After all, you are a genius. But now I can only say goodbye. However, what no one expected was, Gu Yan just spoke calmly, and slowly gave an answer that none of them had expected. Life. Do you care how many ants you've stepped on? Everyone's breathing stopped. Shangguan Maiyan didn't expect this answer, and her judgment of Gu Yan's dangerousness increased again. Ning Qian's expression was dull for a moment, then turned into endless anger. She clenched the sword in her hand and stared at Gu Yan. I think too much. People like you don't have any emotions at all. Ning Qian said this, closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened her eyes again, her eyes turned golden and her expression became resolute. I am Ning Qian, the 33rd generation disciple of Long Wang Mountain. I swear to hunt down the Night King forever in this life. Boom, as the words fell. Buzz buzz buzz. Waves of golden energy gushed out. The White Army was shocked. Dragon Key. This is Dragon Key. The dragon aura on Ning Qian is so strong. Is this the essence of Long Wang Mountain? Gu Yan looked at the other person, feeling helpless. Is this the basic operation of the heroine in the original novel? You're always going to get an explosion, right? But it doesn't matter. Anyway, most of the plan has been completed, so it's a good opportunity to try out my abilities. Thinking of this, he slowly said, interesting. Hawking Gululu. A long sword with black patterns suddenly appeared in Gu Yan's palm. Wow, the shadow of the evil black tortoise disappeared. Gu Yan's tone also became extremely arrogant at this moment. I like geniuses. If you beat me, I will let all of you go. If you lose, you will all die. I will only use the sword during this time. Ning Qian was instantly overwhelmed by this arrogant attitude. She immediately drew her sword and flashed over. Go to hell. You evil heretic. Gu Yan raised his hand to block, and the black sword collided with the sword emitting golden light. Flang. A strong air current sweeps through ear. Chapter 212. The night raid is over. Xiaoling's decision. Ding ding ding. Ning Qian's attack was as fast as lightning. The sword with golden light broke through the air, like a meteor cutting through the night, heading straight for Gu Yan. Her sword force was surging, and each strike contained terrifying power. However, facing such a violent attack, Gu Yan seemed relaxed and at ease, as if he had already seen through Ning Qian's moves. Gu Yan's sword turned lightly in his hand, as light as a feather in the hands of a dancer. He seemed to be able to accurately predict every attack of Ning Qian, and always responded easily before the tip of the sword was about to touch his clothes. When the metallic symphony between the golden sword and the black sword rang out, a playful smile appeared on Gu Yan's lips. His swordsmanship is not only precise, but also has an indescribable elegance and calmness. It was completely different from the brutal tactics used by the other party just now. Full. Ning Qian was very upset. She discovered that at the moment when her sword and the opponent's sword crossed, Gu Yan's figure would suddenly become hazy, as if turning into the wind. When she came to her senses, she would be surprised to find that her fierce sword had stabbed into the void. Gu Yan's figure solidified on the other side, and his black sword gently touched Ning Qian's sword spine, making a crisp sound. The surrounding air became distorted due to the sword energy of the two. The dust was flying, but it did not touch Gu Yan at all. His sword skills are like a god wandering in the void. And his footwork is like a dragon flying through the clouds. Every step is just right, both threatening and beautiful, perfectly reflecting his ease and playful fighting style. Ding ding ding. Sword energy was everywhere. Ning Qian was angry and helpless. She knew that Gu Yan's strength was far beyond hers. Every time his attack was easily resolved, anger would accumulate in her heart. Everyone's death, the other party's indifference to life, and one's own weakness. All of this was done in order to make Ning Qian kill the evil demon in front of her immediately. As the fight between Gu Yan and Ning Qian became more intense, the people around them were completely attracted by this unusual confrontation. Liu Jianxing's eyes were fixed on the two figures. His heartbeat accelerated with the collision of the sword tips and became nervous with every dodge and attack. When he saw Gu Yan gracefully and easily resolve Ning Qian's attack, he couldn't help but take a breath and was shocked to the extreme. How did this guy learn his sword skills? Why is he so strong? It was clearly just a sword fight, and clearly no martial arts were used. Why? Why is he so strong? Is his opponent not only in cultivation, but also in swordsmanship? The Night King, is he really that powerful? Why didn't he just kill us? Instead, he was fighting Ning Qian with swordsmanship. Sudden, Liu Jianxing seemed to have figured something out. Even the White Army's expressions became somewhat powerless. Is Gu Yan just making fun of them? That's why he didn't just kill. Damn it, in front of the real strong, we are so weak. But, it's not that there is no chance. The BA army looked at Ning Qian. If the Night King had any credibility, he would agree to let them go after they lost the sword fight. Although it is shameful, this is the only way to survive at the moment. Night King, you are too arrogant. You don't understand the ultimate swordsmanship secrets of the Dragon King Mountain disciples. Rumor has it that Ning Qian, as the second disciple of Dragon King Mountain, has already mastered that unique skill. As long as she uses it, she will definitely win this battle. Ning Qian is here. She calmed her mind while attacking. Calm down, Ning Qian. Calm down and think about what your masters taught you on Long Wang Mountain. Ning Qian, you have talents that are not inferior to your senior brother, but your personality is too impulsive. Don't let anger take over your brain. Think about the problem rationally, find the opponent's weakness rationally. Ning Qian, observe carefully. Observe and stay calm. Ning Qian recalled the teachings of her masters in her mind. While breathing, she carefully watched Gu Yan's moves. No matter how fiercely you attack, the opponent will always find a way to break through. You can't hit the opponent, nor can you get close to him. In that case, Ning Qian made a decision after fighting again. Ding, the two swords are out of place. Finally, in a perfect turn, boof, Gu Yan's black sword pierced Ning Qian's shoulder. Blood splattered everywhere, and Ning Qian's pale face seemed to tell of her failure. He seemed to sense something on Gu Yan's side, and said lightly, "You lose." Defeated? However, Ning Qian was not as upset as expected. She just sneered and dragon-shaped true energy burst out from her body. Boom. It's you who lost, prepare to die. Dragon head sword energy suddenly shot out from Ning Qian towards Gu Yan. The last move, Dragon Roar. Buff, buff, buff. Countless dragon head sword energies slashed at Gu Yan. In just a breath, Gu Yan was destroyed by these fierce attacks until nothing was left. Thump. Ning Qian fell to the ground panting, her eyes filled with the feeling of having survived a disaster. The last move of the Shenlong sword technique is Dragon Roar. It requires consuming one's own dragon essence, and recovery takes years. But it's all worth it. When Yu Jianxing saw this scene, he suddenly found it a bit funny. Win-win? Di Jun was also a little bit unbelieving, but the ashes on the ground confirmed that Gu Yan was dead. The Night King is dead? He swallowed, but why didn't the uneasiness in his heart disappear? Shangguan Maiyin and others also had the same idea. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. The strange feeling in her heart now reached its peak. Everything was too coincidental. First there was the surprise attack at night, and then the warriors were gathered together for encirclement and suppression. The gathering place is still the core of the formation. Afterwards, the man in black robe brushed over and yelled to let them know the importance of the core. And then this fake Night King shows up and gets killed? How could it be possible that after all this, it would end in such a ridiculous way? Even funny adult movies can't be that outrageous. Sure enough. The next second. Aha, interesting. Clap, clap, clap. A burst of applause appeared in everyone's ears. Click. Everyone looked up. Gu Yan, who should have turned into ashes, actually walked out of the darkness and clapped gracefully. He let out a joyful laugh. Ning Qian, right? You are indeed very interesting. You have good strength, but unfortunately, you still failed. Ning Qian was stunned for a moment, and then a wave of fear rose in her heart. Why are you still alive? I think that's what you want to say. Gu Yan held the black sword and jokingly responded to Ning Qian's inner words. Ning Qian subconsciously looked at the ashes on the ground when she heard that. But there was nothing there. What's going on? Who was I fighting with? Ning Qian suddenly felt creepy. However, there was no time to think about it. Rub. Gu Yan turned the sword and aimed it at Ning Qian's forehead, who had no power to fight back. Then he glanced at everyone and said calmly, "As a group of insects, your only role is to bring me a little pleasure. Of course, I have to admit that I did experience a little bit of pleasure just now. As a favor, I won't let your departure be particularly painful." After saying that, Gu Yan turned his gaze to Ning Qian and slashed towards her with the sword. Ning Qian also closed her eyes as if she had accepted her fate. Bi Jun and Liu Ji and Xing also closed their eyes, unable to bear to watch any longer. As for Shangguan Mayayin and Mu Rongxi, they looked at each other, ready to take action at any time. However, at this moment, something strange happened. Buzz. Well, I'm sorry. A timid voice was heard, and then countless black space vortices appeared under everyone, including the unconscious puppet Gu Yan and puppet Lao Gao, as well as Bialian and others were also absorbed and taken away. It all happened in a flash. And Gu Yan seemed to have no reaction. I watched helplessly as everyone was rescued. In an instant, the center of the formation was empty, with only the Night King version of Gu Yan standing there. It doing this for a few minutes. After confirming that there is no one around, just like the end of a movie, the tense atmosphere in the venue disappeared in an instant. It's finally over. The claws faded from Gu Yan's body, revealing Gu Yan's complaining expression and voice. "Don't lie down, Lao Gao, get up quickly." Followed by a coughing sound. I saw Lao Gao, who was clearly a corpse, slowly standing up. The claws faded from Lao Gao, who tapped his shoulder helplessly. Young people nowadays are too amazing, I'm getting old. Then, gurgle. The heart of the evil creature that had absorbed a large amount of true energy and transformed from claws slowly squirmed, and then spit out Stone Xiaobian and the devil's claws. It gradually shrank back to its normal size and then jumped back to Gu Yan. Chirp. Gu Yan felt the harvest from the claws and smiled slightly. Well done. This big drama has finally come to an end. Now, everyone will know that the Night King has resurrected. And King Qi's subordinates will also become whitewashed personnel who can stand in the sun and have no connection with the Yi organization. The second step of the plan has been completed. Immediately following, Gu Yan looked at Deng Feng, who was lying on the ground with only one breath left. There was a hint of inexplicable meaning in his eyes. TSK, how pitiful. I clearly told Meizu to save everyone who is still breathing. But it is precisely because you are the successor of Xuan Wusek that she deliberately did not save you. Gu Yan raised his hand and a sharp thorn pierced Deng Feng's brain, completely destroying his possibility of survival. Then let his claws absorb the opponent's soul and store it in his body. This sister-brother line can also be recovered. Finally, Gu Yan snapped his fingers. Bang! The blood disappeared, and the nightmare sacrifice formation gradually fell apart. All things solved. As expected of me. Gu Yan let out a sneering laugh. He said to Lao Gao and the others, "Mission accomplished. Let's go back." As he said that, he looked at Shitu and Xiaobian. "Oh, by the way, Shitu and Xiaobian, you two did a great job on this mission. It's worth it that I specially sent the Demon Claw to find you. I'll buy you some candy next time I come to see you." "Thank you, sir. We will definitely continue to work hard." Shitu and Xiaobian shouted excitedly. Gu Yan nodded slightly. "Well, I finally solved one problem. Next, I have to make love with my dear King Qiu. King Qiu, my King Qiu, I miss you so much." King Qiu's emotional state before made Gu Yan unable to stop. If it weren't for the plan, he really wanted to stay in King Qiu's gentle place. "Ally, but King Qiu is too tired tonight, let's go tomorrow morning." "I don't know if King Qiu knows that I am so bold tonight." She actually cried, made a fuss and acted like a spoiled child in front of me. But, suddenly, Lao Gao kindly reminded him, "Master, have you forgotten that your puppet Gu Yan was injured and unconscious? You are not thinking of going to the Ling family tomorrow with a refreshed mind, are you?" Gu Yan. "Oh my god, I forgot about this." "Oh Gao, as a congenital warrior, it doesn't matter if you have stronger recovery ability, right?" Master, please stop joking, even I have to pretend to be weak. My King Qiu. Gu Yan began to crawl and twitch on the ground in a dark and twisted manner. Demon Claw and others. Ling family. Xiao Lang returned here. When she found out that the fake Yi was created by Gu Yan, she was no longer worried about his safety. Of course, it's not because I like the cauldron as much as the other me. I'm just worried that after the other party dies, I won't be able to provide myself with sustainable perception. Go up to the second floor. When Xiao Ling passed by the esports room, he saw Ling linger sleeping soundly there. According to science, Going to bed early and getting up early is good for your health. So she chose to let Leng Linger fall asleep immediately at that time. Only, Xiaoling looked at Leng Linger lying on the floor. After thinking about it, I decided to pull up the other person's legs and drag him to the bed. According to the male protagonist in the romance novel, he is very reluctant to sleep on the floor or kneel on the washboard. As Linger's sister, Xiaoling felt that she needed to instill some sisterly love in her. It's just that the other party seems to have some misunderstandings about me. She thought of Leng Linger's horrified look when she found out it was her who came out. I suddenly felt a little confused. She no longer needed the other person's blood and sweat. I and the other me felt relaxed, so she should also feel relaxed and happy. Why would I be afraid? Xiaoling didn't understand, but just felt that it was necessary to continue learning. While the other me is sleeping, this body has to keep working. The first thing I have to do is find the furnace to test the results of my learning. Another one that I keep saying I don't understand this or that. When Xiaoling thought of this, although his face was expressionless, his eyebrows were slightly wrinkled. I should be able to take in fluids and heighten my senses more efficiently than my other self. I will prove this on the cauldron. Certainly, it's all for revenge. Chapter 213 Link, Inkinkyu refuses to accept reality. Buzz. On the quiet and deserted street, black whirlpools appeared one after another. Plop, plop. Bi Jun and others fell down one by one like dumplings. What's going on? Are we saved? Liu Ji and Xing was a little confused. Didn't they almost die just now? Who saved them? At this moment, that timid voice appeared in the ears of several people again. Are you guys okay? I know some healing methods. Do you want me to help you? Of course, if you don't need it, forget it. Sorry, I'm sorry. I think talking so much will make you feel disgusted. After all, I'm not good at making friends. Bei Jun and others were stunned, then turned their heads to look. I saw two figures standing there. A blood-red rose in the dark night, full of beautiful and deadly aura. The other one was a little at a loss when he saw everyone looking over. He subconsciously avoided their gazes and clenched his hands nervously. The two people were Mei Zhu and Yu Xingzu. After Shangguan Miaoyan glanced at the other person, she became very angry. Damn it, why is it Mei Zhu again? Why is she everywhere? Yi Gillian felt the same way, although she pretended to be a corpse. She knew that the person coming was the newcomer and Mei Zhu, the person she hated the most. Damn it, Mei Zhu actually pretended to be wrong again. The White Army didn't know who the two people in front of them were, but at least they knew that someone saved them. So he stood up, bowed and thanked them. Thank you both for your help. What are your names? Hearing this, Mei Zhu pondered for a while and said, Mei Zhu, her name is Yu Xingzu. No need to thank me. The night is our common enemy. The revival of the night. More power means more protection. For the sake of world peace, we should unite together. Hearing this, the BA army felt relieved and realized that the other party was one of their own. So a bitter smile appeared on his face. Sorry, it's ridiculous. We have been on high alert for dozens of days. In the end, we were caught off guard by the Night King. If it weren't for your help, I'm afraid we would have died there. Upon hearing this, Mei Zhu glanced at Mu Rongxi and the others, who pretended not to know them. Well, probably I won't die there. However, this fakey's action brought her a surprise. After all, the master's mission is to infiltrate the decent side. And Gu Yan's last thing was to ask her to rescue all the people who were still alive. So she glanced cryptically at the puppet Gu Yan, who was lying unconscious on the ground. Now I not only saved you and completed the fifth task, but also completed the task assigned by the master. As for Deng Feng, as the successor of Xuanwu sect, he naturally would not be saved. This time I kill 3 birds with 1 stone. My master will definitely praise me a lot. And I was also able to learn the whereabouts of my brother from Gu Yan. After learning about it, he immediately reported Gu Yan's true face to the master. Get rid of this dangerous guy immediately. Think of this. Mei Zhu nodded slightly on the surface, then looked at Yu Xingzu. Go and treat them. Oh. Yu Xingzu walked over nervously. He started treating everyone. Because of the special nature of her abilities, she only needs to look at each technique once to learn it. Alright. She looked at the puppet Gu Yan, who was receiving treatment. There was a hint of anxiety in my heart. The next step is to go to Gu Yan to ask for information about his brother. The next morning, at the Leng family, the room was surrounded by misty morning light. And on it was a spacious and soft big bed. Leng Qingqiu's black hair, like a meteor waterfall, gently fell on the white pillow. Her sleeping face was peaceful, and her long eyelashes trembled slightly, as if dancing gently in the breeze. A slight backache gently dissipated in Leng Qingqiu's heart, and she woke up in a daze on this comfortable morning. Why do I feel sore all over? Leng Qingqiu stood up and stretched. Her face, half awake and half asleep, revealed a girl's innocence. The sleepiness in the corners of her eyes was like lingering deadrops. making her look particularly clear and endearing. She sat up gently, her posture graceful and calm, her black hair swaying gently with her movements. And she walked to the window, drew aside the curtains, and let herself be completely bathed in the warm and vibrant morning light. Opened the windows. She took a deep breath of fresh air, feeling the gentle breeze from outside. Just 1 second. 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Ling Qingyu's extraordinary memory, which already surpassed that of ordinary people, gradually outlined an absurd memory that made her blush. As time went by, those fragments of memory seemed to be activated by a mysterious force and suddenly came to my mind. Her eyes suddenly opened and her hands tightly grasped the curtains. She felt the wetness in her palms and her body trembled uncontrollably. Ling Qingyu's cheeks were instantly tinged with a light pink. And then the color gradually deepened, finally becoming as hot and obvious as a flame. She bit her lip tightly, with shame and uncertainty in her voice, and whispered to herself, wait a minute, did I do something to Guyan last night? Ling Qingyu's heart was beating like a drum. Those memories, those sudden emotional outbursts, the crying and acting like a spoiled brat to Guyan, and even the image disregarding intimate biting, no matter how hard I tried. It was impossible for me to do that. No, impossible. Absolutely impossible. She murmured to herself, unwilling to admit that she could be so out of control. She covered her face, trying to force those ridiculous images back into her deepest consciousness. It must all be fake, it's all a dream, everything is. She tried to convince herself, but she couldn't calm down the turmoil in her heart. At this time, don't think too much, this is all true. The other me was very bold last night. Xiaoling's voice suddenly sounded in her mind. The other party's words were understated, but they were like a heavy hammer hitting Ling Qingyu's heart. Really? Are you serious? You are controlling my body. Xiaoling, say something, otherwise, why would I do such a thing? It must be because you wanted to absorb Guyan's body fluids. That's why you controlled me. It's all your fault. Ling Qingyu began to speak incoherently. However, Xiaoling, who would usually refute, at this moment, he was surprisingly silent, and replied, "You are right." As soon as these words came out, Ling Qingyu seemed to have broken down, and she scolded Xiaoling in shame and anger. "Everything I said is right. How could I do such a thing? What should I do with my image? How should I face Guyan? And how should Guyan view me? It's over, mem. Everything is over. My cool image." Xiaoling looked at Ling Qingyu, who started crying without any image. She once again realized that the other me had indeed been changed so much by Guyan. What kind of magical power does this furnace have? How could it affect my other self like this? I'm looking forward to meeting you more and more. And just at this moment, a message suddenly came into Ling Qingyu's mind. It was Shangguan Maiyin who sent the result of last night's fate night. A few minutes later, Ling Qingyu sorted out everything. At the same time, she was also a little confused. Chapter 214, Visiting the Injured Guyan. What? A nightmare sacrifice array was activated near here last night. What? Almost all the sects that came to Zhanghe were wiped out. What? Xuanwu Gate was destroyed? The Man of Destiny died? What? Fake, he really has this ability? What? You guys managed to infiltrate the good side? Ling Qingyu's head became dizzy. What happened? Why do I feel that the pressure on my shoulders has been reduced a lot after a night's sleep? What's going on? Wasn't I doing this and that with Guyan last night? How come all these things suddenly ended inexplicably? At this time, Shangguan Maiyin, who was lying on a big bed in Zhanghe Hospital pretending to be injured, seemed to suddenly think of something, so she sent another message to Ling Qingyu. "By the way, Master, Guyan is injured and is now lying in Gu's house." If it were in the past, Shangguan Maiyin would definitely have said some sarcastic words, but she had suffered this before, because she laughed at Guyan in front of her master, and was scolded by her master. So she would only secretly mock Guyan in her heart. Of course, he is just a chess piece in the open. Even if his master knows that Guyan is injured, he will definitely not have any big reaction. Got it. Good job. Listening to the voice of her master in her mind, Shangguan Maiyin smiled even more happily. My master really loves me. But it was different from what Shangguan Maiyin thought. After the connection was disconnected, Ling Qingyu came to this side. Panic was visibly evident on her face. Guyan is actually injured? What should I do? Should I go see him now? But how can I explain that I know he is injured? Damn fake organization, why not just deal with those sects honestly? Why hurt innocent people? What should I do? No, Xiaoling. I think I still have to go to the Gu family. Guyan is really... Why does he have to get involved in this kind of thing? Could it be that group of damned sects forced him? What a bunch of evil guys. After hearing this, Xiaoling thought of something. The tone is a little unnatural. This is indeed a good idea. The furnace tripod is injured. so we really need to pay attention to it. You can bring your sister with you and let her support you, so that the other me won't seem abnormal. Hearing that Xiaoling supported him, Ling Qingqiu became more determined to visit Guyan. Besides, today is Saturday, and Linger has time off. After careful consideration, she nodded. Okay, I'll listen to you. A few minutes later, downstairs, although the person opposite her looked like her sister, Linger's expression was very nervous and scared, because that existence appeared again last night. She looked at Ling Qingqiu in front of her nervously and asked hesitantly, "Sister, are you my sister?" Ling Qingqiu was still thinking about how to explain to the other party, but was suddenly speechless because of the other party's words. She frowned and scolded, "Linger, we don't have time to joke with you now. Your brother-in-law is injured and lying at home. Come with me to the Gu family to visit him. Don't think about random things all the time. It's all because of those indecent books that you have these random thoughts. This familiar sisterly triple combo, and this familiar name. It's my sister for sure." Linger was so moved that she almost cried. "Yeah, my sister is back." Of course, what she found strange was that wasn't CEO Gu flying last night. Why was he injured today? What happened? Is it a lie? Of course, my sister is willing to take the initiative to visit the other party, which is also an opportunity to improve the favorability between Ziyu Gu and my sister. So she nodded quickly. Okay. It just so happens that I have a friend who lives in the same villa area as Guyan. I'll call her and ask her to take us there. Family-oriented. On a big bed, Guyan, who was tied up like a mummy, lay on it. There were professional warrior medical staff around his bed. Mother Sumu Rong held Guyan's hand, her eyes red, and she said in a choked voice, Oh, Yan, how did you get hurt like this? Bu Qianming, it's all your fault. It's you who dragged my son into the world of warriors. I've already told you that I just hope my son can be safe and be an ordinary person. Oh, my, what should I do now, my son, my Yan? Bu Qianming was watching Guyan, who was almost unable to come back. And he felt very upset. He clenched his fists and had a gloomy face. Night. I wasn't planning to get involved, but now that Yan has been dragged into this. Then, Guyan also knew that he was exaggerating a bit. He coughed dryly and said weakly, Dad, Mom, it's okay. I'm fine. I'm just worried that Qingqiu doesn't know about my situation. Can I go and tell her that I'm not feeling well recently? Hearing this, although Sumurong was not satisfied that his daughter-in-law was blind, he still nodded and agreed. Don't worry, Yan, I will ask someone to tell her. But you can't take risks like this again. It really scared your mother to death. Guyan pretended to be weak and responded, okay. Click. Bu Qianming and Su Murong left, leaving only the professional warrior nurses. As soon as I go out. Su Murong's face turned cold as ice. And words full of murderous intent spilled from her lips. I want to go back to the Su family. Bu Qianming was silent for a while after hearing this, but still nodded in agreement. When Yan gets better, I'll go with you. Hearing this, Su Murong's expression softened a little. But then his eyes turned red again. She lay in Gu Yanming's arms and sobbed again. Yan, my poor Yan. The other side. In the Tianhudong villa area where the Gu family lives, 3 figures walked on the path. Yan Qingqing, the eldest daughter of the Yan family who has a masochistic personality and has not been seen for a long time, looked at the cold and beautiful woman with her eyes closed who was supported by Linger with some surprise. Her eyes flickered. Wow, what a beautiful sister. Her eyelashes are so long. Her skin is so white. No way, could this be Ling Qingqiu? Linger seemed to notice Yan Qingqing's gaze. So she raised her chin proudly and said, What are you looking at? That's right, this is my elder sister. That legendary talented woman in the world. My brother-in-law's good wife Ling King. Ouch. Before he could finish his words, Ling Qingqiu interrupted his spell with a heavy punch. Ling Qingqiu took a breath. Her temperament was cold and elegant but not without favor. And cold words came out from her lips. Miss Yan, thank you for bringing us in. Linger is ignorant, I hope you don't mind. When Yan Qingqing heard Ling Qingqiu's voice, she was stunned. But nice sound. Her face immediately flushed with embarrassment. It's okay, I haven't seen Guyan for a long time, so let's go see him together. As soon as these words came out, Ling Qingqiu suddenly became alert. Linger also suddenly became alert. Why are you blushing? Chapter 215. Even if it smells so good. Yilano, one in Chanhu Cave is the residence of Guyan's family. Reception room on the first floor. What, you said Yan Qingqing from the Yan family brought 2 people over to visit Yan? 2 of them claim to be members of the Ling family? Su Murong frowned and looked at the subordinate who came to report in front of him. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. The Ling family. 2 people? Could it be Ling Qingqiu? Thinking of this, Sumo Rong's expression became inexplicable, not knowing whether he had thought of something. Aha, that's just right, if the person who came as the Lengking that Guyan mentioned. Then I can just test my future daughter-in-law. If he is a spoiled and unreasonable person, then don't blame me, your mother, for stopping him. That's right. Sumo Rong had already suffered a loss at the hands of Shen Wanner once, and didn't want his son to fall into it again. Gu Yanming, who was standing by, seemed to have sensed Sumo Rong's intention. So he said hesitantly, Mu Rong, you don't want to embarrass our daughter-in-law, do you? So what? I just want Yen to live an ordinary life. How can I marry a blind person in such an ordinary life? But what if you see someone else's daughter-in-law and are also satisfied? Gu Qianming, after all these years of marriage, don't you understand me? Even if I want Yen to remain single for the rest of his life, I will never let him marry a spoiled and unreasonable blind man. Have you forgotten Shen Wanner? How can you assume that he has this kind of personality when you haven't even met him yet? Gu Qianming, shut up, just watch me do it. A few minutes later, Leng Qingqiu, supported by Leng Linger, walked lightly into the gate of the Gu family. Wow, sister, Gu Yan's house is so big. Leng Linger muttered to Leng Qingqiu in a low voice. Well, be polite. Although Leng Qingqiu came to visit Gu Yan, for some reason, when she thought that his parents were also there, she suddenly felt a strange feeling in her heart. It was as if I was really here to meet the parents. But soon, this strange feeling disappeared. After becoming the Night King, Leng Qingqiu had already learned to remain calm in any situation. Of course, except Gu Yan. Leng Qingqiu also understood that she was blind on the surface, and as Gu Yan's mother from one of Zhang Yeche's top families, she would definitely have complaints about her. But it doesn't matter. She just came to visit Gu Yan and doesn't care about other people's opinions. Even if Gu Yan obeyed his mother or elders and chose to leave her in the future, I still don't want to think about it. Entering the Gu family's courtyard, the two walked through the neatly trimmed hedges and came to the reception room. In the reception room, Sumo Rong sat on the sofa with her eyes closed. Her demeanor revealed a gentle majesty, which made the usually lively Leng Linger hold her breath and concentrate involuntarily. She held Leng Qingqiu's hand tightly. Ah, what an oppressive woman. Is this Gu Yan's mother? Sister, I'm so scared, so nervous. Will there be another scene like in a TV series where I give you tens of millions to get you to leave my son? In less than a moment. Hello, Madam Sumi's sister and I are here to visit Gu Yan. Leng Qingqiu's voice is fresh and elegant, making people feel extremely happy both physically and mentally. At least someone upstairs. Qingqiu radar started jumping up and down. Oh, you are finally here. Your voice is quite nice. Let me see what magic you have that attracts my Yan so much. Of course, I will definitely examine you very strictly, to avoid being like Shen Wanner. Sumo Rong looked up when she heard the voice, opened her eyes and looked at Leng Qingqiu and Leng Linger. There was a mixture of kindness and scrutiny on her face. She slowly stood up and walked towards the two young girls. Her gaze first fell on Leng Qingqiu's face. The other person had his eyes closed, but he exuded a temperament that was not tainted by the world. As tall and elegant as a green bamboo, Leng Qingqiu's face is a perfect picture even without her eyes opening. Every detail of her seems to have been carefully carved. From her well-proportioned eyelashes to her soft lip line, each of which reveals her natural refinement and unique charm. Leng Qingqiu is like a noble ice lotus growing on a snowy mountain. Free from any dust even in the noisy and flashy world, she still maintains her purity. Sumo Rong froze for a moment, and then his whole body began to tremble. Good. What a beautiful daughter-in-law. Sumo Rong was stunned for a moment, then shouted incoherently in surprise. She immediately stepped forward and took Leng Qingqiu's hand, and asked caringly, Your name is Leng Qingqiu, right? My son has always mentioned you to me. Well, if you're coming, just tell me earlier. I'll ask the kid's dad to pick you up. It's so cold today, your hands are frozen. Have you eaten? Stay at our house today. Why are you calling me so awkwardly? Shouldn't you call me Mom? By the way, ask Yen later when to set a date. Don't worry about the gift. The standards of our Gu family are among the best in the country. Leng Qingqiu was stunned by the caring greetings from Gu Yan's mother. She originally thought that she would definitely encounter some tit-for-tat at confrontation, but I never expected the result to be like this. Leng Linger was also a little stunned. Gu Yan's mother was unusually easy to talk to? Leng Qingqiu suppressed her inner tension due to the huge contrast and smiled naturally. Well, thank you. Mom, Gu Yan is injured and we are all very worried about him. At this time, Gu Yanming, who had been hiding in the dark to prevent any accidents, came out and warned Sumo Rong. Mu Rong, don't let people stand there all the time. They are here to visit their son. At the same time, He also sighed in his heart, wife, it's not that I don't understand you. I understand you too well. I'm afraid you'll do something that will get you slapped in the face. I've seen Ling Qinkyu before. She's knowledgeable and talented. And she deserves the title of a talented girl. Speaking of which, this kid Guyan is really lucky. He actually got together with the girl from the Ling family. When Su Murong heard the reminder, she finally remembered and quickly adjusted her expression. Her voice became soft, yet dignified after releasing Ling Qinkyu's hand. She chuckled, sorry for losing my composure. She looked at Ling Linger and Yan King again. You all came to see Guyan, right? So don't be too surprised when you see him later. Su Murong said as he looked at Ling Qinkyu and stretched out his hand to support her. Qinkyu, come with me first. Good. Ling Qinkyu suddenly felt that Guyan's mother was quite easy to talk to. At least there was no need to worry about the kind of bloody plots that Linger had been watching in the TV series. Then sister, let's go visit my brother-in-law first. Ling Linger didn't know why, but she behaved very well in front of Guyan's mother. Maybe he subconsciously didn't want the other person to have a bad impression of his sister because of his rudeness? Ling Linger sighed inwardly when she thought of this. Linger, you have really grown up. You have started to think about your family. Shouldn't your brother-in-law give you an extra chicken rumstick? Chapter 216. Actually, the furnace is very good. This is Guyan. Guyan, who was tied up like a mummy, suddenly trembled all over. His eyes full of surprise. What's going on? Why do I feel the breath of autumn? No, this is not an illusion. Qinkyu is coming. She came to see me. Really? Guyan looked towards the door in surprise and tried hard to stand up. Qinkyu, my Qinkyu is behind the door. Several medical staff nearby began to frantically hold down Guyan, who was beginning to move randomly. Master, please calm down. Master, please don't move now that I have just tied you up. Why is the young master so hard to press? Is he really sick? Amid the noise, Guyan had already stood up. He looked at the door handle that was turning with surprise. Next second. Snap. The door opens. Yahoo, brother-in-law, we're here to see you. Ling Linger walked in with her yellow hair shaking and carrying some fruit. As soon as she entered the door, she saw Guyan standing up like a mummy. Suddenly he couldn't help but cover his mouth and laughed out loud. Puchi, brother-in-law, what kind of style is this? You now look like a weakling who was affected by the big villain in the second dimension. When the latter saw that it was Ling Linger, the surprise in his eyes disappeared instantly, especially seeing Ling Linger's face. Thump. He lay back on the bed and said inferently. Hey, what do you mean? Ling Linger's face turned pale and she was immediately furious. She trotted over and put the fruit aside casually. Then he accused Guyan. Stinky brother-in-law, are you so unhappy just because she's not my sister? I'm so sorry. It's because seeing you makes me very unhappy. You. Aside. Yan King, who also came over, was explaining something to the medical staff. Although I was a little disappointed that I didn't see Ling Qinkyu at the first time. But Guyan did feel the other person's breath, so he sat up as if nothing had happened. He waved to the shocked medical staff around him and said, Everyone, get out, this kid is my sister-in-law. This young master is. It's nothing, let's go. As soon as the medical staff left, the room suddenly became much emptier. Guyan picked up an apple from the side and started to eat it. He looked at Ling Linger with disdain. Where's your sister? Ling Linger looked at Guyan, who was tied up like a mummy but looked fine although her eyes became a little strange. She still replied, your mother called my sister over to talk about something. By my mother? Guyan was a little surprised, and then asked quickly. Quick, tell me what my mother's attitude was when you saw her. If you've caused trouble for Qinkyu, tell me now. I'll go find them right away. Ling Linger was stunned when she heard this. Pen waved her hands. No, as soon as your mother saw my sister. At this time, a magnificent room filled with gold and silver jewelry. Su Murong took Ling Qinkyu's hand and walked to a dressing table. She stood behind him, stretched out her hand, and brushed Ling Qinkyu's hair. This action seemed to be both comforting and loving. Qinkyu, actually, my original intention was to let Guyan marry a normal girl. This normality is actually normal in every sense of the word. Normal body and mind, normal family. You can live your life in peace and security. I don't want him to step into this cruel world. When Ling Qinkyu heard this, her heart suddenly tightened for some reason, but on the surface, she listened in silence. It's just, I thought about myself. My parents were also strongly against my marrying Guyan's father. They thought that the Gu family was too weak and that the other party was not worthy of me. But love is such a magical thing. Even though the process was difficult, Guyan's father and I finally got together. I came to my senses and realized that I seemed to have been preventing Wei Anian from falling in love. Sumo Rong began to comb Lang Qingqiu's hair. She looked at Lang Qingqiu in the mirror with her eyes closed. It seemed that he suddenly understood what kind of pressure this girl of the same age as Gu Yan was under. Her heart trembled, and she sighed. The Gu family was not involved in that incident back then. Lang Qingqiu clenched her fists after hearing this, but quickly released them. She responded softly, "Yeah." Sumo Rong took out a hairpin from an exquisite box and gently put it on Lang Qingqiu's hair. She looked at Lang Qingqiu in the mirror and smiled. "This hairpin was given to me by my mother after I got married. It's for my future daughter-in-law. Qingqiu, welcome to become our family. If that bastard Gu Yan has done anything wrong to you, tell me immediately and I will take care of it for you." Lang Qingqiu's heart was moved when she heard this. She pursed her lips and nodded, "Okay mom. How come our Qingqiu is so pretty and cute?" Sumo Rong immediately hugged Lang Qingqiu's head and rubbed it. "Lang Qingqiu, this is Gu Yan." He already had a general idea of the situation. After learning that his mother was also really good at sex, he felt relieved and started chatting with Lang Linger and Yan King. "Brother-in-law, did you get the Anchor account you promised me? I want to be a big internet celebrity. Next time. For sure." Gu Yan threw away the apple core and replied, speechless lie. "Who in your family understands? They are so busy themselves. How can they have the time to help you become an anchor or internet celebrity? Besides, don't you see what I'm like now? It's fine if you don't care. But you're still thinking about becoming an internet celebrity. Is this reasonable? It will happen again next time. You bastard, you are lying to me. I will tell my sister that you are faking illness." Lang Linger was furious. "What are you pretending for? Don't I look like a patient? Come on, come closer and let your brother-in-law see if your head is still soft." Gu Yan sneered and was about to stretch out his bandaged hand to teach the other person a lesson. Suddenly, he seemed to sense something. His body quickly fell on the bed. The color on his face disappeared, his lips turned pale, and his breath began to become weak. Yan King and Lang Linger were stunned. The latter held their heads and waited to be beaten by Gu Yan. What happened? What happened to the trash Gu? Next second. Snap. The door was pushed open. A figure walked in, supported by someone. Lang Qingqiu walked very quickly, as if he had sensed a familiar yet weak breath. Her heart was in a knot. Sumo Rong winked at Lang Linger and Yan King. Lang Linger understood immediately, but she glared at Gu Yan, who was lying on the bed and urging her to leave quickly with his eyes. "Damn it, what illness, it's all fake, he's wrapped up like a mummy. But his movements are more agile than anyone else's. Damn it, is this all your trick to attract my sister? Damn you bastard." Lang Linger angrily dragged Yan King out before she could react. Qingqiu, just stay here and talk to Yenny and mom will leave first." As she spoke, Sumo Rong looked at Gu Yan, who was lying on the bed with pale lips. With heartache she closed her eyes and left quickly, afraid of crying out loud. For a while, only Gu Yan and Lang Qingqiu were left in the room. Lang Qingqiu sat in the nursing chair beside the bed. "Although I already knew that Gu Yan was injured in the dispute last night, but when she really felt Gu Yan's breath that was like a flickering candle flame, her voice couldn't help but tremble slightly. Even her usual reserve was thrown to the back of her mind at this moment. "Qingqiu, you are here," Gu Yan said in a weak and hoarse voice. "I thought I would never see you again." Lang Qingqiu held Gu Yan's gauze-wrapped hand tremblingly, and then stroked it little by little. When she found that his whole body was wrapped, she couldn't hold it in any longer. Her voice choked with sobs. "Oh, how did you get hurt like this? The world of warriors is very dangerous. I'd like you to stop trying to be brave. It still happened. Being involved with the night always brings danger." Gu Yan was indeed injured, and the injury was so serious. "Another me, Lu Dinghe." "Xiaolang, shut up, Gu Yan is already injured like this. What else do you want to do? I mean, shut up." Gu Yan looked at Lang Qingqiu, whose eyes were filled with tears, and knew that he had succeeded in pretending. Then he revealed his true face and said weakly, "Qingqiu, I don't know how long I can live. If you could give me a kiss, I would die without regrets. Of course, if that doesn't work, then ugh." The words haven't finished yet. A soft and sweet feeling like nectar came from Gu Yan's lips. The person next to him lowered his head and moved very gently as if he was afraid of hurting him. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Lang Qingqiu's heart felt like it was being tossed by turbulent waves. And the flames of shame burned on her cheeks, but deep in her heart, what was even stronger was her heartache for Gu Yan. She knew that Gu Yan was seriously injured and every breath he took must be filled with pain. Only, why do I feel like someone is touching my back? Why did I suddenly feel that Gu Yan's actions became more intense? Why is Gu Yan's aura getting stronger? At this time, Xiaoling's voice came faintly. "Another me, I want to say that the furnace is very good. As soon as these words came out, Ling Qinyu's heart seemed to be passed through by a ray of daylight. And then his expression gradually calmed down. Their lips parted. And then she took a deep breath and asked, Guyan, how do you feel now? Guyan hadn't noticed anything unusual yet and was still immersed in the gentleness of the moment. He even pretended to be hurt and groaned, well, it feels good. I just wish I could do it again. Yeah. Ling Qinyu's expression gradually became kinder. And then, the moment Guyan realized something was wrong, he stretched out his hand and rubbed Guyan's face fiercely. Guyan, you actually pretended to be sick and lied to me. King Qinyu, listen to my explanation. Go to hell. Chapter 217 Replenishing Energy. Not even for a moment did she feel sad that Guyan's lies were exposed. The person sitting on the bed at this moment was Qinyu. Is this comfortable? Guyan asked in a low voice, his fingers gently kneading Ling Qinyu's shoulders, even though he himself was also wrapped in bandages. Like a white hill. I'm actually doing this to hide my strength. So I pretend to be injured. Ling Qinyu crossed his arms and sneered without commenting. See no effect. While Guyan was using his divine massage technique, he said, Qinyu, my dear Qinyu, I was just joking. You know I miss you so much. It would have been fine if he hadn't said this. But as soon as he said this, Ling Qinyu couldn't help feeling annoyed. If you really wanted me to, you wouldn't do such a dangerous thing. Ling Qinyu's tone was filled with anger. She turned her head and stabbed Guyan with a frosty face. You are lucky enough to escape every time, but how long can this last? Do you think those enemies will show mercy, Guyan? You have underestimated Yi's viciousness. Not only Yi, but also those people from the sect. Do you think they are all good people? You are wrong. They only have eyes for your family power. If you are of no use to them, they will just abandon you. Ling Qinyu's words were like a storm, fast and trembling. And the waves of emotion were rippling in the lake of her heart, because she knew that her worries were not just groundless. She knew the cruelty of this world better than anyone else. You were lucky this time and didn't really get hurt. What about next time? Will you be so lucky every time? Do you think those enemies are all actors sent by you? They can let you go every time? Guyan, you underestimate the world of warriors. Of course, if you really want to die, then go ahead. The worst that can happen is that I will just pretend that you have never been here. Ling Qinyu's voice trembled slightly because he was too excited. It is precisely because she knows the cruelty of the world of warriors that she understands how those fake Yi would go to great lengths to package themselves to look like Yi. That's why she was worried about how much harm Guyan, who had been involved in this matter, would suffer. This time they were saved because Meizu and Yu Xingzu came in and brought them back. But what about next time? I really didn't expect that this bastard would do such a dangerous thing after doing that kind of thing with me. Fortunately, Meizu went to rescue them. Otherwise she really didn't know what to do. Ling Qinyuyu had to admit that whenever she thought about Guyan's death, she found it difficult to breathe and her heart ached. Sometimes what Xiaoling said is actually right. She has changed so much because of Guyan. She actually became so emotional because of this guy. Which would never have happened to her before. Guyan was stunned when he heard this. Qinyuyu, are you really that worried about me? The man-eating villain in the original novel now has actually been influenced by him. There was a slight tremor in his voice. And his words were sharp but full of worry about what he was saying. Plus, there are traces of tears at the corners of her eyes that haven't faded away yet. Plop, plop. My heart is so moved. Such a contrasting autumn. Guyan said that in short, it is very cute. He couldn't bear it any longer. And tore it. The clothes were torn apart. The bandages were shaken off. Then, Ling Qinyuyu looked as if he had not yet recovered from his shock. Guyan hugged Ling Qinyuyu tightly and shouted, Hi ha! Yes ha, Qinyuyu, my Qinyuyu, you are so adorable like this. Just as cute as last night. Me, I can't help it anymore. I'm sniffing. This sudden outburst of alternative spirit made Ling Qinyuyu feel both ashamed and angry. She was stunned for a moment, then regained consciousness and scolded coldly. You bastard, let me go. Guyan's tight hug and the words he spoke made her heart beat as fast as a wardrum. And her cheeks instantly turned a peach-like blush. No? You really don't want to act anymore? How did your parents explain it? Did the bandage shatter just like that? Didn't you just say that you pretended to be injured in order to hide your strength? Was it all fake? And what made her even more ashamed? Wait a minute. What do you mean last night? Ling Qinyuyu used both hands to push away Guyan, who was trying to get closer to her. Her ears were slightly red and there was a hint of embarrassment in her tone. Last night? Damn! I actually forgot about this matter. Guyan wanted to move forward, but because Ling Qinyuyu's strength was too great, he could only temporarily fall into a stalemate. It means, He held Link Kinkyu's hands and spread them apart, allowing him to see Link Kinkyu's slightly flushed face. He took a deep breath and said, Kinkyu, that night. You were very bold and so happy. The words haven't finished yet. Bang! Guyan felt a brief sharp pain in his brain. And then his consciousness disappeared, as if he had blacked out. He looked at Link Kinkyu, who had an extremely embarrassed and angry expression on her face, and gradually closed his eyes. Why are you dizzy? Thump. Guyan fell gently on Link Kinkyu's thighs. His expression sacred and harmonious. Oops. I subconsciously used the evil scripture to knock him out. Link Kinkyu looked at the evil spirit floating behind Guyan's mind. Although she said words of apology, her expression seemed relieved. Then, she looked at Guyan, who was lying on her thighs, stretched out her hand, and tapped his cheeks. He pursed her lips and muttered, "What a bad guy." He fainted and fell in a place where he shouldn't have fallen. Another me, why did you suddenly knock out the furnace tripod? At this time Xiaoling jumped out. Link Kinkyu's expression froze after hearing this. Then he coughed and said, this what they all play on TV? After knocking him unconscious, he will forget everything when he wakes up. What happened last night? I must not let him know. Watching it on EV. Xiaoling, shut up, you don't understand anything. It seemed that some words touched Xiaoling. Xiaoling, who usually had no emotional fluctuations, responded for the first time. You are the one who doesn't understand. If it were me, I wouldn't waste this opportunity. Xiaoling, what are you talking about? Anyway, please shut up first. After Link Kinkyu refuted in his mind, she reached out and touched Guyan's body, from his facial features to every part of his body. Only after she found that there was nothing unusual did she completely feel relieved. So he really pretended to be sick just to hide his strength? Or was he pretending to be sick just to get her to come and visit him? Or maybe both. But anyway, Link Kinkyu's heart gradually calmed down after learning that Guyan was fine. She opened her eyes and looked at the special source of life right in front of her. And an inexplicable throbbing surged in her heart. Guyan. Link Kinkyu lowered her head slightly and tentatively put her lips close to Guyan, but found that the other party had no reaction. She moved more vigorously. Sorry to drag you into this. And the fake knight, whoever you are. While Link Kinkyu was replenishing Guyan's energy, he issued orders in his mind to hunt down the fakie. I will definitely make you pay a heavy price. Chapter 218. Let's stay here tonight. Do you think I'm a pervert? Passes slowly. Guyan opened his eyes, dazed lie. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw the picturesque Clank Kinkyu sitting in the nursing chair, peeling an apple. Well, Kinkyu would peel apples for me. It was just like a dream. Such a harmonious picture. It would have been great if the operation hadn't suddenly knocked me out just now. Awake, did you sleep well? Link Kinkyu sat aside and calmly handed Guyan an apple. You must be too tired, so you fell asleep. Guyan took the apple handed to him with a toothpick, and found something wrong when he put it to his mouth. Why do your lips feel wet? But Guyan didn't care much, and replied while eating, well, maybe it was last night. As soon as the words last night came out, Guyan noticed that the air around him froze slightly. He immediately broke into a sweat and said, I was so exhausted from fighting the Night King last night. Hush. The pressure is gone. Link Kinkyu was very satisfied and nodded. Well, so you are not allowed to get involved in this kind of thing again in the future. Guyan looked at Link Kinkyu, who had a kind face, and nodded stiffly. Oh, Kinkyu is so cute. Do you think that if you knock me out, I will forget what happened last night? What a cute idea. Guyan swallowed the apple with difficulty. Well, of course. I really don't dare to mention it again at the moment. However, we can't talk about what happened last night. But tonight. Thinking of this, Guyan coughed lightly and asked, Kinkyu, are you going back to the Ling family today? Today? I have to go back for sure. Link Kinkyu was a little confused. Now that I know you are okay, I will naturally go back. At this point, Link Kinkyu raised his chin slightly and snorted. I'm very busy and have a lot of things to do. The scarf has not been finished yet. And I haven't learned how to use electronic products yet. I have to go back and work overtime. As for Guyan, when he heard this, he licked his lips, moved closer with a calm face, and held Link Kinkyu's little hand. The latter struggled slightly but let him pinch her. Kinkyu, it's rare for you to come to my house. Why don't you stay for one night before leaving? Link Kinkyu suddenly became alert. He was very sensitive to words like last night and evening. Stay one night. What you up to? I'm not doing anything. I just want to stay with you, Kinkyu, for a while longer. Where do I sleep then? That's easy. I have many rooms in my house. You can pick any one you want, and there's also a study room with books for the blind. You can study here too. After hearing this, Link Kinkyu was actually a little hesitant. Firstly, it was because she wanted to stay with Gu Yan for a while longer. And secondly, it was because she really wanted to stay with Gu Yan for a while longer. But isn't it inappropriate to stay at someone else's house on the first day when you arrive at the man's house? Furthermore, Lang Qingqiu said with some embarrassment. What should Linger do? The child can only sleep in her room. She knew that Linger was very particular about her bed. She remembered that once she asked Linger if she wanted to change beds or clean her room. She was very nervous and panicked and refusing to agree no matter what. When Gu Yan heard this, he thought it was not a big problem. So he promised, "It's easy. I'll ask Linger if she wants to stay here. If not, I'll send her back. It just so happens that tomorrow is the weekend. And I've dealt with a lot of things Qingqiu, why don't we take Linger out for a walk tomorrow?" Go out for a walk. Lang Qingqiu pursed her lips, feeling a little uneasy. To be honest, she hadn't been out for many years, like when she first met Gu Yan. At that time, her largest activity area was actually the study. Now, when she goes out, she always feels as if she is in another world. This time I went out was also to visit Gu Yan. Of course. The most important thing is that she abandoned all ideas of entertainment for the sake of revenge. Hanging out? No, revenge is not that important. And now that Gu Yan invited her to go out again, she was somewhat tempted. What is Gu Yan's daily life like? What does he do when he is not with her? What did Gu Yan do when he took Linger out to play? In fact, Lang Qingqiu wanted to know. Besides, if I really go out with Gu Yan tomorrow, does this count as their first date? When he thought of this, Lang Qingqiu's heart began to jump with joy for some reason. But soon, she suppressed this little girl's mentality. No, Lang Qingqiu. Lang Qingqiu, you have indeed fallen. Because Gu Yan invited you to go out and play, do you subconsciously want to put aside your daily work? She took a deep breath, pretended to think for a long time, and nodded calmly. Well, in that case, then okay. As if afraid that Gu Yan might misunderstand something or do something at night, Lang Qingqiu emphasized, I will definitely sleep alone at night. Don't think about entering my room and doing anything weird during this time. Upon hearing this, Gu Yan's mouth twitched. He covered his injured chest and yelled, Qingqiu, my Qingqiu, do I look like a pervert who would trick someone down and then break into their room to do this and that? Lang Qingqiu recalled Gu Yan's face in the past. Then nodded expressionlessly, yes. Hateful. A night attack plan failed. Gu Yan sighed, but he was not too disappointed after all. He was very surprised that Qingqiu agreed to live in Gu's house and go out to play tomorrow. So she said, Qingqiu, you just don't know me. Your good husband in the days to come. I will definitely let you know what kind of gentleman I am. Lang Qingqiu felt like laughing at these words. Like gentleman? Just because of your previous perverted behavior. Lang Qingqiu seemed to have thought of something perverted that Gu Yan had mentioned before. His heart beat quickened a lot, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Oh, then I'm looking forward to it. Do you know Gu Yan? That's just right, this is exactly what I want. On Gu Yan's side, when he saw Lang Qing's smile on his face, he was stunned. Then her whole body began to tremble and twitch, and she couldn't help but shout out loudly. Qingqiu, you are so cute, can we kiss you again? Lang Qingqiu's face turned slightly red, and he clenched his teeth and immediately broke down. Shut up, you pervert. Damn it, why do I always become so emotional because of Gu Yan's words? Damn it. Xiaoling looked at this scene and fell into silence. It's ridiculous that we have to sleep separately. The other me of you really doesn't know how to take advantage of the location. In order to improve efficiency, another me, let me give you a demonstration. Chapter 219. Sister, have you guys reached that kind of relationship? Time passes slowly. When Gu Yan and Lang Qingqiu went downstairs, Su Murong and Gu Tianming were both stunned. What? So why Yan? Are you okay now? Is Lao Gao still lying in the Gu family's ward? Is this the power of love? Su Murong grabbed Gu Tianming's arm with shining eyes and said in shock. Gu Tianming was also a little confused. Wait a moment. Putting aside the question of what the strange power of love is, isn't our era an era that emphasizes martial arts and science? Didn't the test show that my son's atribs were broken and he couldn't take care of himself? Isn't it said that once the true ki is completely dissipated, it will take at least 10 days or half a month to recover? Isn't it said that when the psychological damage is so severe, it's best to give more care? Why are you taking off the bandage now? As for Gu Yan, he knew that this seemed very wrong. After all, you were still a mummy not long ago, so it was necessary to explain. So, Gu Yan held Lang Qingqiu's hand and explained seriously to the confused Gu Tianming and Su Murong. Well, this is the power of the love between Qingqiu and me. What the hell did you explain? Lang Qingqiu covered his face and felt helpless. Finally, under her round of arrangement, only then did Su Murong and Gu Tianming understand the situation. It turned out that his son wanted to hide his strength. So he pretended to be injured. Everything before was just his disguise. At such a young age, he already knows how to hide himself. Gu Tianming said that my son Gu Yan has the potential to be a master. After knowing that Gu Yan was fine, Su Murong felt much better. She looked at the two people holding hands with a smile, pushed Gu Tianming, and said softly to Gu Yan and Ling Qingqiu, "Well, Yan, take Xiao Qiu to the living room and sit down." Yan Qingqing said she had something to do and has gone back. "Dinner is ready, Mom will call you." Yan Qingqing is gone. "That's not a problem. Only, Xiao Qiu?" Gu Yan was stunned and was about to say something. I only heard my good wife Qingqiu respond gently, "Thank you, Mom." "Is this what you call Mom?" Gu Yan was stunned. I thought this matter should be very difficult for Ling Qingqiu. After all, she is the villain in the original novel. It is perfectly normal to have your own reservedness. But I didn't expect Mom, you actually have such strength? Su Murong smiled even more happily after hearing this, and pushed Gu Tianming towards the kitchen. "Oh, you two should have a good chat. Come to the living room." Snort. Langlinger, who was sitting on the sofa eating potato chips, glanced at Gu Yan and snorted coldly. He said that he had guessed long ago that this bastard must be faking illness. Gu Yan held Ling Qingqiu's hand and sat on the sofa. Then she couldn't stand the loneliness any longer and showed her true colors, saying, "Xiao Qiu left and right, Xiao Qiu. What's wrong with you, Xiao Qiu, we two need to have a good chat." "Oh wait, Qingqiu, I was wrong. Seeing Ling Qingqiu's face becoming more and more ashamed and kind, Gu Yan immediately stopped his suicidal behavior. It's hard, the fist is hard." Ling Qingqiu took a deep breath and suppressed the shame in his heart. "You are such a hateful bastard, you always think of saying things that make me angry. Right?" As for Langlinger, she couldn't hold back her urge to complain. So she slowly moved her butt and sat next to Ling Qingqiu. He hugged Ling Qingqiu's arm and wailed, "Sister, Gu Yan is too much. He pretended to be sick just to trick you into coming here. You must teach him a lesson." After saying that, Langlinger gave Gu Yan a vicious smile. "Aha, since you are so unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. If you don't complete what you promise me, I will make trouble, because I am angry." The corner of Gu Yan's mouth twitched. He looked at Langlinger, his eyes seemed to be sending some dangerous signals. Okay, you little brat, you're going to play tricks on me, right? But you miss one thing in your calculations. That is, Ling Qingqiu shook his head and defended Gu Yan. "Linger, stop making trouble. Gu Yan also has his own difficulties. Oh, there's something else I want to tell you. Linger is still young and doesn't know how dangerous the world of warriors is. Hiding your strength is indeed the right thing to do." Of course, she would not involve Linger in the disputes among warriors, and let her be a happy little girl forever. However, this unintentional remark dealt a heavy blow to Langlinger's heart. Stop making trouble? Sister, you have changed." Langlinger felt as if an arrow had pierced her chest, and she looked at Gu Yan with eyes wide open in disbelief. "I was thinking about how to improve the favorability between you two, and you come up with this, right? It's only been a short while. You're already speaking up for Gu Yan? Your favorability is almost maxed out, right? Is there still a place for me, Langlinger, in this family? Damn it, although this is what I want to achieve, but this goal does not include my status plummeting. I am so unwilling." Langlinger collapsed on the sofa like a defeated puppy. Sighing, "Sister, what's the matter? Can't you and brother-in-law make the decision on your own?" "Well, I still need to ask for your opinion on this matter." Langlinger instantly regained her spirits. "My sister really still considers me?" She quickly asked. Okay, what? Ling Qingqiu heard that Langlinger was so enthusiastic. So he thought about the wording in his mind and said, "I'm going to stay here tonight. I want to ask if you want your brother-in-law to take you home, or if you want to sleep here together. Of course, if you're scared, you can sleep with your sister." The words fell. Boom. It was like a bolt of thunder across Langlinger's brain. She looked back and forth at Gu Yan and Ling Qingqiu in disbelief, yelling, "Sister, have you guys reached this point? What nonsense are you talking about? What kind of relationship is this? Linger, don't talk nonsense." After a moment of stunned silence, Ling Qingqiu immediately came to his senses and shouted angrily, still thinking about what Langlinger would say. What did they say in the end? What had poisoned Linger's mind to such an extent? Seeing this, Gu Yan also echoed, "That's right, Linger. Don't let your imagination run wild." He said seriously, "Your sister and I are just an ordinary quasi-husband and wife relationship. It's not what you think." "Shut up. What do you mean we are a couple? You and I haven't reached that stage yet. Ling Qinkyu discovered that what this bastard Guyan liked most was to make things worse. Qinkyu, you are too polite. Guyan kept protesting from the side. And as he spoke, he moved closer to Ling Qinkyu. Stop. Stop, stop. Seeing that Guyan wanted to make a move again, Ling Qinkyu hurriedly stopped him. She didn't want to do that kind of thing with Guyan in front of Linger. So she took a deep breath, looked at Linger and asked, Linger, what do you say? What can I say? What else can I say? Linger sniffed and looked at Guyan, who was standing beside her with tearful eyes. Aha, since you are unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. I live. But, I want to sleep with you, my sister. Linger hugged Ling Qinkyu and glared at Guyan fiercely. I will be angry until you stop making me a big internet celebrity. TSK this little devil. Guyan gritted his teeth and hardened his fists. Without the help of this damn kid, it seems that many things cannot be carried out. Is it possible that I really have no choice but to accommodate the other party? Linger had the same idea. Hey, damn brother-in-law. Without my help, you can forget about taking any further actions with my sister. Without me, who will be your wingman? The stalemate lasted for a while. Guyan gave up first. He turned on the TV and said pitifully. Okay, then Linger, you sleep with your sister tonight. I'm just by myself, sleeping alone. Ling Qinkyu could tell as soon as she heard it that this bastard was pretending to be pitiful again. But does the other party really want to sleep with her? Ling Qinkyu felt blushing and her heart beating fast when she thought of the mosaic picture. No, my mother always said that this kind of thing should be done after marriage. Even if they are an engaged couple, boyfriends and girlfriends should only sleep in the same bed after they get married. Right? That's right. Ling Qinkyu gradually calmed down. As a master of pure love, she would never allow such extreme behavior before marriage. And just at this moment, last night's news was also broadcast on EV. Chapter 220 Ling Qinkyu, you must remember this. Hello everyone. I am currently in the center of Zhangha. You can see that the ground here is in tatters. As if it has been through some brutal battle. The ground collapsed and the building was damaged. But the miraculous thing is that the people living inside were not hurt. Now let's interview the residents. On TV, the Zhangha Center was cordoned off by relevant departments. And people were standing downstairs in confusion, wearing their clothes. In their opinion, I just slept and had a good dream. And when I woke up, the wall outside my house had been demolished. The ground is also bumpy. Hello, did you notice anything unusual last night? I don't know what's going on, but do I have to stop going to work now? Wow, mom, my homework is missing. Maybe it's buried in the rubble. Guyan looked at the news footage with an inexplicable look in his eyes. Because the scope of impact last night was so large, it couldn't be concealed. Some people, because of their stronger resistance, were not affected by the formation, so they filmed the fight between the warriors and posted it online. The warrior department is probably in a state of panic now. Of course, the people who are held accountable are definitely the White Army. As the head of the warrior department of Zhangha City, this kind of thing happened in the area under the jurisdiction of the other party. The forces and sects that came to Zhangha were almost wiped out. Only Liu Ji and Xing and others were left, the people whom Guyan had deliberately let go. Brother BA, I'm not targeting you on purpose. It's because most of the protagonists in the original novel came to Zhangha. I can only say it's just such a coincidence. As for Ling Qinkyu, although she couldn't see what was on EV, she could hear it. The more she listened, the weirder it seemed to her. What? So the Fakey went through so much trouble just to kill a bunch of warriors from the sect. They didn't hurt any ordinary people? Why? Ling Qinkyu was a little confused. She thought she saw through what this Fakey was trying to do. But now listen. The behavioral logic of this Fakey is extremely confusing. Even though the sacrificial formation had been activated, in the end the righteous people were unable to defeat the fake Night King. So should the next step be to use the formation to absorb everyone's souls for cultivation? Why did they let so many ordinary people go in the end? Of course, Ling Qinkyu had no intention of attacking someone who was not an enemy. But she didn't understand why Fakey would have such concerns. How strange. Linger yawned repeatedly while watching. Brother-in-law, this is so boring. I want to watch anime. Upon hearing this, Guyan slowly put up a question mark. It's better to have a carefree kid like this. After thinking about it, I turned to a horror movie channel. Linger. It was noon. There are a wide variety of dishes on the table, covering almost all land, sea and air cuisines. This made Guyan suspect that it was not just them who were having dinner today, but dozens of people. And it's usually made by my auntie. But because Ling Qinkyu came today, so Sumu Rong went out to cook personally. Putting aside other things, at least this thoughtfulness really made Ling Qinkyu feel warm inside. Don't be polite, Xiao Qiuyu, tell me what you want to eat and I'll get it for you. Linger too, don't be polite, we are a family from now on. The more Sumu Rong looked at Ling Qiuyu, the more she liked her. She was impressed by her looks, temperament, and conversation. Yeah, thanks, Mom. Ling Qiuyu smiled slightly. Guyan and Ling Qiuyu sat together. He whispered to Ling Qiuyu, don't get me wrong. My mother is usually very reserved, maybe because you are so beautiful. So she is a little excited. Is this a disguised way of praising me? Ling Qiuyu raised the corner of his mouth slightly, and turned slightly to Guyan and whispered, it's okay. I like this feeling very much. Because he lowered his voice and moved closer, Guyan felt a warm breath blowing on his face. It tickled and made his heart beat faster. So he also whispered, I also like talking to you like this. It's so exciting. Shut up. I don't know why. It's obviously a normal word. But when it comes out of Guyan's mouth, this word always feels a bit strange. Just in case. Ling Qiuyu immediately ended the topic. The atmosphere at the dinner table was very harmonious. The few of them really seemed like a family that had been together for a long time and were very harmonious. Come on, Xiao Qiuyu, this is my most satisfying dish, you must try it. And this soup, I've been stewing it for a long time. Mom. Linger, eat more, your hair is turning yellow. Thank you, Aunt Sue. Call me sister. Okay. Sister Sue. Time passes by every second. Ling Qiuyu was being fed and was pulling Guyan's clothes hard under the table to express her beg for mercy. Guyan then coughed dryly and said, Mom, we're almost done with the meal. I have something to say. What's up? I asked Qiuyu to stay at our house for one night. Tomorrow is the weekend and I will take them out to play and then send them back to the Ling family. As soon as these words came out, Sumu Rong widened her eyes. She looked at Guyan in disbelief, then looked at Gu Yanming, who was also a little surprised. Is the relationship between our son and Xiao Qiuyu developing so fast? She immediately said happily, sure, of course. Lian Yan's bed is very big, it's no problem for the people to sleep in it. Ling Qiuyu's face turned red, she lowered her head and pinched Guyan's thigh hard under the table. Signaled him to speak quickly. Guyan obviously didn't expect that his mother's train of thought would be the same as Ling Linger's. So he coughed lightly. Nope, Mom, oh, don't worry about it later. I will arrange it. Okay, I know you've grown up. But I have to mention your dad. Back then, your dad didn't understand this kind of thing. It was Mom who learned it online. Oh, Tianming, what are you doing? Oh. The more Sumu Rong spoke, the more the topic deviated. Gu Tianming's face turned red and he quickly pulled Sumu Rong to cover his mouth and left the table. He warned Guyan, don't let Xiao Qiuyu down, did you hear me clearly? Okay, Dad. Guyan always felt that these two middle-aged men might have misunderstood something. But it's not a big problem. With the departure of the two elders, Sumu Rong and Gu Tianming, the atmosphere at the dinner table became much more casual. At this time, Ling Qiuyu seemed to have something to hide. She raised her head, her face slightly red, and grabbed the corner of Guyan's clothes. His expression looked slightly uncomfortable. Qiuyu? Guyan was stunned, but he understood after a quick glance. So he caringly stroked the other person's belly, which was caused by eating too much. Are you feeling uncomfortable because you ate too much? Ling Qiuyu saw that Guyan understood her. So she nodded and replied in a nasal tone. Guyan laughed and shook his head when he heard this. Hugging Ling Qiuyu and massaging her. If you can't eat, don't eat, come, let me massage you. Once the god-level massage technique is used, the effect is immediate. Hearing Guyan's words, Ling Qiuyu pursed her lips and leaned naturally on Guyan's shoulder. Enjoy the warmth and tranquility of the moment. It's been a long time since I felt this way. This warmth of home. Her cheeks were slightly red, and her voice became a little shy because of what Sumu Rong said just now. Because, I really like this feeling. So don't want to ruin it. As soon as these words were spoken, clang. Ling Linger, who was eating with a grunt, suddenly trembled her hands and opened her eyes wide, as if she had heard something incredible. As for Guyan, he was even more unable to extricate himself from his love for Ling Qiuyu. He took a deep breath. He didn't expect it to be this reason. This kind of reason. Really? Cute. Qiuyu is so cute like this. Qiuyu, I love you so much. I love you so much. One love cannot express my love for you. I must use multiple loves. Say something, can you please keep moving? Oh, Qiuyu wants to discuss something with you. Can I? Cannot. Ling Qiuyu immediately interrupted Guyan's abnormal speech. Listening to the dejected tone coming from the person next to me, Ling Qiuyu smiled knowingly. Is this the life from now on? This kind of life is quite interesting. Just thinking about this. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. No. Why are you thinking about the future before you've even completed your revenge? Restrain, sober. Linking QIU, you must control yourself. Utilization, compensation. All this is because you used Guyan as your cauldron for revenge. So you have to compensate Guyan. After all, there is nothing to do after revenge. Right? That's why I'm reluctantly staying with Guyan. Of course, being with Guyan now is also for the purpose of revenge. After all, he has the body fluids that I need to absorb. Yes, that's right. Linking QIU, you must remember this. Linking QIU found that he had to remind himself every once in a while, so as not to forget what the important task was. Xiao Ling, who witnessed all this, seemed to understand something. Oh, I seem to understand what Lu Ding is expecting. The time is ripe, we can test the results tonight. Chapter 221. If my sister has more than one personality. After lunch. The afternoon sun shines on the open-air garden of the Gu family compound. Bing! A warm and mellow piano sound rang out. It was Gu Yan sitting on the antique wooden piano stool in the garden pavilion, stroking the black and white keys with his hands, adding a touch of elegance to this quiet afternoon. Ling Qingqiu was sitting on a rattan chair beside him, holding a textured book in his hands. Those are books for the blind. She felt the words dancing on her fingertips, and the music she had never heard before lingered in her ears. The laziness and tenderness after lunch were intertwined, and Ling Qingqiu gradually became addicted to it. All of this gradually soothed her usually tense nerves. Comfortable and warm, Ling Qingqiu wanted to let go of everything and immerse himself in it. But she shook her head. No, Ling Qingqiu, Ling Qingqiu, Ling Qingqiu. How can you continue to indulge in such a gentle place? How can you be lazy now when your revenge is not yet complete? Ling Qingqiu tried her best to maintain her usual iceberg beauty demeanor, but she couldn't suppress the urge to relax in her heart. It was not until a beam of warm sunlight shone down on her that Ling Qingqiu's heart wall slowly loosened. She relaxed her mind, closed the book, lay down on the rattan chair, and her breathing gradually became steady. Never mind. It's probably okay to take a break once in a while. The afternoon time passed slowly with the sound of piano and turning pages of books, and the world seemed to freeze. This might be the warmest afternoon Ling Qingqiu has ever spent since he embarked on the mission of revenge. It was also the only afternoon she spent outside. In the living room, Ling Linger looked at Guyan and Ling Qingqiu outside. She was actually a little conflicted. Well, let's just say, should I tell Guyan about my other sister? Should I say it or not? If she told him, she was afraid Guyan wouldn't believe her and might even laugh at her for reading too many novels. If I don't tell her, I always feel like something bad will happen. After all, the other sister's goal seems to be to get Guyan's precious blood. But maybe I guessed wrong, and the other party doesn't need my heart's blood anymore? In fact, Ling Linger has always felt that there may be some things in this world that are beyond human common sense. For example, another sister may be another personality of your own sister. As for how it was formed, Ling Linger guessed that it was most likely because of what happened that year. Of course, I don't remember much about what happened back then. I only remember that the other party said he needed my blood. Thinking of this, Ling Linger covered her chest with her hands, her eyes flickering and a little conflicted. So annoying. Should I remind Guyan that my sister actually has another personality? After struggling for a while, Ling Linger sighed and decided to remind Guyan. After all, the other sister is dangerous. Just like that. Time flies. Before dinner, Ling Linger pulled Guyan to a corner. While carefully confirming that Ling Qingqiu had not come out of the kitchen, he said to Guyan mysteriously, "Brother-in-law, if my sister actually has more than one personality, what would you think?" More than one personality? Guyan thought about it after hearing this. He spread his fingers and counted. First, it was the dark personality in the original novel. Then the initial cold personality after traveling through time. And the arrogant personality, and then the shy personality. Well, no matter what personality, Guyandu said. It's just so cute. Guyan said with an expression that said, "My Qingqiu is the best." Seeing this, Ling Linger covered her face. There was no way to communicate with this lovesick person. Pa. She patted Guyan's chest and continued, "Let me change the question. What if my sister's personality is really scary? So scary that she wants to, dig out your heart like this." Was Qingqiu digging out your heart? I don't know why, but I feel an inexplicable sense of excitement. What's going on? So Guyan coughed lightly and asked, "Is this the kind of thing I understand as digging out my heart?" "No. Physical." Ling Linger yelled angrily. "Damn you, I'm talking to you seriously about this matter. How can you still be in the mood to joke? Physically." This time, Guyan no longer answered with a joking intention. He suddenly looked seriously at the yellow-haired sister-in-law in front of him. Because usually the other person looks careless, heartless and has nothing to do. So Guyan naturally thought that the other party was joking with him again. Can the plot of the original novel flashed through his mind. That was the plot that should have existed in Ling Linger's original novel. Sister, I will use my heart's blood to help you. Actually, I know this can help you regain your sight. Guyan remained calm on the surface. But he seemed to know something in his heart. That is it. Ling Linger knows the conditions for her sister's eyesight to be restored. Guyan began to recall the plot of the original novel. After the K-Worker V incident involving Shen Weiner's younger brother Shentian, Ling Qingqiuyu in the original novel killed Shentian in order to protect his sister. After Shaolin learned about this, in order to avenge the sad Shen Wanner, he killed Ling Linger, the minor villain in the early stage. The scene of donating one's heart's blood happened after Ling Linger's death. Judging from the time span, it had actually been avoided after Guyan came to this world. In other words, Ling Linger knew about the heart blood a long time ago. So how did she know? How do you know? Combined with the personality issues the other party is talking about now, a guess suddenly popped up in Guyan's mind. That is, Ling Qingqiuyu really has more than one personality? But when I think about it, Guyan felt like he was sweating all over. It's not the same as what I thought when I was joking. I have been a personality since I first met Ling Qingqiuyu. And the person you get along with afterwards is another personality? Now it won't be another personality, right? No way. Wait, no. It's impossible to have many personalities. Because Guyan suddenly thought of something. Why didn't Ling Linger remind him before? It suddenly reminded him now? Doesn't this prove that the Ling Qingqiuyu before was indeed Ling Qingqiuyu? But now, or in other words, a certain period of time, the second personality that told Ling Linger about the heart blood appeared. And was discovered by Ling Linger. That's why Ling Linger suddenly asked him about this. His thoughts became clear, and Guyan seemed to understand part of the things. Looking at Ling Linger, who had a hint of worry in her eyes, Guyan smiled gently, stretched out his hand and pressed the other person's yellow hair, rubbing it hard. No one can dig out my heart. Except your real sister. Don't think too much anyway, I'm here for everything. As soon as these words came out, for some reason, Ling Linger's worries gradually subsided. She smiled and nodded towards Guyan. Yeah. If my brother-in-law were here, everything would be fine. Because the sister who closed her heart was changed by such a brother-in-law. Chapter 222, Shaolin goes out to fight, and the counter-night attack begins. Although I told Ling Linger that he was involved in everything. But how should I distinguish between my second personality and Ling Qingqiuyu? From the expression or the action? But since it is another personality, the behavioral logic should be similar to that of the real person Ling Qingqiuyu. Guyan walked to the dining table while thinking. Xiao Chuayu. Well, we can just go to the kitchen, you just go out and wait for dinner. Okay mom. Listening to the familiar voice in my ears, Guyan raised his head and looked at Ling Qingqiuyu, who was taking off her apron on the shelf. As he looked at her, his expression gradually brightened up. Hey, I have a good idea. Ling Qingqiuyu is here. She felt that it was not a good idea to let Guyan's parents keep busy all the time. So she volunteered to show off her skills. Sumuram was worried that the smoke would stain Ling Qingqiuyu's clothes. So she tied a small apron for her. But she didn't stay for long before Sumuram let her out. Maybe he was afraid of tiring his daughter-in-law. Ling Qingqiuyu smiled slightly. What a loving family. Just suddenly, Qingqiuyu, come and stick with me, appeared with Guyan's whisper. Ling Qingqiuyu felt a pair of large hands wrapping around her waist from behind. What are you doing suddenly, Guyan? Let me go. Because this place was close to the kitchen, Ling Qingqiuyu had to lower her voice and warn Guyan in embarrassment. Wait, Qingqiuyu, I'll verify one thing, it will be done in no time. Guyan said quickly. As the soft and warm body entered my arms, the system prompt tone appears. Take the initiative to make love with the pure love object. Points 100. This is the real Qingqiuyu, and as the favorability of the two and the improvement of the pure love technique, the amount of points earned also increase. Guyan's expression lit up with joy. Now it was easy to deal with. Qingqiuyu, that's great. It's good but bad. Qingqiuyu's body is soft and fragrant. And once you hug her, you won't want to let go. Chai. Huayanking couldn't help but put his face on Ling Qingqiuyu's back. And then kept sucking. Qingqiuyu, my Qingqiuyu, I'm sorry to let me hold you like this for a while. Ling Qingqiuyu's heart trembled. Next second, he didn't care whether Su Mu Rong and the others would find out because of the noise. Bang! You pervert! Get out of my way! Ling Qingqiuyu was so angry that he stretched out his elbow and pushed back hard. Who would elbow their good husband? Guyan immediately covered his injured chest and began to twitch. Snort. Ling Qingshu hung up her apron, and seemed to be very happy to hear Guyan scream like that. She snorted softly, "You deserve it, pervert." After saying that, he pulled the twitching Guyan away from the kitchen. "This is the Gu family. If it were the Ling family, I would make sure you are in trouble. You have to know who is the dominant one in the relationship." Time passes. After dinner, Guyan thought that the little incident with Ling Qingshu just now might have affected the love between them. At least, that's what Guyan thought. Because, Qingshu, wouldn't it be too lonely to take a bath alone? Do you want your husband to rub your back or something? Guyan said this to Ling Qingshu, who was about to enter the bathroom while holding some clean clothes. Roll, bang. He was responded with an angry roar and the sound of a door closing. "I don't love you anymore, Qingshu. You wasn't like this before." Guyan sighed repeatedly with a lost expression. Ling Linger on the side complained, speechless lie. "Please, you bastard, I didn't agree with you taking a bath with her before. Can you please stop being so perverted? I'm beginning to doubt whether letting you be with my sister is the right thing to do." Who among the family members would understand if a sister with another personality appeared at that time? If this scumbag Gu can't see it, and treats that being like a sister. Ling Linger immediately broke out in a sweat. She couldn't even think about it. Guyan responded with a sacred and holy look as if it was a matter of course. "You don't understand. I just want to be with Qingshu every moment. This is love, this is love. Brother-in-law, please be normal." A bull-headed master like Ling Linger was completely unable to communicate with the god of pure love through words. Speaking of bullheads, there was some regret in Ling Linger's eyes. She hadn't read any of N.I.U's books for a long time, and it was even more impossible for her to do so next to her sister. "Oh, what a pity, never mind. I'll just pick some materials to make when I dream at night. For example, the material of Ning Qian and her senior brother. Ahichi, I will definitely be able to sleep well at night." Time passes. In front of the door, Guyan pressed on Ling Qingshu's shoulder, and his eyes quickly took in Ling Qingshu, who was now wearing pajamas. "That's it, Qingshu, if you feel uncomfortable sleeping at night, just call me, I will come over anytime." Ling Qingshu stood at the door of the room, wearing a black and gold silk pajamas, with a helpless expression. "I know, I'll call you when I have something to do. And I can call you when I don't have anything to do. I'll call you when I'm lonely, and I'll call you when I'm not lonely. You have been talking at this door for nearly half an hour. I really don't want to tell you this." Ling Qingshu pushed Guyan's dirty hands away, then put her hands on the door and smiled at Guyan. "Linger and I should go to bed. Good night, Guyan." "That's right. That's it, brother-in-law. I am going to sleep with my sister." Ling Linger stuck out her tongue at Guyan. Snap. The gate is closed. Guyan sighed. "Oh, how nice it would be if Linger was replaced by himself. I don't know when Qingshu will come next time. Alas, married life is not easy." Guyan sighed. Ling Qingshu is here. The two sisters lay on the bed. Because of the brief reconciliation with Guyan, Ling Linger began to assist again. "Sister, my brother-in-law seems very disappointed. Why don't you go and accompany him?" As soon as these words were spoken, Ling Qingshu's expression immediately became unnatural. "Linger, what nonsense are you talking about?" Ling Qingshu felt a little ashamed. She didn't expect that even Linger thought so. She quickly turned off the lights. "Okay, Linger, it's time to go to bed. End the topic immediately." Ling Linger curled her lips and said, Brother-in-law, it's not that I don't want to assist you. It's just that I'm a little thin-skinned. Tsk. Or bastard Gu, just go to sleep alone at night dreaming of sleeping in the same bed with your sister. I'm about to start entering my N.I.U dreamland." As for Ling Qingshu, she gradually suppressed the panic in her heart. "I began to recall every detail from the time I met Guyan to the present. I didn't expect that I would actually end up like this with Guyan. Came directly to the people's house. I'm going out to play tomorrow. First date?" Ling Qingshu felt her face was a little hot. "Will Guyan treat tomorrow as a date?" "Oh, how embarrassing. Why you want to think about this kind of thing, Ling Qingshu? If Xiaoling knew about this, she would probably say that you have become weak and so on. But weakness is weakness. This feeling is really good. It's a pity that Xiaoling will never be able to experience this. Otherwise she will definitely understand herself. Haha. Just kidding. How could a personality like Xiaoling change? After all, the other party is the evil side of oneself." Thinking and thinking, Ling Qingshu gradually fell into sleep. Here, she was very relaxed. Tick, tick. Midnight. It was quiet and dark all around. Only the sound of clocks echoed in the room. The moonlight shines on the edge of the bed. At this moment, a figure suddenly sat up. The quilt slipped off Ling Qingshu's shoulders. The moonlight seemed to serve her purpose, illuminating her features. Her face looked particularly clear in the moonlight. Like a finely carved ice sculpture, so beautiful beyond words. Her eyes are the coldest stars in the night sky. They do not have the brilliance of stars, but only icy light under her tall nose bridge. Her lips are slightly pursed, as if she has never known what a smile is. Her beauty is the kind that takes your breath away. So cold that you almost ignore her existence, but so beautiful that you can't look away. Every movement reveals an extraordinary temperament, cold and unattainable. Her beauty is not the warm sunshine, but the ice flowers under the moonlight, which are both beautiful and cold. People dare not look directly at her and can only admire her from afar. Just like her name, she is cold, noble and independent. In this silent night, she is like the incarnation of the night. As if the noble king of night is reigning here. She reached out her hand and brushed her hair from bottom to top, revealing a pair of eyes that were completely emotional's. Unlike Lang Kinkyu's, oh, you actually fell into a deep sleep. Is it because you were too happy today that you slept so soundly? Xiaoling muttered to himself, his tone very indifferent and sarcastic. She got up from the bed, the moonlight seeped into the room, and in the silence, the details of a pair of jade feet became clearer in the mottled light and shadow. The jade feet, like works of art, stepped barefoot on the mahogany floor. Xiaoling glanced at Langlinger, who was sleeping soundly beside him. After covering the other person with the quilt, he walked towards the door. The purpose is obvious. Another me, what you think is love is actually just what you think. Love is the most ridiculous and cheapest thing. When anyone encounters something new that excites his heart, he will always think about how to discard the old and welcome the new. You are just trapped in the beautiful illusion woven for you by the looting, thinking that the other person will always love you. But wrong, you are wrong. Loving you now does not mean I will always love you. I will also verify this for you when I test your learning outcomes. Verify whether Guyan loves you or not. Chapter 223 Interesting Furnace. Squeak. The door of Guyan's room was pushed open without any resistance. It was so relaxing that Xiaoling felt that Guyan might have left the door open on purpose, expecting someone to come in. Walk into it. Xiaoling's furnace radar immediately detected Guyan sleeping on the bed. She walked forward expressionlessly. The moonlight sprinkled on the edge of the bed, illuminating Guyan's sleeping face. He is very handsome, and his face appears unusually gentle and handsome under the moonlight. If we go by what is said online, Xiaoling said this kind of appearance should get a full score of 10. She nodded calmly. It can barely be used as my furnace. As an equally outstanding being, Xiaoling naturally hopes that his own Lu Ding is also an excellent person. Because Guyan has a body of pure love, he exudes a sweet scent that stirs Xiaoling's emotions all the time. She stretched out her hand, aiming at Guyan's chest. But it's not possible. Directly absorbing the power of the furnace is obviously the least efficient thing to do. Wait a little longer, wait a little longer. Xiaoling withdrew her hands and covered her face, as if she was trying her best to endure something. Only by tasting the cauldron slowly, step by step could her perception reach its highest point. In this way, I can prove to the other me who is the real owner of this body. Hiss. And let's start with the correct way to use the furnace. Xiaoling took a deep breath, his eyes filled with aggression towards Guyan. Her indifference disappeared, and Guyan was like a tempting and delicious cake placed in front of her. But she still had to continue to be patient and be careful not to finish it in one breath. She stretched out her hand and adjusted her expression, making it look no different from the usual Lang Kinkyuayu. Then she pulled open the quilt that was wrapped around Guyan with a slightly cold look. But what Xiaoling didn't expect was that Guyan actually slept naked. At this time, the other person was only wearing a pair of boxer briefs. In the night, Guyan's figure was perfectly outlined by the soft moonlight. He is tall and well-proportioned, with smooth but not exaggerated muscle lines, revealing the beauty of explosive power. Coupled with Guyan's pure-love body, the surging temptation constantly stimulated Xiaoling's nerves. She remained in this position for several minutes. A blush gradually appeared on Xiaoling's cheeks. Oh, interesting furnace. Xiaoling's lips curled up slightly, as if he was very interested in Guyan, who was standing in front of him. She decided to wake him up later. So he stretched out his fingertips and gently touched Guyan's chest. Plop, plop. The sound of strong heartbeat came from Guyan's chest to Xiaoling's fingertips. She withdrew her hand, stretched out her small tongue and sucked gently on her fingertips. Her shoulders trembled slightly. Under the moonlight, Xiaoling's pupils gradually turned scarlet. Ah, I feel it. That's the feeling. This is the taste. That most crucial blood is in Guyan's chest. Buzz buzz buzz. The dagger was beating restlessly in Xiaoling's heart, as if it couldn't wait to stab into Guyan's chest. As long as he wanted, Xiaoling only needed to summon a dagger and stab it into Guyan's chest to obtain his heart blood. And then he would be able to remove the seal on Lang Kinkyu's eyes. But no, I have to be patient for a while longer. Just like laying the foundation, The foundation she has been able to lay so far is far from reaching the critical point. There are very few ways to improve perception now. There is a stable and fast furnace that can help improve it. So of course we have to make perfect use of it. Lu Ding. You are really awesome. Xiaoling stretched out his hand again. And his fingertips kept moving over Guyan's perfect body. She continued to feel the powerful vitality within this body. Even if she absorbed it directly, she would probably be able to increase her strength significantly. Oh, I'm really looking forward to the day when I can completely drain you dry. As time passed, Xiaoling's breathing quickened slightly. Xiaoling was no longer satisfied with just her fingertips wandering around. So she began to press her palms against Guyan to feel the strength of Guyan's body more realistically. It seemed like he was venting his anger for not being able to come out during the day and being ridiculed by Lenking Qiyu. Xiaoling leaned down slightly, put her seductive red lips close to Guyan's ear, and said sarcastically in a breath as sweet as orchid. Another me, it's a pity that you don't know Guyan's true face. It's not clear that the fake knight that gave you a headache was him. If you knew, would you still love her so much? Of course. You may never know, and you may continue to fall into the illusory love woven by the furnace without knowing it. You'll probably do a lot of things that couples do. But unfortunately, the other me. Xiaoling's tone was filled with resentment for being trapped in Lenking Qiu's body for so long and only being able to come out at night. Before you, I have already experienced other things on the furnace tripod. Her tone gradually became more joyful, as if she felt excited and happy to be saying such amazing things in the ear of the person I love most. Xiaoling was not worried about being discovered by Guyan, because she enjoyed this rare feeling of joy. Then, Xiaoling raised his head, changed his posture, stretched out his palm and put it on Guyan's face. In the moonlight, she looked at Guyan's face carefully. What a handsome furnace. It would be great if you could see the other me. Oh, I forgot that you can't see at all, and the conditions for seeing are also. Hey, will you cry, my other self? Xiaoling talked a lot, completely unlike the silent one in Lenking Qiu's mind. I have been staying in Lenking Qiu's body for a long time. And the only person I have talked to is actually Lenking Qiu. Or in other words, myself. It's funny to say, but she was born from Lenking Qiu's body because of the great stimulation 5 years ago. She is absolutely evil, and her own interests are absolutely paramount. She will not be shaken by anything. She came to this world with only one purpose. That is revenge. Even the cauldron in front of her just made her eager to absorb all of it. Okay, enough of the admiration. It's time to start the game. Xiaoling muttered to herself. And her expression gradually became the same as Lenking Qiu's. An icy beauty with a hint of humanity in her expression. Chapter 224. That's enough. You are not Lenking Qiu at all. Stick to your love interest and get 100 points. Being touched by a pure love object, points 200. Being bitten on the ear by the object of pure love, points 300. Live together with your pure love partner, 10,000 points. What's going on? Why are there so many system notification sounds? Can people still sleep well? I was already feeling a little sad because I couldn't sleep in the same bed with King Qiu. And now you're doing this? Caressing and biting the ears. I dare not even think about this dream. I want it. Smells good, so good. It's still soft. What is this? Guyan opened his eyes dazedly. And open your eyes. A soft and cold voice also reached his ears. Are you awake? You slept so soundly, then why did you leave the door open at night? As soon as this voice came out, Guyan immediately woke up. At this moment, he realized his current situation. I saw that there was now one more person on the big bed that originally accommodated only one person. Or it's someone I dare not even think about. The other person was lying on his side, supporting his head with his hands, looking a little angry. And looking at him with his eyes open. Because they were too close. The softness that Guyan felt on his arm was actually Lenking Qiu's. King Qiu? Guyan sat up in surprise and shouted, "Why are you here?" Aha, what a stupid furnace. But it's too late now. It would be bad if my sister woke up and found out about this. So Xiaoling also sat up, with a hint of arrogance on the surface. Asshole, keep your voice down. Haven't you been looking forward to doing this? You're so lonely, I can't bear it, so I came to find you while my sister is sleeping. Because he is Lenking Qiu's other personality, Xiaoling is very adept at pretending to be the other person. No way. Guyan took a deep breath, his throat dry because of what Lenking Qiu said. He quickly glanced at Lenking Qiu's current appearance. The black and gold silk pajamas further highlighted the other person's cool and elegant aura. And it wasn't clear whether the other person did it on purpose. One collar slipped down slightly, revealing a bit of the other person's fair skin. Guyan didn't know where to look. He licked his lips. That King Qiu. You make me feel quite. It turns out that men are very easy to deal with. Another reason I have to little experience in love. That's why this furnace has always held the initiative. In love, as long as you master the rhythm, then the other party will be fooled by you. Judging from the current situation, the cauldron in front of you must have been beating fast like a deer, right? Seeing that Guyan was so excited that he couldn't speak, Xiaoling snorted and continued, "Are you very happy or very excited? Speak, I won't laugh at you." However, it was different from what Xiaoling had expected, which was blushing, heart beating and helplessness. Guyan shook his head repeatedly. "Not happy, nor excited." Xiaoling was stunned, slowly put up a question mark, and was about to say something. The furnace in front of him suddenly shouted with shining eyes, "I'm super happy, super excited. So Qingqiu, you are also looking forward to being with me. Why didn't you say so earlier? I'll let the brat sleep alone. And I'll sleep with you, my dear Qingqiu." But it doesn't matter. Guyan kept moving closer to Xiaoling as he saw her stiff expression. "So you, right here now? Qingqiu, how about we play some evening couple games?" Evening couples games? Xiaoling was a little stunned. She had never learned this on the internet. Yes. Didn't I tell you before? What did you say?" Just when Xiaoling was about to say something, she found Guyan opening his arms and hugging her. Click! An inexplicable impulse suddenly surged in Xiaoling's heart. The dagger kept jumping in her eyes, as if it was about to jump out and stab into Guyan's heart. She suppressed her restlessness and wanted Guyan to let her go. So she imitated Lang Qingqiu's reaction at this time. "Wait, what are you doing? Let me go." However, Guyan shook his head and said in an inexplicable tone, "What this game is? Truth or dare? Truth or dare?" Upon hearing this, Xiaoling remembered that she had learned this kind of game between couples on the internet. You can roll dice or play rock paper scissors to let the loser use truth or dare instead of punishment. "Okay, can you let me go first?" Xiaoling just opened his mouth. Guyan had also been let go. He stayed away from them properly and found some clothes to put on. This approach slightly alleviated Xiaoling's feeling of heat in his heart. "Of course, I am very polite to Qingqiu." Guyan shrugged, a smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. "Playing hard to get?" Xiaoling thought to herself that she had seen many such cases on the internet. But it didn't matter. He snorted and asked, "How do we play? Let's not make it so complicated between us. How about we each punish the person once until he can't do it anymore? One per person? Yeah, like if I go first, I choose truth or not." After that, Guyan looked at Xiaoling and said, "Asked, is there any other way to play?" After thinking for a moment, Xiaoling decided to continue playing with Guyan. So she pretended to be shy and said in a timid tone, "Then do you like me?" Hearing this, Guyan said without hesitation, "The person I love the most is Lang Qingqiu." "It's true." Xiaoling smiled shyly, then nodded and said, "Then it's my turn, I'll choose truth too." Guyan nodded. "Okay, then can you see with your eyes now? Don't get me wrong, it's just because you kept your eyes closed before." Hearing this, Xiaoling had already guessed that the other party would ask such a question. So he waved his hands helplessly in front of his eyes. "It's a pity that I can't see it." Guyan pondered for a while, nodded, and then said, "I choose the truth." "Is this the truth again?" There was a question that needed to be asked, so she pretended to think for a long time and asked, "Okay, if there comes a day when I might die, and the way to survive is your life, will you save me?" Hearing this, Guyan looked at Xiaoling and nodded seriously. "I will save Lang Qingqiu." "Oh, it's the truth?" Although the answer is a bit strange, at least it is accurate. Because Xiaoling has an extremely evil personality. He has the ability to identify lies. She could tell that everything Guyan said was true. This made her feel a little surprised. She didn't expect that this Lu Ding was so affectionate towards another me. But she knew it. The current love does not mean that the love will always be this deep in the future. Often love that seems unforgettable at the beginning will end in failure in the end. Even now doesn't Lu Ding still realize there is any difference between himself and the other me. Love, how ridiculous. Time passes slowly. The two asked more and more questions from the heart. Xiaoling's answer was a mixture of truth and falsehood. But Guyan was telling the truth 100. This made Xiaoling admire this furnace. "But if I keep doing this, I won't be able to test how to improve my efficiency. So, I choose dare. It's so boring to keep telling the truth." Xiaoling looked at Guyan meaningfully. "Come on, Lu Ding, I guess this is what you want. Come on, let me see how deep your desire for another me is. This is a great opportunity for a great adventure. Don't waste it. Okay, then please say I love you, husband." Guyan nodded and said something that surprised Xiaoling. "That's all?" "Yeah, that's it. So simple." Whispering sound. Xiaoling smacked her lips in her heart, but on the surface she still trembled a little embarrassed and said, I love you, husband. The words fell. Xiaoling secretly looked at the other party's reaction. But he found that Guyan fell into deep thought after hearing it and did not react at all. Xiaoling slowly asked herself why it was different from what she thought. TSK, never mind. Too much time has been wasted today. To prevent any accidents, the next step must be carried out as soon as possible. So Xiaoling looked at Guyan. It's your turn. In her opinion, while she chose the big adventure, she was also sending a signal to the other party to choose the big adventure as well. Really? Guyan nodded and said in an inexplicable tone, I choose the big adventure. I fell into the trap. Xiaoling smiled faintly in his heart. So she stretched out her fingertips and placed them against her lips. And she looked at Guyan with a twinkling look in her eyes. Then please kiss me, it should be different from the previous more passionate kind. Guyan nodded and leaned forward slightly. Xiaoling also felt that things were going too smoothly. Another me, did you see it? This is the strength of my attack. I can make the furnace spin around and the rhythm of everything is in my hands. You probably haven't tried it either. Guyan's kiss was more passionate than before. I'm so sorry, I'll enjoy it for you first. And this must be the best way to improve efficiency. Xiaoling looked at Guyan, who was getting closer and closer. And the heat in his heart gradually rose. Closer and closer. Until the moment their lips were about to touch. Mutation occurs. Guyan's expression instantly became indifferent and cold. He quickly grabbed Xiaoling's neck, then lowered his body and pressed him down on the bed. Buzz. A black dagger was pointed in front of Xiaoling's eyes. Guyan looked coldly at the person who was pinched by the neck by him and looked exactly like Ling Qingqiu. He said coldly, that's enough, you are not Ling Qingqiu at all. Xiaoling obviously didn't react as she looked at Guyan, who was holding her neck with a cold gaze. There seemed to be surprise in his eyes. Obviously, she didn't expect that Guyan would discover her. But Luding is very smart. The fact that he acted like this shows that he has really discovered her. And she also has her own self-esteem now that she has been discovered. She is too lazy to disguise herself again. Interesting. Under Guyan's cold expression, the shyness on that face that looked like Ling Qingqiu gradually disappeared. An emotional sound came out of her lips. Xiaoling's lips curled up into a dangerous smile. And he looked at Guyan aggressively. How did you find out? Interesting, so interesting. I should do it perfectly. My expressions, movements and look, everything should be exactly the same as the other me. Even our breath is the same. But how did the other party find me? Is there some special technique? Or a special method? Or something unknown to myself and the other me? What exactly is a furnace tripod? Stick to your love interest and get 100 points. Continue to post with your pure love partner, points 300. Keep sticking to your pure love partner, points 500. The system's prompt indicates that the person in front of him is indeed Ling Qingqiu. And there is only one thing that can prove that the other person is not his Qingqiu. That is, like, what? Xiaoling suspected that he had heard it wrongly. Because, Guyan took a deep breath, he looked at Xiaoling. Not hiding the pure love radiating from his body, I don't feel any love for you at all. Even the frequency of my heartbeat has never changed. Don't underestimate Qingqiu's second personality. The bond of love between Qingqiu and I. Xiaoling, Chapter 225. Sit down and make a deal. What the hell is the bond of love? Xiaoling thought of many reasons, such as some special skills, special physique or special props. But she never thought that there is such a bond of love. Love, like all feelings, is the most ridiculous thing. Only by abandoning all this can you achieve revenge successfully. But why? Why was he able to see through her disguise? Was it because of the love that Luding talked about? Oh, interesting. Xiaoling stared at Guyan with interest. The corners of her mouth slightly raised. You are really interesting. No wonder the other me is so fascinated by you. Guyan looked at the woman in front of him who was using Ling Qingqiu's body to speak. I dare not let my guard down at all. Don't confuse Qingqiu with you. To be honest, he had never thought that Ling Qingqiu actually had a second personality. After all, this is not mentioned at all in the original book. No. Maybe it was mentioned? Guyan quickly reviewed the plot of the original novel in his mind. Ling Qingqiu appeared only a few times in the early days. The only place where it appeared in the plot was when Ling Linger died. At that time, Ling Qingqiu was very panicked and very sad. And after that, he fell into darkness. That is to say, in the original novel, after Ling Linger died, Ling Qingqiu turned evil. Perhaps all the subsequent plots were controlled by Ling Qingqiu's second personality, combined with the many dark plots that fit the villain later. Guyan looked at Ling Qingqiu in front of him and came to a conclusion. This personality is definitely dangerous. Xiaoling seemed to see the meaning in Guyan's eyes. She scoffed, don't mix them up? What's wrong? Do you think I'm more dangerous? But unfortunately, I am her and she is me. Besides, Xiaoling seemed to have thought of something, and looked at Gu Yan meaningfully. Aren't you hiding another side of yourself as well? Am I right? The one who messed up Zhang He I pretended to be the Night King. As soon as these words came out, Gu Yan's heart sank. He looked at Xiaoling who was looking at him with a teasing look, and couldn't help feeling a little bit embarrassed. This? How come even this was discovered? But judging from King Qiu's usual state, the other party should not know what he did. But this personality knows. King Qiu's sudden covetousness that night might have been the factor that triggered the emergence of this second personality. Perhaps the strange feeling of being watched that night was from this second personality. Moreover, based on the original plot, King Qiu had no idea whether Linger knew about the second personality. After all, the other party didn't have a second personality to tell Linger about his heart's blood. Otherwise, we would not have allowed the situation to develop. Does that explain one thing? The memories of these two personalities. In fact, they are not common. So Gu Yan seemed to have thought of something, and a series of simple plans quickly went through his mind. Seeing that Gu Yan was silent, Xiaoling continued. By the way, there is something I want to remind you of. Just like many melodramatic romance dramas. That's right. If you kill me, then the other me will die too, and King Qiu will disappear. Of course, this may be a good thing for the whole world. After all, in this way, the Night King will also die. Yes, that's just what I said. The real Night King is actually the woman you love the most. Xiaoling said something shocking again. She stared at Gu Yan, the corners of her mouth rising continuously, and her eyes revealed a look as if she wanted to devour Gu Yan. Be surprised, be shocked. King Qiu's other face is the Night King. And what will happen to you when you learn this truth? Quickly show an expression of shock, collapse and despair. Thinking and thinking. Xiaoling was stunned. Gu Yan slowly let go of her, and the dagger in his hand, which looked similar to Yi, turned into a pool of liquid and dissipated. What do you mean? After learning that your lover is the Night King, you lost your mind and dared not accept the reality. Xiaoling touched his neck and found that there was not even a red mark there. It's ridiculous, even though you know that I am King Qiu's second personality. You still don't dare to use any force? I don't mean anything. Gu Yan shrugged. He looked at Xiaoling and said slowly. I already knew that King Qiu was the Night King. It's just that she doesn't know that I know her true identity. Xiaoling sat up, the corners of her mouth gradually narrowed, and she looked carefully at the cauldron in front of her. I found that I couldn't see through the other person. You knew it a long time ago, but you still want to be in love with another me? Are you kidding me? Combined with the fact that Gu Yan pretended to be the Night King, she didn't want to believe that someone would create another fake Night King to attract everyone's attention in order to cover up the facts. After all, this is too ridiculous. What is your purpose? Is your next plan to take his dagger? You want to become the real Night King? Become the strongest in the world? Do you want to live forever? Xiaoling kept talking about her guesses. She felt that only these guesses could prove everything the person in front of her did. However, Gu Yan shook his head. Neither? He looked at Xiaoling in front of him and made a decision. I want to help King Qiu, which can also be said to be helping you. How about sit down and make a deal? Trade? Xiaoling slowly put a question mark. Why did this cauldron become so calm after learning about such an important matter? Why? TSK, but what the other party has been saying so far is the truth. Let's listen to it for now. 10 minutes later. Xiaoling looked at the furnace in front of him and asked in surprise. Where do you get the confidence to think you will succeed? If you fail, there will be no room for maneuver. Gu Yan nodded helplessly. As early as when I found out that I really fell in love with King Qiu. I already had this idea. I was a little unsure at first. But now? He looked at Xiaoling and stretched out his hand to her. I will avenge you and King Qiu, and you need to cooperate with me to accomplish something that only you can do. In the end, we all get what we want. Xiaoling looked at the hand extended to him, then raised his head to look at Gu Yan, who was smiling. She chuckled and didn't even take the hand that Gu Yan offered her. Ridiculous, I refuse. I will do the revenge myself. Whatever you want to do is none of my business. But you can't come out at all. If I'm not mistaken, the condition for you to come out is probably when our King Qiu falls asleep. Right? Now that I know of your existence, do you think you still have a chance to take my heart's blood away? Xiaoling was silent after the truth was exposed. She rubbed her brows helplessly, then took Gu Yan's hand and looked at him expressionlessly. No matter what happens, you'd better not regret it. If the situation is not right, I will expose your true face and let the other me come to you in person to ask for my blood. However, as soon as these words came out, Gu Yan shook his head and sighed. Oh, King Qiu's second personality, you still don't understand our King Qiu. Even if she knew my true identity, she wouldn't do anything to me. It's just if that were the case, my plan would fail. And Kinkyu would be unable to get away, so your words really restricted me. You don't understand, you don't understand. Xiaoling didn't know if he was stimulated by something. She held Gu Yan's hand expressionlessly and said calmly, "Wait a minute, I regret it. If you need me to cooperate with you, you need to agree to one condition of mine." "What conditions?" Gu Yan was a little confused. "Weren't they chatting just now just fine?" "That is when I take control of this body." Xiaoling seemed to have thought of something, looked at Gu Yan, and said word by word, "You need to be available at any time." Gu Yan. Chapter 226. This is a secret between you and me. The streets after midnight were shrouded in a curtain of tranquility, with the dim street lights casting long shadows and occasionally flashing faint lights. The shops on both sides of the street had long been closed, and only the outlines of the colorful signs were left faintly visible in the night. The air was filled with the coolness of the night, bringing with it an unknown fragrance from afar or a mixed scent of the city. Gu Yan didn't know what suddenly happened to Kinkyu's second personality. He had to take her out. So, in this quiet and deserted moment, Gu Yan could only take her out for a walk. As he walked, Gu Yan glanced at the woman next to him, who looked exactly like Leng Kinkyu. "So, you just want to go out for a stroll? Because it is Leng Kinkyu's body." So Xiaoling's skin looked particularly fair under the hazy moonlight, and her cheeks looked even more fresh and lovely because of the slight blush in the cold wind. Her smooth black hair fluttered gently in the night breeze, adding a touch of casual elegance. She was wearing a black wool coat, walking at a leisurely pace, her eyes revealing curiosity about her surroundings. After hearing Gu Yan's question, she chuckled, "Yes. Isn't it possible? Lu Ding, do you know what it feels like to have been in total darkness for most of the past 5 years? Now, thanks to you, I can take this opportunity to come out and get some fresh air. Come to think of it, I should thank you." What do you think?" Xiaoling moved slightly closer to Gu Yan and winked at him. "Furnace tripod?" Gu Yan felt a little puzzled. Although he knew that the other person was not the Leng Kinkyu he knew, it was undeniable that the other person was indeed another personality of Leng Kinkyu. Both her temperament and voice are unique. Gu Yan coughed lightly, feeling a little uncomfortable. "Please don't use Kinkyu's body to say weird things or do weird things. Okay? Why are you pretending? Don't you want the other me to treat you like this?" Xiaoling sneered and pierced through Gu Yan's heart. Gu Yan nodded sincerely. "Of course I hope so, but I hope Kinkyu does that to me. Not you. That goes against my philosophy." Seeing that Gu Yan did not hide his true thoughts, Xiaoling no longer wanted to play with him and asked, "What concept?" "Pure love concept." Xiaoling was silent for a moment after hearing this, sighing. "Sometimes it's hard for me to understand why the other me would fall in love with you, but sometimes I suddenly realize that maybe it is because of this kind of personality that she fell in love with you." So, as Xiaoling walked, her body leaned against Gu Yan, blowing air into the other's ear lobe, she said, "Sister, I also want to experience this feeling of love otherwise." As he spoke, Xiaoling wanted to reach out and touch Gu Yan's unknown place. Bang! Gu Yan interrupted her with a slap, then looked at her seriously and said, "I warn you, don't use Kinkyu's body to do such strange things." Seeing this, Xiaoling retracted his hand, looked at the back of his hand that was gently slapped away without any change, and said with some resentment, "You are so strong, wouldn't the other me be abused by you every day after marrying you?" "Stop pretending, you don't have any feelings at all, do you?" "I am very sensitive to Kinkyu's emotions. Because you are also Kinkyu's personality, I can feel that you don't have normal human emotions at all." Gu Yan said that he had seen through Xiaoling's personality, not only because of his own feelings, but also because it could be seen from various details in the original work. Leng Kinkyu's second personality, except for revenge, does things based on his own preferences, without any rules or logic. Otherwise, it would not be possible to do such cruel things as in the original book. Do you think she has this kind of personality? Wrong? Maybe she dresses like this just because she thinks it's interesting. Hearing this, Xiaoling gradually restrained his expression. It turned into extremely peaceful. She walked in front of Gu Yan with her hands behind her back. It's boring, I won't tease you anymore. Yes, just as you said, I am a second personality that was split off from me. I can dress up as any character. For example, cute and playful, cool and aloof, queenly, charming. For example, the appearance of Leng Kinkyu that you are most familiar with. Do you want to experience all kinds of fun, Gu Yan? Xiaoling walked in front while changing his temperament. It was not until he transformed into Leng Kinkyu's temperament that Gu Yan looked away and replied, "Okay, I get it. How long are we going to walk aimlessly?" However, Xiaoling did not answer Gu Yan. He just walked ahead with his hands behind his back, looking around as if he was seeing the world for the first time. No, I want to stay a little longer. It's all pitch black. But it feels completely different from being inside my other self. Comfortable and carefree. Lu Ding, you know what? I'm just walking down the street, but I can't help myself. What's the saying on the internet? Guyan followed the other person and did not let him out of his sight. He looked at Leng Qingqiu's second personality, which was like a night elf, and had a strange feeling in his heart. It's not Qingqiu, but the other person is Qingqiu. Listening to the other person's chattering voice, it was as if Qingqiu was talking to him. It's a strange feeling. Xiaoling also seemed to remember the statement on the internet. Suddenly she stopped and turned to face Guyan, who was walking behind her, with an elusive light in her eyes. Ah, I remember now. The air around them seemed to quiet down, waiting for her next words or actions. Guyan looked at the other party in confusion. After a few seconds, Xiaoling's mouth corners slightly raised, with a very faint smile. She spoke slowly and her voice was clearly heard in the quiet street. This feeling is freedom. Free. Guyan was stunned for a moment. Then he reacted. Because there are two personalities. Leng Qingqiu is the main personality, and the other party is the second personality. As long as Leng Qingqiu stays awake, his second personality will not come out, and have to endure darkness. However, the other party has a more extreme personality. Even if it is Qingqiu's second personality, the other party is not the Qingqiu in his impression. If the other party gains freedom, Qingqiu will lose his freedom. So, oh. Guyan nodded expressionlessly. Can't you just give me some reaction? The little air conditioner yelled angrily. At this time, meow. Whimpering sounds came from the haystack nearby. Xiaoling looked over in surprise, then quickly stepped forward and lifted the other person up with both hands. Wow, it's a kitten. Guyan took a quick glance and saw a black cat in a cardboard box. He followed it and said, it must have been abandoned. But how did you know it? Shouldn't you have been staying in Qingqiu's body and not know anything? Xiaoling squatted down, stretched out his hand and kneaded the little black cat's ears, and replied, after you entered my other inner world, I woke up again. So I was able to go out while the other person was sleeping. During the time I was out, I used the internet to learn a lot of knowledge. Is it still possible? Guyan felt a little weird, as he always felt that surfing the internet was incompatible with Xiaoling's style. He thought about it and squatted beside Xiaoling. Seeing that Xiaoling was looking at the kitten with shining eyes, he couldn't help but ask, do you like small animals very much? Like, no. Xiaoling was rubbing the kitten, and suddenly stared at it playfully. He fiddled with its ears and muttered to himself, I was just thinking, if I took off its cute little ears now, what kind of sound would the kitten that is about to be adopted make? Guyan's mouth twitched. You are so bad. Thank you for the compliment. It's because I am a split and extremely evil personality. Only the other me is a normal personality. Anyway, the only person you want to protect is the other me. I don't need you to say anything. Xiaoling rolled his lips, picked up the kitten and stood up. Guyan also stood up and listened to the other party's self-deprecating words. Although he didn't know whether the other party cared about it or not. But Guyan still said, no, although you are another personality of our Qingqiu, but we share the same body, no matter what. I won't let anyone hurt you before you leave Qingqiu's body. As soon as these words came out, oh? Xiaoling raised his eyes to look at Guyan and smiled. I'm sorry to tell you, I am Qingqiu, Qingqiu is me. We are one, which means that I can't leave this body. You will still. And I will keep protecting it until I find a way. Guyan interrupted Xiaoling and looked at him seriously. If you can't be separated in this life, then I will protect you for the rest of your life. Of course, you are incidental. My main purpose is to protect Qingqiu. Xiaoling. After a moment of silence, Xiaoling curled the corners of her mouth, then raised the little black cat in her hand. Meow. The kitten seemed to know that the beautiful sister in front of it was going to adopt it, so it made a soft cry. Xiaoling looked at it and smiled. Well, I have decided, I will adopt it and name it Yi. Meow. The kitten meowed in cooperation. Guyan was a little surprised and distressed when he heard this. Why do you want to adopt it suddenly, and can you not give it such a weird name? Xiaoling shook her head. She looked at Guyan with a warm smile on her face. Because today is the rare anniversary of me coming out to play seriously. And it's at night, so I call it Yi. Guyan didn't expect that the other party would actually care about these things. So he nodded inferently. Of course you can, but can't you only come out at night? The time you spend with it is very short. Oh, it's okay. Xiaoling hugged Yi and moved closer to Guyan. She asked meaningfully, the other me will go out to play with you during the day, right? Yeah. Guyan did not deny it after all. The other party had been in Leng Qingqiu's body and must know these things. Xiaoling smiled smugly after hearing this, then, And I say that I got to hang out with you before she did? Guyan. Why does it smell like beef? But the other person is the kind of person with a wicked personality who likes to do things that make her feel happy. If you feel embarrassed, you will fall into his trap. So Guyan chose to remain silent, whatever you think. Don't be angry, I just wanna say. Xiaoling lifted up Yi's cat paw and waved at Guyan. Pretending to be a kit and speaking, Lu Ding, as a gift for our first meeting. I will tell you my name. Xiaoling. You can call me Xiaoling. What happened tonight is a secret between you and me. Just don't show up in front of the other me. For me. And for your plan. A little cold. What a random name. Guyan pinched Yi's cat paw, curled his lips and replied. Got it. TSK. Although I think there will be a lot of troubles later. But as long as we can stabilize Xiaoling, we should be able to completely stop Qingqiu from turning evil. This is not unacceptable. After seeing Guyan's slightly helpless expression, Xiaoling couldn't help but slightly raise the corners of his mouth that were covered by the kitten. Well, I'm sorry, the other me, Lu Ding, is indeed very interesting. I want to try to get in touch with him again. Don't blame me. After all, it was you who kept provoking me. The trust of the pure love object has increased to 90. Unlock new memory fragments, please check. Note. When the favorability reaches 90, the host will obtain new memory fragments for every one increase in favorability. How come the favorability that hadn't been improved for a long time suddenly increased again? Didn't they say that it needed to be improved in other ways because of special reasons? For details, see the end of chapter 130. Could it be that? Guyan looked at Xiaoling, who was teasing Yi's meatball. No way. The special reason is Xiaoling, you two are really one and the same. What are memory fragments? That night. Sister. My brother-in-law is going to be bullied away. It wasn't me. Ling Linger's NIU and IU radar sounded all night long. Chapter 227. Brother-in-law, you have a cat at home? What's its name? That time. In front of the sink. This was the third time Guyan yawned. Last night, Xiaoling and I went out for a walk until very late. And didn't get home until around 3 or 4 o'clock. But ordinary people wouldn't be as tired as him after staying up all night. Right? As he washed up, he complained in his mind. After all, he is an innate warrior, he shouldn't be so weak just because he stayed up all night. Right? At this time, a graceful figure walked beside Guyan. The owner of the figure picked up the newly bought toiletries and greeted. Good morning, Guyan, did you not sleep well last night? There was a hint of concern in his voice, and it also seemed to carry the freshness of the morning. Plop, plop. Hearing this voice, Guyan's heartbeat suddenly accelerated and he turned his head to look at the other person. It was Ling Qingqiu who had just woken up. Plus my heart was pounding. The person in front of me, it's the real Qingqiu. Guyan suddenly became cheerful, and even forgot about some trivial things that happened at night. Yes, I dreamed that Qingqiu came to attack me at night. Which made me excited all night. Who would attack you at night? What nonsense are you talking about? Ling Qingqiu was stunned at first. When she cursed in embarrassment, she snorted. It seems that you have already decided where to go. Otherwise, why would you say such stupid things so early in the morning? Guyan smiled softly upon hearing this, then moved a little closer to Ling Qingqiu. It doesn't matter where we go, what matters is hanging out with you. Plop, plop. Ling Qingqiu's heart was beating fast, and she raised the corner of her mouth. You are the only one who can talk nonsense. This Qingqiu, you are so cute. Shut up. Ling Qingqiu cursed in shame and anger and then started to wash up. But let's be honest, it's the same on her side. It doesn't matter whether she goes out to play or not. In fact, her experiences over the years have made her a little resistant to the outside world. But this time I went out with Guyan. I don't know why, but I felt a little excited. What's wrong? Are you happy to go out with Lu Ding? I feel that you are a little excited. But I think you still need to control yourself. After all, you are also the Night King. At this time, Xiaoling suddenly jumped out and said something incomprehensible to Ling Qingqiu. Xiaoling, what do you know? I've always been very reserved. Okay? Ling Qingqiu immediately scolded in his heart. Really, Xiaoling is like this every time? Does she need to remind me about this kind of thing? I have always been acting like a cold and aloof Night King. Haven't I? You'd better be. Shut up, today is a perfect day for me to win Guyan's heart. Xiaoling, don't jump out and disturb me at every turn. In order to prevent this rare outing from being affected, Ling Qingqiu sternly warned Xiaoling. But on weekdays, there will definitely be a little cold response like, you will regret it. At this moment, I am surprisingly obedient. Don't worry. I think it's fine for you and Lu Ding to be like this. I won't disturb you two when you go out to play with him. Xiaoling is still the same Xiaoling. But the word she said didn't seem like something that could come from her mouth. Ling Qingqiu was a little suspicious, but didn't think much about it. Let me borrow your words to answer you, you'd better be. Xiaoling was silent for a while after hearing this and then dived into the water. Another me, you actually learned to joke with me. Indeed. You have changed. Outside the house. In the yard. Ah, good morning, brother-in-law, sister. You guys got up too early. Ling Linger yawned and walked out neatly dressed. Looking weak. Guyan was already getting impatient waiting. The longer time passed, the less time he and King Qiyu would spend together. Does this damn brat understand? He looked at Ling Linger, who was walking lazily over, and immediately acted like an elder, saying, children should act like children. He's only a few years old, but he's already so listless. Ah, disgraceful. Ling King Qiyu on the side also nodded. Agreeing with Guyan's words. Linger, didn't you go to bed early last night? Why are you still so sleepy? No, it's not my fault. Sis. I had a terrible sleep last night. The most important thing is that I had a nightmare. Ling Linger saw that the two people were about to bombard her. So she hurried to explain. Nightmare? What nightmare? The brat always likes to make excuses. This nightmare is about you. I dreamed that you were bewitched by a woman who looked like my sister. You scumbag. Guyan, Ling King Qiyu. Guyan immediately asked several questions. Listen to what you said. Is this human language? Listen to the combination of these words. Do they make sense? A woman who looks like your sister. Isn't your sister right here? Speaking of this, Guyan's heart suddenly started. Wait a minute, someone who looks like King Qiyu isn't there one right here? It cannot be said to be similar, it can only be said to be exactly the same. Although there is nothing wrong with Xiaoling's personality. He did make a deal with the other party after all. When he thought of this, Guyan's tone became a little guilty. Isn't it right here? Why is your tone suddenly weaker? Ling King Qiyu, who was standing by, suddenly became alert when he heard this. Could it be that Guyan was hiding something from her? A woman who looked like her? Impossible, there is absolutely no way such a coincidence could happen. By the way, didn't Guyan say this morning that he dreamed of her making a night attack? Even if it was Guyan, he wouldn't have such a perverted dream, right? It must be to cover up some other reason. Oh, Ling King Qiyu understood. It must be this bastard who sneaked into her and Linger's room at night and eavesdropped on something, right? What a pervert. Ling King Qiyu has already given Guyan a new title. Anyway, Guyan would definitely not do anything to betray her because she believed in Guyan. So Ling King Qiyu decided to protect Guyan's reputation. Linger, don't talk nonsense. How could your brother-in-law find another woman? You said you were dreaming. Having said this, she looked at Guyan and said kindly. Guyan, you will definitely not do such a thing, right? Guyan looked at Ling King Qiyu and nodded repeatedly. Yes, I can only love you, King Qiyu, even if you don't want to be with me. I will pester you to the end. Ling King Qiyu was also extremely excited when he heard this. I hope so. And just at this moment, meow, a little black cat came over and rubbed Ling King Qiyu's ankle affectionately. Ling King Qiyu was stunned when he sensed the strange object. Ling Linger was also suddenly delighted. She squatted down happily and stroked the kitten's head with her hand. Wow, it's a kitten. Brother-in-law, you have a cat at home? What's its name? Chapter 228. Stop talking. Cat, Guyan, you have a cat? Ling King Qiyu was a little surprised. She didn't expect that Guyan liked to raise small animals. But why had she never heard him mention it before? Guyan. He looked at Yi, who was rubbing Ling King Qiyu's ankle affectionately. He gritted his teeth and said, his name is Yi. And I just raised him not long ago. How long is a short time? You asked too many questions, little bastard. Damn you bastard Gu. Ling King Qiyu nodded. Every night. What a nice name. I didn't expect you, Guyan, to have such a high level of naming skills. Besides, Yi and I are meeting for the first time. Why are we so close? Ling King Qiyu nodded with satisfaction. Very happy with the name. But doesn't this cat act familiar with her? This. Guyan, who was complaining about the random name last night, also echoed, yeah, I knew King Qiyu would like it. As for sticking to you, maybe Yi also thinks you are beautiful, King Qiyu. Never mind, that's all, let's get going without further ado. We're going to have fun today. When Guyan heard the second question asked by Ling King Qiyu, he immediately broke out in a sweat. He didn't dare stay here any longer. Yeah, that's fine. In the car, Ling Linger sat in the back seat and Ling King Qiyu sat in the passenger seat. And Guyan acted as the driver. Beautiful lady, please fasten your seat belts. I am your tour guide, driver and fiancé Guyan. You can call me Xiao Gu. Okay, Xiao Jiuzi, right Xiao Jiuzi? Yes sir. The car starts. Ling King Qiyu leaned back in his chair, enjoying the comfort of the moment. Go out and play or something. This was something that we would never have dared to think about in the past. Because she simply doesn't have the time, and there is no way she would waste time on going out and playing. And as she got along with Guyan, she found that her previous thoughts of revenge gradually faded away. She knew this was wrong, but sometimes she would suddenly forget the bad things because of a happy moment. Maybe this is why Xiaolang woke up and reminded her. Now, as I become more and more aware of my feelings for Guyan. In fact, Len Qingqiu became more determined to become the real Night King. Because the fake Night King is lurking in the dark. And various dangers are also lurking in the dark. After all, the power of Guyan's family is not enough. Only if she becomes stronger and the strongest in the world can she protect Guyan. That's right. After becoming the Night King and completing her revenge, she will protect Guyan and linger well. That's enough. All the forces that came to Zhang Yeche were destroyed. And the one or two who survived were insignificant. Although it wasn't her fault. But treated